I'm back. Did you miss me? I missed me. Hi. I am back and I have no thyroid anymore. My thyroid went away. It was like, no, thank you, and it got yeeted. Okay. So before I get started, I want to thank some folks, but I got thyroid news for you. Thank you, Neo Zero, 8-month resub. Thank you. Oh man. Thank you, Obscuratory, for gifting a sub to Thyroidless Fella. Shout out to Thyroidless Fella. Hopefully you living without your, Oh man, you've got bad TSH. I feel you. Oh my gosh. Oh, I feel you. Oh, having bad TSH sucks. Mine really sucked. Now I have no thyroid, so I'm on artificial hormones. So that's pretty cool. Thank you, Navjack, 8-month resub. Thank you so very much for that. Lost Gumble, 3-month resub. 3 months. Thank you. No problems. 8-month resub. Return of the Jester. Okay. Can I say a really bad pun? Hey, here comes the hot jester. Like the hot stepper? Anybody? Listen, when they took away my thyroid, they took away my ability to do jokes, so unfortunately. Thank you, Seraphis Kane, for the 100 bits and the 100 backs, because I am back. And Game Quarter, 6-month resub. Thank you so very much for that. Yeah, that wasn't really good at all. I apologize. Well, folks, I'm back. My thyroid is gone. I had to go to Temple, Texas, to a hospital there where they removed my thyroid. Did you know? Okay, I have had to, in the past 2 months, I've ridden Amtrak 4 times. That's crazy to me. Because, like, it's cheaper to go to Temple on Amtrak than anywhere else. And also, it's nice. But the thing about riding Amtrak that I found out on my final Amtrak trip is that if someone just parks their car on the tracks, your train just has to stop and you have to wait for them to move whatever's been parked on the track. So that sucked. That was during my trip back. I got an alert from Amtrak after our train stopped. They're like, "Yeah, there's a car on the tracks. Sorry." No, we don't do ramming speed through the car. No. It was magic. I got to drink the coffee because I was so bored while waiting for them to move the car from the train tracks.
Bingo! Pasta with all sorts of different sauces.
I know. Like you would think. It's like all I'm saying is like if you want a train to crash into you, a bad way to do it is to just park on the track because they will just straight up get a thing to move your car. Thank you, Nelson JD, for the 8-month resub. I am here to be electronically entertained as well. So let's get started. Hold on here. Thank you all for your patience as I get used to this again. Yeah, I like... I like having my thyroid removed because, like, it rocks. I highly recommend if your thyroid sucks getting it removed. Okay, so most thyroids are like 10 to 12 grams or whatever. Mine was 23 gram. A 23 gram thyroid. Like, no wonder I was all pissed off all the time. It sucked. All right. Hold on, I need to do something real quick here. Nothing could be finer than to feel online or on the internet. Okay, this should be showing up. Hold on, let's see if... There we go. Okay, that's interesting. Hold on one second. For some beautiful reason, my, the sound's not coming through to y'all, so let me just make an adjustment here. Don't know why the sound isn't popping. Okay. Hold on one second. Thank you all for your patience. Again, it's the return to streaming, so of course something's gonna break. There is something about a train that's magic, and what's magic about a train is that they can't just ram into things, which I think they should, personally. Okay, I'm going to start and restart RetroArch and see if that doesn't do the shebang here and get the audio working to where it needs to work. There we go. There we go. All right, that's what I like to see. There we go. All right. Thank you for your patience there. Okay. Of course, my return back, it would be all messed up. God, how to have cybersex on the internet. That's a classic. But I think that I can't show that because it features, like, not nude women, but bikinied women, and I don't know if I can show bikinied women. They keep changing the rules on, like, on Twitch, so it's just like, are bikinis okay? Or would the bikini chest team... Why did I say the bikini chest team? It's the bikini ski team. Is there a bikini chest team? Chat. Is there a bikini chest team? Anyways, let's see if this works now. There we go. Now you can hear Xena sounds. There should be a bikini chest team. It should happen. I mean, yeah, no, I'm with you here. I think we need more. I think with global warming getting so crazy, we need a bikini revolution. The players and the chess pieces. Yes, I agree.
Episode 5. In this episode, it's back to the dungeons for a deathly look at Doom 2. Then it's off to explore new worlds with Deep Space Nine: The Hunt. And this episode's interactive interview spotlights Guido Henkel, the man behind Star Trail, with you asking the questions. And now, episode 5 of Interactive Entertainment.
Okay, sounds good. Doot, 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 doot. Ah, I've missed that tune. I've missed it. Okay, let's check out, I guess news first.
Accolade leads our list of companies bringing previously released games to the CD-ROM with their all-star sports collections featuring 3 sports titles. Jack Nicklaus Golf and Course Design Signature Edition features 2 courses designed by Nicklaus. If you don't like Nicklaus's work, you can put together your own course. Al Michaels announces Hardball 3 is another entry in Accolade's baseball series, featuring play for 1 or 2 players in single exhibition games or over the course of an entire 162-game season. And showing his renowned versatility.
No, fiddledy duffness, it's unnecessary roughness. Based on the film.
Choose 1 or 2 player modes using the traditional NFL.
Does anybody remember the delightful film, Unnecessary Roughness?
Is releasing Corridor 7 Alien Invasion on CD-ROM. This full-screen action game, powered by an enhanced Wolfenstein 3D engine, features modem and network play for up to 12 players. The hottest talk on the rumor mill this month would have to be Mortal Kombat 3. Hard facts are non-existent at this point, but it has been...
When I see a boy, I'm like, get over here! Oh, I'm sorry, Gay Jester is being bad.
MK3 may not even be released in the arcade, or it may be released simultaneously for the arcade and home systems. The 3rd installment in the Violent Fighting series will allow you to play as any character from MK 1 or 2, including previous
any character
brutes like Goro and Smoke, and will add between 5 and 10 new characters as well, making it the ultimate Mortal Kombat.
Why did they never add a Jester to the Mortal Kombat series?
Due to the huge amount of RAM the game will fill, the Jaguar card is expected to cost upwards of $100. Are you interested in being scared by Sierra's psychological thriller Phantasmagoria, or would you prefer to be terrified? A special programming password option built into the CD-ROM game will result in 2 different versions of the story. According to Sierra, the original storyline is in the vein of Hitchcock movies and is filled with terror, intrigue, and some mature situations. The tamer version of the game will
I just had to adjust the window. There we go.
But will exclude the more explicit scenes and elements. Phantasmagoria creator Roberta Williams.
But I want the explicitness. Show me penis, I declare. Fiddledy penis.
To commemorate the 25th anniversary of Woodstock, the greatest rock
Would Woodstock have nudity? Are you going to erase the nudity of Woodstock, you buffoons, you fools?
25th anniversary CD-ROM features original music from the festival, as well as photos, enhanced audio, and live-action video. In addition to previously seen and unseen footage from the original documentary Woodstock, the new CD includes recently taped interviews.
I feel like I'm fixing to die rag, is what I'm always singing.
It has reached an agreement with Davidson and Associates of Torrance, California, to exclusively distribute its products in North America. Davidson will distribute all Impressions products, including the soon-to-be-released educational title Project USA, to computer retail stores.
Yeah, when they remove your thyroid, it turns you into a homosexual.
Educational software resellers. Continuing to expand their horizons, Impressions has announced a new game in development called Powerhouse. Set in the near future, the game takes place in
Does it have nudity? We've been promised one thing.
You must test out new power sources, avoid ecological disasters, and stay ahead of your competition. Powerhouse will feature SVGA graphics, modem play, and an economic model based on UN forecasts. Look for it in the first quarter of 95.
Ooh, based on UN forecast. Oh, aren't we delightful? Fiddly broadcast, UN forecast.
The software Toolworks is combining with Merriam-Webster to produce what it calls the first playable dictionary. Merriam-Webster's Family Dictionary CD-ROM contains 32,000 entry words, along with illustrations and animations.
I need to find this and see if it features the correct word. Homosexual.
The dictionary is geared to children ages 8 to 12.
Well, that certainly will have to be done. Let's see. Let's go to the table of contents and the interactive interview. I haven't heard of this person before. You know what? What if I did the letters to the editor in the jester voice? Let's just do that right now. We hate the ads. Now, for the gripes. There are always gripes and letters to the editor, aren't there? The constant intrusion of advertising really bugged me. It was kind of like watching a show where they always cut their commercial at a good part. Talk about frustrating. They have to go. In a traditional paper magazine, if I want to look for an ad for something, that's what I look for. Otherwise, I page by them. Perhaps you could have a menu item solely for a listing of ads and advertisers. At least you don't have those nasty little cards falling out all over the place like the paper magazines. That was from DH. Another complaint. First, on the issue of advertisements. What is this voice? What is this voice? I agree that the ideal solution would be to dispose of them, but I understand completely your use of them, even the fact that you must take the control out of the user's hands to present them.
Running a little low on product.
Product. However, you call IE interactive television, so by way of comparison, perhaps I would like to point out an aspect of television advertising. In programs made for television as opposed to theatrical films later shown on television, there are logical break points where commercials are to be inserted. Now, the placement of ads in IE seems to be a random event. This is particularly distracting in the middle of a preview or review where the ad completely disrupts the presentation. Perhaps the programming for the ads could be changed to present them at the beginning or the end of a presentation, not bisecting one. It's from Ohio. There's a lot of complaints here. Ads. You make a good attempt with episode 2, but the ads were boring. If you can't use video clips in the ads, have several interesting screenshots fade in and out. Fiddle-dee Dolger, thank you, Itinerant Soldier, 8-month resub, thank you. Or better yet, fade in sequence, 4 shots that each fill a quarter of the screen, and then wipe the screen and put in 4 more. Just don't put in the same static logo screen. Please. I forgot about the horse noise. Let's do it again. There we go. Okay, so you don't like the ads. We knew that. That's why we stopped running those bogus ads after episode 2. There also haven't been any ads at all for the last 3 episodes. However, don't get your hopes up. We do need to sell ads to be profitable. And we need to be profitable to continue to put this thing out. Now, the good news is we have finally hired someone to do ad sales. And he will be starting soon. Don't worry. We will take into account all the things you've been complaining about. If we can't get the video, for instance.
Running a little low on product.
We'll try to make sure that they are at least interesting. We have also talked about having them pop up only between articles. Wake up and get email. That's what I'm saying. And keep scratching my 8-month resub. I am feeling well. Hold on here. I don't know why the horse noise went. This had at least 40 issues, so we're going to be going through these for a long while. And yeah, no, I feel so much better. It sucked the first the first week when it was like my throat was like healing from being medically slashed, but now it's so much better. Anyways, next important note. You people should definitely be on CompuServe or some net. Forgive me if you already are, but I haven't found where you are yet. Do you have an IE mail address or special forums where you hang out it? This forum would be a great spot to leave a message or notes like this one, so more people can know about you and get a taste of your terrific CD mag. I agree, it's terrific. I can see developers wanting to give you better and better feedback as your project progresses. Next on the gripe list is contact information in this age of electronic offices and information exchange. I can't believe you don't have a BBS or at least some means to contact you electronically, either through the internet or CompuServe, Prodigy, America Online, etc. Perhaps you might consider setting up a BBS connected to the internet so that email is handy for all. This form of communication would spark a fervor of communication with your readers/viewers and allow you to tailor your product more closely to the reader's interests. Just one last request. Please get an internet account and make it available for submissions of comments in addition to mail or fax. I would not expect of you to necessarily respond to all or any of the comments submitted, just as I don't expect a direct response to this letter, although seeing it in print would be nice. It would just be easier for me and many other subscribers to submit comments on IE. For myself, it would also be cheaper than faxing or even the cost of a stamp. Okay, sheesh, we'll get an email account. Seriously, getting online is something we've been planning to do from day one. The problem is, we haven't had anyone whose job it is to get us online. But hopefully, our new managing editor will have this problem solved by next issue. They're going online. Opinions differ on video. Okay. As far as my wish list goes, I would love to see more video. I don't care about the frame rate or the data rate. The audio is good, and I get to see people and places that don't normally get onto any broadcast medium. So it jiggles or drops a few frames. Digital compromise, be it so. A walkabout through the Chicago CES, which is a handheld high 8, would be fine. More interviews, even short ones, says CS of CompuServe 71762-607. The video clips are entertaining, but don't waste time on intros. A lousy game can have a great animated intro. The intro is irrelevant to play. Interviews. It doesn't make sense to show a pale, skinny person sitting in a chair and making gestures, especially on a little square in the middle of the screen. Replace that game with game graphics and let the person be a voiceover. If the interview is going to be the magazine centerpiece, the extra effort would be nice. Seems like the camps are divided on this one. For our 2 cents, we're going to keep doing the interactive interviews. Most people seem to like them. We like them. And there's no way we'd be able to generate enough quality editorial material every month to fill the void that would be left if we chunked it, I should say. We're already pushing critical mass on the number of good articles we can do a month. We don't want to start running crap just to fill space on the disk. They should do that. They should run a lot of crap. We are going to continue our efforts to get as much motion as possible. For the time being, we just have to accept that the quality isn't going to be as good as we'd like it to be. What we're doing is as state-of-the-art as digital video is capable of in this kind of Windows-based mass-market product. They're right, it's actually pretty good video for 1994. The other issue here is most of the motion we are able to get easily tends to be from cutscenes and cinematics. Should we not run them because they don't show gameplay? We'd like to think that they're worth showing, although we'd certainly prefer to run gameplay. Well, how does everyone feel about this? I feel that they should show both gameplay and intros, personally. Last but not least, how about some viewer reviews? Have you ever thought of having a consumer and computer nut like myself, of Beaver Falls, review 1 or 2 games a month? You know, an Ordinary Joe section where I would give my honest opinion about what I have played. Not that you guys don't give an honest opinion, because I believe you really do. I love it when you totally trash a game and tell people to stay away from it. That is truly rare. But a section where another consumer can say, hey, look, this guy is just an ordinary smo like me reviewing a couple of games. That's neat. Well, I've really got 3 answers to that question. First, we will do a section where we let someone off the street write a couple of reviews doubtful. The way our production schedule works, making this work out would be extremely difficult, trust me. Second, you don't need a section specially dedicated to viewer reviews. And that's part of the reason we have a letters section in the first place. If you feel you have something to add or something to say in the first place, don't wait for us. Write and let us know. Think we were a little too hard on a certain game? Not hard enough? Well, speak up. If you can put your thoughts together reasonably well, we'll be happy to publish your opinion as long as it's printable. Finally, if you really, really want to write for us, send us a resume and a writing sample. You'll have to be willing to move to rural Vermont before we'll even consider you, but you never know. All such submissions should come to the attention of Tim Keating, editor. That's me. All right, that's not bad, not bad. Okay, so they hate the ads, they want them to get email, and they don't know about video. Viewer reviews, God, I couldn't even imagine. Just if you want viewer reviews, just go to any BBS at the time. All right, now it's time for the interactive interview with Guido Henkel of Attic Software. What kind of company is Attic Software?
We are basically a development and publishing house. Publishing refers
Bro, speak
to the
up.
fact that we self-publish our products in Germany, but in Germany only. And right here in North America, we're going with Certec Software.
Okay. Oh, did it again. Hold on. Here we go. How is Attic Software related to Certec?
I think basically it's a completely independent company to Certec because, well, first of all, starting with the fact that we are based in Germany, secondly, that we publish our products ourselves in Germany, and third of all, that we just met after Blade of Destiny was done, you know, so that shows that we are an independent company.
Wait. What about the Amico? This is an Amico guy? Holy shit. Well, this is what he was doing before the Amico. I don't want to wobble. How did Certec become involved with distributing Attic's games?
I just bumped into Rob Zerotech at one of those computer shows in London, and I thought, well, maybe you should talk to this guy. And I went up to him and introduced myself and said, I'm having a role-playing game, which I would like to have distributed in the States. Would you like to take a look? And he said, sure, no problem. When? I was like, right away. Okay.
How has Certec helped with Star Trail?
I don't think we could have done such a good job on Star Trail as we did. Wouldn't there, well, if we hadn't really had the release of Blade of Destiny here in the States, and without Certec actually helping us, you know, to get into all this.
Yeah, there's an Amico connection. I can't believe it. Okay, what are the technical differences between US and German markets? I imagine the violence thing is a big difference. I imagine like the kind of stuff that you can't make in Germany, you know, like you gotta have your Contras be robots. So let's see what they say.
In Germany, you get all those imported products, and you know what they look like, but most of the time you have a time lag between because they are becoming localized, things like that. So people are not so updated on technology as they are here. Same goes with the hardware, you know. Germany probably lags 1 year behind the United States in terms of hardware, system requirements, things like that.
How well did Blade of Destiny sell in Europe?
We were really amazed. Well, we knew there was a fandom out there, and we knew we would have sales on a game like that. But we were really impressed with how much we moved in a short amount of time.
When was the Blade of Destiny first released?
It was 92. It was July 92 that we released it in Germany.
What inspired the Blade of Destiny games? I assume swords and the concept of destiny.
There is this paper and pencil role-playing game which Realms is based on, and we used to play that game years and years. We really loved the system, and eventually we thought about, well, should we do this on a computer?
Sorry, I'm just adjusting the audio here to try to make it louder here for everybody. Okay, so folks, what can you tell me about the game Blade was based on?
Sat down with these people, sat down with the original authors who do the paper and pencil game, and had them doing the storyboarding on Blade of Destiny, whereas we took all our knowledge of, you know, all the technology we had experienced and developed by that time. It made it really
Head of engineering at the Amico. That's wild, man. That's wild. I have never heard of this guy aside from this because I didn't pay a lot of attention to the Amico fiasco because I was just kind of waiting for it to happen. I guess. Why did you want Blade to be like the paper and pencil game?
really huge fandom for this game in Germany, for the paper and pencil game. And we thought, okay, we have two choices. Either we show these people that we are capable in doing a good job in converting their game to computer, or we'll blow it. So that is the reason why Blade of Destiny turned out as a real down to the bottoms, down to the basics, tough role playing game.
Is that all the questions? Well, I'm going to the main menu. Go in this. No, 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 no. There. When did you get first involved with computers?
So that was the time where I found my interest in dealing with computers, having those nice things moving on screen, like that. Probably like everybody my age.
What inspired you to write
Started
games?
being trained as a typesetter, but after I finished this training, I was unemployed for almost half a year. So by that time, I was sitting at home going, "Gee, what am I going to do?" And I started writing my first serious program.
What was the first game you
That
designed?
was a text adventure game, like the old Infocom stuff. Because while I really love to play those Infocom things,
I need to make a text adventure game,
exactly,
and it's about you, like, cruising Toontown.
that's what I liked about text adventure games, basically.
How? Okay, yeah, we've done these questions before. Okay. That's good enough for the interview. Oh, God. Let's go to the table of contents and previews. What do we think of this priest guy? Oh, that's Breakthrough. There aren't any priests in Breakthrough. Are there priests in Breakthrough? I don't know.
Take-Two Interactive Software wants to take you on a tour of the hidden supernatural world escorted by the agents of Bureau 13. Based on the pen-and-paper role-playing game by Richard Tuchoka, the CD-ROM promises to combine the flexibility of a computer RPG with the visual power of an animated graphic adventure. In the late 1800s, even the bureaucrats of the United States couldn't deny that some occurrences couldn't be explained, except in terms of the paranormal. Furthermore, the government needed a whole agency to deal with all this weird stuff. What? You've never heard of the Bureau? Don't worry, neither is anyone else. It's highly classified and so does not offer a new answer to the popular civilian question, who you gonna call? The player will have the ability to dig into
What?
the Bureau files and construct a team to investigate and possibly exterminate supernatural entities. On previous cases, some of these creatures have turned out to be benign, or at least not as evil as they could have been, and they ended up joining the Bureau. Your team of talented humans and others will check out all manner of bizarre happenings. Along the way, you'll encounter numerous logic puzzles and opponents to defeat. It's going to get pretty weird, but don't worry, you can handle it. You're professionals. The specifics of the game's storyline are being kept under wraps by Take-Two, but IE has learned that the case begins with the investigation of a renegade member of the Bureau and eventually reveals a high-tech conspiracy. The plot thickens. The game should have considerable replay potential since choosing different members of the team with different skills and powers drastically alters the way the story progresses. The ending may be completely different from game to game, and of course, there's always the possibility of a sequel. Bureau 13 also features a CD-quality rock soundtrack.
Codeman, yeah, actually I had the ducking set up wrong.
Can't have everything. Look for Bureau
But it should be better now. I turned off the ducking source. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I had ducking on weird there, but it should be okay now. Let me know if it happens again. I think the filter should be off. All right, Breakthrough.
While the name Alexei Pajitnov might not ring a bell to most people,
Wrong.
having Swan Lake if you mention his most famous computer creation, Tetris. Spectrum Holobyte has given Pajitnov a signature line of puzzle games starting with Breakthrough. If they're all as fiercely addictive as this one, this nation may never get any work done again. Those clever Russians. While the graphics will certainly remind you of Tetris on first glance, the gameplay of Breakthrough is almost the reverse. You start with a wall of colored bricks and you have to tear it down. Rather than having these lines disappear when they fill up, you have to make all the choices about what to remove when. But you can take only 2 or more bricks of the same color that are touching. Eventually, the background picture is revealed and you can see the inspiration for the game. Your first few screens are in Berlin. These bricks march across the screen from right to left, and you can
Yeah,
move the
I had
whole row with
to
the right
up the
mouse button.
audio.
But if you don't stop them where you want them, they're going to fall anyway, and probably where you really don't want them.
Had to
If you
up
need
the
help with your
desktop
aim,
audio by
hit the
like 10
crosshairs and
decibels.
the handy vertical lines appear. As you can see, there's a lot more to this game than matching blocks. You also have to deal with spiders who block your best efforts and soda cans that can't be matched away. They can
Fucking
only be
soda
blown up.
cans.
That's right, we're talking explosions. You won't be able to finish the level unless you use the bombs and missiles. So much for a nice
Is this
meditative
bombless?
game. As you progress through the levels, you are rewarded with lovely new cityscapes, and the Berlin Wall metaphor is soon long gone. Do you know of any major walls in San Francisco? Anyway, the music also changes to a more
Do
appropriate
you?
theme, and it's a good thing. The Doors-like theme of this screen is much more palatable than the Oompa march you're stuck with in Berlin. You may eventually just want to turn the music off. Breakthrough is definitely a worthwhile start to the Paganoff Signature series. While the game retains the same simplicity and addictiveness of its more famous cousin Tetris, no one is going to call it a knockoff. Pardon the pun, but it's actually
Oh, it's
a
Samegame?
knockdown.
Okay.
So grab your sledgehammer and let's get cracking.
All right, let's try Cyclones.
At the summer CES, we confirmed a creeping suspicion. Everybody who can recognize the state of Texas as being part of the U.S. is writing a first-person shooter to carve themselves a piece of the lucrative kill things market. With Cyclones, SSI may be following the
Okay.
herd. They're doing so with style, grace, and skill.
What's that got to
In
do with
Cyclones,
Texas?
An aggressive alien
I guess
species
we
has
famously
targeted
kill
Earth
things
for
in
conquest.
Texas. That's
To
true.
liberate the planet from its population, the aliens have taken to abducting citizens and turning
Texas
them
is
into
where you go to
cyborg
kill
killing
things.
machines.
That's true.
Earth has no choice but to follow suit. You are one of these Cyclone fighters, armed to the teeth with enough armor and
Oh,
weapons to
it
get
was
the
in
job done.
really?
Well, that is, if you
Wow.
have the talent and the nerve. Cyclones has a lot of things going for it, not the least of which is the intelligent targeting cursor. You target enemies with the mouse while moving with the keyboard. The crosshairs in your cursor change color to reflect threats, doors, and usable
They should
objects.
redo the show
Makes
Dallas,
searching
but
for
it's about
hidden
game
doors much
devs.
less tedious than in Doom and Wolfenstein. One of the most enjoyable facets of this game is the ability to target enemies through windows. Using a building
Cool.
as a safe vantage point to pick off nasties is always a good thing. Of course, this feature can work against you if you're sneaking through an alley past an occupied building. You'll face a wide variety of antagonists in Cyclones. Some will walk right up and pummel you, while others prefer
You
to
know, that-
flash you with laser cannons.
That
from a
happens a lot in
distance.
video
The end result
games.
is always the same, though. You with lots of holes. Practice your quick draw mouse technique because with a little work, you'll be able to pick off aliens from across town. Another feature worthy of praise is the auto map. Pretty much all games of this type have auto maps now, but few are this informative and
That's the kind of
intelligently
cool
designed.
auto
Your
map.
position is shown as a dark red
Yeah,
box
thank
with
you
a
everyone saying
directional
who shot
arrow.
John
A
Romero.
zoomable, rotatable 3D view really helps you get a handle on your location. Structures like walls can be reduced to wire frames, keeping the display uncluttered. Now, despite the vociferous opposition of closed-minded
Yeah,
right-wing
retro is still in
gurus
is definitely still in
everywhere, games seem
Texas.
to be getting bloodier by the hour. Cyclones is no exception, although it doesn't contain the level of violence associated with games like Mortal Kombat and Kasumi Ninja. It does contain enough bloody corpses to keep Doom fans happily blasting away. In a world of
Doom fans, are you always happily blasting away?
A few original games, Cyclone stands out as a solid piece of work. Is it a Doom clone? Well, yes, but it's by far one of the better ones in the works. Most Doom-type games are completely unfavorable in comparison to their father figure. But Cyclones looks to be a
Always
game
be
Doom
blasting,
fans will enjoy
true.
thoroughly. The attack commences this fall.
Dark Sun 2. I wonder if that's related to
If
the...
you read your
No, this is
computer game
different.
gossip, you're probably aware that SSI and role-playing game publisher TSR have parted ways. You may not know
No!
that the terms of the deal still allow for SSI to release sequels of previous AD&D titles. The first of these sequels will arrive later this year in Dark Sun: Wake of the Ravager. The Dark Sun gaming world made its debut on the PC late last year. Shattered Lands, the first Dark Sun title, featured a new, completely mouse-controlled gaming engine, which proved to be much faster and more convenient than SSI's previous interfaces. The addition of psionics for both player characters and NPCs gave Shattered Lands a dose of individuality and made it stand out in a cluttered RPG field. Wake of the Ravager looks very similar to its predecessor. It takes place in the same world and uses the same interface. You begin by building a 4-character party in the character creation screen. The usual
Why is she
race,
dressed like
class,
that?
and alignment choices
She's
are
like
available, but players new to the Dark
going
Sun
to a
world
party.
encounter a new class, Psionicist.
She's like, this is my party toga.
Carried down from Shattered Lands allows you to manually alter your character's attribute scores. Sure, this is cheating, but hey, you pay $50 for a game, you should have the ability to turn your party into a superhuman wrecking crew. You just might need to fidget with your characters a bit before playing, because Ravager throws combat at you from the get-go. While maneuvering about the game world, your party is represented by one icon only. That's of your party's leader. When you enter a hostile situation, though, all 4 characters appear on the screen and you go into combat mode. Fighting is simply a matter of clicking the sword or arrow icon on the enemy you want to engage. Winning combat is considerably
true.
harder. A
DOS,
great deal
Windows
of strategy
gamers,
lies in
very
deciding where
erotically
to move your
charged people.
characters and when to cast which spells from where. A notable characteristic of combat in Dark Sun is that magic and melee are equally important. Obviously, a party of 4 half-giant fighters would make short work of any small monsters they encounter, but against magic users, they're sitting ducks. Several monsters and NPCs in the world of Athos possess psionic or magic ability, so clerics and psionics
I'm watching
can
Gundam.
counteract magical attacks.
They got
and bind
psionics in
any
that.
party. More spells and powers are available in Ravager than in any
But,
previous
like,
SSI title.
They're
In
not
your
dressed
quest to save
sexually.
Athos from the mighty dragon of Urdraxa and his sidekick, the Lord Warrior, your party will come across many NPCs, most of whom will talk to you. Conversations
Are any of
run
these
deep in
NPCs
Ravager,
gay?
and through them, you'll come
If
across
not, no
important
deal.
information. Sure, you'll have to get past a load of generic, unimportant crap before you learn anything you need to know, but that's standard fare in any RPG. All character manipulation can be done from 1 or 2 screens. The inventory screen not only lets you arm, disarm, and clothe your characters, but also lets you click and drag between characters to swap items easily. When the party finds a merchant they want to do business with, this screen is used to buy and sell items also. Purchases can be made by merely dragging an item from the merchant's inventory to your own. Sales are made by dragging the chosen item onto a sell icon.
Yeah.
Each RPG release seems to move closer and closer.
Sorry to
the
call this
ideal.
game
Combining
erotically
the
charged,
perfect
but you
interface
know.
with a deep, structured storyline would set the market on fire. Wake of the Ravager certainly is easy to control, as all aspects of its interface use the mouse only and fit together intuitively. Athos is a huge world indeed, and veteran gamers who complain that existing games are too short will find plenty to feed on here. Calling all Shattered Land fans! Wake of the Ravager looks to be much more of the same. And when we're talking about an SSI TSR game, that's exactly what we want.
More of the same. Love to hear it. All right, Deep Space Nine, The Hunt.
In Deep Space Nine, The Hunt, you must race against time to solve a murder aboard the space station which serves as the setting for the popular television show.
Cool.
In the story, a notorious Cardassian thief named Diridio Lot has been murdered. The hunt of the game's title is for whatever he stole from the Cardassians that got him killed. As the plot unravels, you learn that numerous individuals are in on the search.
Quark?
And the continued survival of the station
Is Quark
depends
involved?
on you getting there first. The designers have gone out of their way to create an adventure game that defies the traditions of the genre. The emphasis is on character interaction and role-playing rather than inventory shuffling. To encourage this, the interface employs a set of 3 personality axes. By manipulating this icon, you can choose to be bold or cautious, curious or circumspect, and greedy or generous. Your attitude influences how
This
other
was never
characters in the game
released.
react to you, so matching the right stance to the right situation
Fuck
is crucial.
God.
The
Fuck it
designers
all.
deliberately chose not to allow you
This
to play
looks so
one of the characters
good.
from the series, although all the characters are present for you to interact with, since they felt this would limit your choices when it came to role-playing. You'll be able to choose a character from one of 4 major races, each of which, again, offers advantages and disadvantages when dealing with specific non-player characters. The game also offers different endings for each of the 4 character types, so there is considerably more replay value than most adventure games. The voice acting is superlative. 5 of the
This
actors
looks
from the
so
show
good,
have
I
been
could
signed
be
to
a
reprise their roles in the
Ferengi.
game. Also, the script for the story is serious, professionally written, and flexible.
Okay,
enough to give the
Harbinger
player
is
a
also a
chance to
murder
work out
mystery?
host of
Okay.
different journeys through the world of DS9. Speaking of the script, it is completely original. The designers felt
Sorry, that
basing
boob
the
window
game's
on her
story
is
an
really
existing
funny to me.
episode of the series
I didn't
will
know the
shut out
Klingons
those
had
potential
boob
players
windows.
who were unfamiliar with the underlying mythos. That isn't to say that everything about the game was created entirely without input from the show, however. The backgrounds for The Hunt were created by painting over digitized photographs of the actual sets from the show. Additionally, the game will incorporate actual digital sound effects taken directly from the show. They say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Hopefully, this adage will prove true for Paramount Interactive, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine The Hunt will be just as engaging as the series on which it's based. Based on the innovations in storyline, interface, and fundamental game design, The Hunt looks as though it could easily give other members of the adventure crop some stiff competition for your gift-giving dollars this holiday season.
Sorry that I was laughing at the boob window lady, but that's just when I think of the proud and strong Klingons, I don't think of like Supergirl outfits.
With the convergence of movies and computer games, it was perhaps inevitable that special effects giant Industrial Light and Magic should eventually get involved in the creation of a game. Who better to produce that game than ILM's sister company, LucasArts?
True.
The Dig's credit list has more names than Heidi Fleiss's Little Black Book.
Wow,
In addition to
Heidi
ILM
Fleiss
doing the special
reference.
effects,
God.
It's based on an unproduced script
Feeling
for an
old.
episode of Steven Spielberg's old Amazing Stories television show. Its story centers around an asteroid which threatens to impact the Earth, doing untold damage to its ecosphere. Now, is it just me? Or
Oh
does
yeah,
it seem
Power
like
Girl's the one with the
94
boob
has
window.
been
Sorry,
the year for
Supergirl.
asteroids
You
blowing
have
up the
normal
Earth?
clothing.
Larry Niven and Jerry Pournelle must be very proud. As Boston
If you hear
Lowe, captain of the
Supergirl, let
Space
her know
Shuttle
I
Atlantis,
apologize.
You are charged with leading the mission to prevent this disaster from happening. The plan is to rendezvous with the asteroid, then place and detonate 2 nuclear devices on its surface. This will deflect the asteroid from its deadly path and into a safe orbit around the Earth.
Wait,
Setting up
that's
and
just the
detonating
plot
charges is a fairly simple
of that
task.
one
Once that's
movie.
accomplished, it's Miller time. Our intrepid adventurers who, having never seen an episode of Amazing Stories, don't know any better and decide to land and take rock samples. As good ideas
Heidi
go, this
Fleiss
ranks
was
right up
known
there with
as
looking in
the
Jason
Hollywood
Voorhees'
Madam.
Father. As they
She
explore a
was
crack
a
opened by
madam
seismic activity in the
in
wake of the
Hollywood.
two nukes,
I think
someone
that
touches
that
the
about
wrong
does all you
thing
need to know about
and
Heidi
bad
Fleiss.
stuff happens. In one of the game's more stunning effects, the asteroid morphs into a dodecahedral alien starship that looks as though it's made of glass. Responding to some ancient programming, the automated starship transports the team light years away to the planet of the ship's origin. Controlling Captain Lowe, you must keep the team's morale up and work to suppress internal squabbling while encouraging the group to work together to decipher the alien technology which can send you and your crew home. The game's interface is a marvel. LucasArts has been continuously improving on their SCUM interface, stripping away unnecessary dreck, replacing words with pictures,
Yeah, this
and
is the
generally
dig.
making them so simple even a prefrontal can understand them. The dig uses a simple, transparent icon bar across the bottom of the screen. When an icon is chosen, it disappears from the icon bar. You pick it up and apply it to the object of your action. The dig is a full multimedia experience from the ground up. The level of voice acting is excellent, and the sound effects are very entertaining. When the characters talk using the radios in their spacesuits, it sounds much like the recordings of the old Apollo missions. The game will also incorporate digitized live-action video footage as well. Perhaps the best thing about the dig is that it breaks the mold. There are no transporters, no hyperdrives, no cyberspace, and no blasters. The gameplay deals with human issues: fear, love, hatred, tragedy, betrayal, heroism. These are the things which mainstream society demands from quality entertainment and are characteristics the dig possesses in abundance. In one scene, a character finds himself in a comic situation which abruptly turns horrifying when you realize that the guy will have to be maimed in order to escape it. These unique elements are rarely seen in a computer game. They lead me to expect great things from the dig when it's released next spring.
All right, the dig, looking good. All right, Doom 2. Anybody hear of this one?
October 10th will be a black day for the world. The gates of hell will open, unspeakable abominations will spew forth, and society as we know it will be forever warped.
Yay.
Yes, it's time for that Village People reunion concert. Well, maybe it won't be that bad, but Doom 2 will be creepy enough.
They shot
Here
the
at IE,
Village
we've been logging
People.
some frantic play hours, so
They
now it's
shot
time
the
once again
Village
to peel back our
People.
public faces and have a good
With a
stare at what
gun.
really makes us tick. Now that the new monsters are in their natural surroundings, it's time to have another look at them. Starting
I
with
would
the
never
chain
shoot the
gun toting
Village People.
ex-human.
Oh my
This guy will
God.
strip you of armor and health quicker than you can say Freddy Farkas furiously frags freaky fiends. The good news is, he's only slightly stronger than the other humans, so a quick blast with the super shotgun will make his bits go splat. That's correct, super shotgun. Fires 2 shells at once in a wider spread than regular shotguns. Need I say more? At least the spider
Say
boss in
more.
the
Tell me
first
all
doom
about the
was
shotgun,
confined to
bro.
one room. These smaller ones can actually chase you around,
Like,
blasting
who
you
are
with a
they?
chain
Are they
gun
shooting?
all the while. This shot will show
I don't
you the
know.
actual
You
size
just couldn't do
difference,
that
as well as give you a
nowadays.
tip on how to deal with them. 3 or 4 rockets
Nowadays,
in the
they
face
wouldn't
works
let
pretty
you
well, too.
you shoot the
Have you ever
village
been sitting
people.
around the house and been struck with the urge to puke up a flaming skull? Well, that's what the new
Sometimes.
cacodemons do instead of shooting ball lightning. Unless you have a good long-range weapon, these guys are tough to get rid of without taking some damage yourself. They seem to have about the same strength as the older cacodemons, but it's hard to tell with all these lost souls getting in the way. And if you're a fan of those older cacodemons, don't worry, they're still floating around and making more trouble than ever. He may be big and stupid, but he's a real bruiser. The dual plasma guns of Mr. Flabodemon here will make you wish you'd stuck
Flabodemon,
with
huh?
Commander Keen. He tends to shoot bursts of 3, then move around a bit, giving you time to lash out. 8 shotgun shells at medium
Yeah, I'm the
range,
guy
3
shooting in
rockets,
the air
or
at the
about
Village
30
People
plasma
concert.
shells
Actually,
to turn
scratch
them
that.
into a
I'm
couple
never
of
doing
big,
anything like
ugly
that at a
goons.
concert.
When I first heard that id were creating a monster that shoots guided missiles, I thought it was too cruel for words. It's still cruel, but not as impossible as I'd thought. A missile will rob you of about 60% of your health if you don't have armor, but you can avoid them. They don't track around corners and must maintain a line of sight with you. 6 shotgun shells or 3 to 4 missiles will put Bones here back in his box for good. The Archvile puts
Cheat
all
shit,
the other
Bones.
creatures to shame. Any fallen monster he comes in contact with will be resurrected. If that's not bad enough, he'll hit you with a lightning blast that's like taking a BFG in the face. Say goodbye to about 83% of your life. If you can dodge the BFG hit and get into striking position, you can expect to use about 7 rockets or 40 or so plasma shells to shut this guy down. He's not all that tough to kill. Getting that opportunity is the hard part. As cool as the new monsters are, the real stars of Doom 2 will be the levels themselves. As challenging as the old levels were, they were merely a child's experimental doodle compared with the artistry that will mutilate your
An
frail mind and
experimental
body come
doodle.
October. In the 30-odd missions, you'll go from a space station to the cities of Earth, and finally back to Hell. Puzzles abound, as do large gangs of painful things with an appetite for your spinal fluid. John Romero and Sandy Peterson not only enjoy pulling nasty tricks on us, they've gotten really good at it too. One example is this innocent-looking hall located near the start of one of the city levels.
Bet this hall's
Everything
fucked up.
looks fine until you try to walk. Suddenly, the floor sinks beneath your feet, dropping you into a pit filled with NRA representatives. More than ever, Doom 2 will test your crowd control skills. Here's another example of creative pain and suffering. In this room filled with deaf barons of hell, you must run down a corridor lined with barrels before the Pig Boy Brigade notices you and touches the whole thing off.
Fucking Pig Boy
Good news is,
Brigade.
they'll toast
I'm always
themselves
getting
in the
brigaded by the
blast.
Pig
Bad
Boys.
news is, one false step and you won't clear the barrels in time. Pork barbecue, anyone? Guts, guts, and more guts, and a lot of them will be yours. Doom 2 is just a teleport pad away, and only hell-hardened veterans need apply. When hell hits the shelves again, look to IE for a full review and unholy amounts of tips, secrets, and strategies. Until then,
Unholy.
just try to think of IDKFA as a tool, not a cheat. And here's another clue.
What do you think he said? I'm not gonna reverse it. I bet he said, they're called the Hell Knights, not what he called them. Whatever. I'm gonna call them, what do you call them? The Death Barons of Hell. I'm gonna call them that.
Prepare to strike a blow for justice in Genome.
Did
In
Todd
it, you
Porter
play
work on
Joshua
this?
Cullen, a war hero and sheriff of a fringe section of the galaxy. It's your responsibility to maintain law and order, which is why you're a little troubled when hunters from the planet Ruellen start turning up without all of their most important body parts. You travel to this homely little wasteland of a planet to learn that some nasty beast, which bears some superficial resemblance to supposedly extinct species, has been attacking hunting parties and killing off the hunters who seem to have a problem with this disruption of the natural order of things. Naturally, the victimized hunters
Didn't come out
enlist
until
the aid of the
97,
sheriff
wow.
to, hunt down this menace. On his journey, Joshua encounters several interesting citizens
Is
of
it
the
any
planet
good?
Ruellen. First, there's the Brim Gang, who try to extort a toll from him. A bunch of spies try to make his life miserable, and there's some various hermit-like individuals who try to use him for unauthorized medical experiments. Okay, I embellished that one a little, but he does run into some cool-looking aliens and mutants. Billed as an interactive movie, Genome will feature digitized video superimposed
fine,
over
not
rendered
amazing.
sets and
Okay.
backdrops. The backdrops themselves are amazing, as you can see from the selection of images here. KOP Media, the creators of the game, have elected to employ some local talent. Local to Dallas, Texas, that is.
Oh,
Instead
it's
of blowing their
Dallas?
budget on
Okay.
big names, but
Why
they
were there
assure us
so
that
many
they've managed
devs
to
in
find some great
Dallas?
unknowns to breathe life into the roles. Filming on the game is scheduled to begin in October.
I like how I have
All
no
this
interest in
digitized
something until it
live-action
becomes
rendered
Texan,
cinematic
and then I have
interactive
super
movie
interest.
might lead you to believe that's all you'll find. A shiny surface gloss with no substance behind it. According to Todd Porter, the primary creative force behind the story and the game's design, sacrificing gameplay for graphic beauty is something that should have disappeared with CGA. While the storyline will feature some puzzle solving and vehicular action sequences, the bulk of the gameplay will revolve around interaction with the many interesting and unique characters in the game. To this end, Genome will incorporate a novel approach to interacting with other characters. Instead of selecting a response from a list of choices, you decide on the attitude Joshua will adopt when replying. What he actually says will then come as something of a surprise. This system is fairly unique, having been seen before only in Access Software's
This game needs a gay
forthcoming
meter
Unreal
so you could turn it up and make
will
it
be interesting
gay.
to see how well it works and whether it adds as much to replay value as it is expected to. If you happen to like graphic beauty, rest assured that Genome has it in abundance. The amazing textures and alien-looking yet realistic structures might lead you to believe that the rendering was accomplished using SGIs. Actually, based on what the designers are willing to reveal, it sounds like most of the work was done with plain old 3D Studio. When all else is said and done, Genome looks fantastic. The animation of the 3D rendered vehicles is incredibly lifelike and has already turned heads at the summer CES. With the addition of an interesting background and story, Genome should prove to be a great release from Merit Software during the second quarter of 1995.
Would you say this game has merit? Sorry. All right, let's go to hell. Oh, it's hell a cyberpunk thriller. Oh, whoa, oh. Wake up, everybody. It's hell a cyberpunk thriller.
Every April 15th, many an otherwise loyal citizen is tempted to tell their government
Merit
to
went out of business
go to
before they
hell.
could publish it.
Well, one
Good.
of the tables were turned, and the government not only told its disruptive citizens this, but actually had the power to send them straight to the fiery pits. This is the frightening idea behind Take-Two's Hell, a cyberpunk thriller. The player takes the part of either Gideon or Rachel, former investigators for the theocratic
Nude.
government. Incidentally, this means that the church and state are one and the same, and it has nothing whatsoever to do with a guy named Theo. Anyway, our hero and heroine are now being pursued by their former employers. The official charge is sins against the state, but nothing more specific. Does the name Franz Kafka ring a bell? Eventually, of course, the
No,
player
we're
is
thinking of
banned to the
Kafka
title
here?
location. Well, technically, only the character is, but there are some
Hey, you wanna get
fundamentalist
spiked?
groups out there who
Everyone
believe
else is
they love
doing
the
it.
place. If
You
thought it
certainly
was
wanna get
difficult
spiked,
figuring out
right?
What was going on before, try
Get
it in the
spiked.
land of eternal
Come on.
torment. I understand
Come on.
the heat can be a
Spike
mite
me.
distracting. For that
Spike-
matter,
I mean
mites-
spike you.
Oh, well, we're getting into a whole other unpleasant area here. As is often the case, the situation
Yeah, great
is not
crotches in
quite as
that.
cut and dried as your government would have you believe. Despite appearances, it's very likely that they don't actually have control over the nether regions, and have instead...
They
sent you
certainly try to
somewhere
have
that
control
just
of nether
looks
regions,
sufficiently
though, with
evil
some of
to
those
do
rendered
in a pinch.
crotches.
This basic concept, combined with the gorgeous 3D Studio graphics, would really make for an intriguing game. But Take-Two has also mixed in the talents of celebrities like Dennis Hopper, Grace Jones, Stephanie Seymour, and Jeffrey Holder, known universally as the Uncola Guy. Ha 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 ha. Kind of makes your mouth water, doesn't it? Dennis Hopper is certainly the most distinguished of these. He's been working in film since Rebel Without a Cause in 1955 and has been seen as recently as this summer's action hit, Speed. In Hell, Hopper lends his voice to the role
The
of
suit!
Mr. Beautiful, a sinister, unpredictable
The hair!
wise guy first encountered in the back room of a
The
speakeasy, but
horns!
eventually following the player
This
all the
whole
way to the
setup!
Inferno. Supermodel Stephanie Seymour's name has been
Whoa!
linked with that
Look
of
at that!
Axl Rose, all too often in
Boing.
recent headlines. But in Hell, she will prove once again that she's a formidable personality without any help from Guns N' Roses. Seymour plays Rachel, one of the two protagonists, and will be featured in full video in the game's introduction. Grace Jones has demonstrated her talents as a model, a singer, and an actress in such films as Boomerang, Vamp, and A View to a Kill. And her trademark combination of sensuality and brutality will play an important part in Hell. Jones takes on the role of Celine Salux, the leader of the Hand of God Party, which rules the United States in 2095. When players try to get information from the government-controlled computers,
Yeah,
they
is
will be
Grace Jones
answered by
the demon?
familiar resonant tones of Jeffrey Holder. While his 7-Up commercials may come most readily to mind, he's also distinguished himself in such films as Boomerang and Live and Let Die.
God, everyone
All
in
all,
Boomerang is in
Hell,
this.
A cyberpunk thriller promises a powerful combination of star power, political intrigue, horror, and good old-fashioned paranoia. It'll be making its way to your software store on October 1st, so you'll be sure to have a copy in time for Halloween.
Right.
Bingo! Pasta with all sorts of different sauces.
Ha! Bingo. All right, let's go to Heretic.
Are you tired of rushing through the shores of hell, getting knee-deep in the dead, or being caught in the middle of an inferno in the hit shareware game Doom? Well, thankfully, id Software, the design team behind Doom, has licensed their incredible 3D engine to 2 development teams. One of those teams is Raven Software, the creators of Black Crypt and Shadowcaster. Raven's first shareware game for id Software is entitled Heretic. Now, let me guess. You're asking yourself, what exactly is a heretic? Hey!
I went to Catholic school. I know what a heretic is.
A heretic isn't really a thing, but rather a situation where you disobey the laws of the church and are considered a skeptic. In this game, you assume the role of a magical elf on a quest to clear his name of being a heretic. Sure, that's a little convoluted, but what counts here is 3D action, and there's lots of it. When Raven started to design Heretic, they wanted it to flow like Doom in the action department, but be distinctly different in design. Thus, they came up with a fantasy setting. There are no more BFGs or machine guns. Those have now been replaced with mystical crossbows and other undescribable weapons. Weapons will also have a power-up mode, resulting in
like the
double number
HUD.
of weapons compared to Doom. The fantasy setting has allowed Raven to go all out in the design of levels and enemies, so look for some very ingenious and unique elements in the finished product. Perhaps the biggest improvement over the Doom engine is the ability to look up and down on a 40-degree angle. As shown here in this preview footage of the game, players will be able to shoot more accurately and better see the surrounding environment, all courtesy of this new feature. Another amazing enhancement occurs on the volcano level, where lava actually erupts from the volcanoes, which can hurt players and enemies. The enemies in Heretic range from a flying red devil to a knight which throws axes. There's even a wrapped-up mummy to battle. Raven
mummy?
is trying to improve upon the artificial intelligence.
That's what video games are missing now, mummies.
And possibly giving them each more than one attack pattern. Another subtle but impressive improvement over Doom is the auto map.
Think of it. When's the last time you saw a good mummy?
With a nice marble texture background. This auto map will come in very handy during the game, as some of the levels are truly gigantic in size and scope. The registered version will be structured identically.
Does that metaphor Fantasio have a mummy in it? No. So why bother?
Feature is the inclusion of an inventory window. Unlike Doom, where you automatically used an item.
Oh, they were changed to golems, so they're not even mummies in this? Well, what the fuck?
The designers are not sure if they'll pull this feature.
That's what's gonna set this country back on track. Mummies. All over the place. You know who's adding mummies? That Epic Universe, Dark Universe. They're gonna have mummies. It'll fix things. It'll fix everything. Every problem you've ever had, add a mummy to it. Boom, fixed.
Demonstrated here, flight will allow players.
Rent's too high, get a mummy.
That would be inaccessible from the ground. Imagine playing a deathmatch game where
landlord wants to raise your rent, just point at the mummy. Rent will stay the same.
Heretic looks very impressive. Raven has taken the opportunity to create a very unique game and not just a replica of Doom. There are distinct elements in this title which will surely impress most 3D game fans. Most importantly, don't get the impression that this game is a role-playing title. It's not. Raven stresses that this is really a pure action game with a fantasy slant to it. Stay tuned for Heretic, because it's certainly going to produce some hair-raising havoc later this year.
Hair-raising havoc. Jeroen Alien Logic.
SSI will soon release the first title in their new series, Sky Realms of Jeroen. While there are tasks to be accomplished in the new game, Alien Logic,
I really like
this
image.
Puzzle has to be solved in the right order.
Do you think they're married?
We spend a lot of time just exploring the rich and bizarre setting. The story begins in the year 2123, when Earth scientists discovered a new planet ripe for colonization. Unfortunately, there was already a population there. 2, actually. The planet, named Jeroen after its discoverer, was home to both the enigmatic Shantha race and their inquisitive neighbors, the Thriddle. The humans decided to go ahead and colonize.
Wolfman
but
going to
the
labor
same year that the
strike in this
colonists
game?
shipped all
Okay,
landed on
okay,
Jabun,
okay, I'm
a terrible war
interested.
destroyed the rest of the Earth's population. This not only meant that the supply ships wouldn't be coming, but that the Jabun colony was now the last remnant of humanity. The humans got more belligerent and started clearing large areas of native vegetation for a food crop. In this process, they crossed many borders that had been laid down in agreement with the Shantha. The colonists had no way to know it, but they were claiming ancient Shanthic burial grounds as their own.
Shouldn't have claimed
began
it.
Another very potent and short war between the humans with their biological weapons and the Shantha. The Shantha were far from helpless. While they did not have bombs or guns, they had the aggressive technology left to them by their ancestors. It allowed them to draw
Yeah,
power
this
from
game
an
looks
energy
good.
field that surrounded Jarun and weave orbs of power that decimated the human population. The Shantha call this power Isho. On the barren planet Earth, it might have been called magic. Flash forward 3,500 years. You're a descendant of these brave and foolhardy colonists. While Earth technology has not been lost, it is also not advanced since the war. The humans live in grudging coexistence with the Shantha and Thriddle, but there are more diverse races around. Some of these races are also
Wow, look at
travelers from
him.
distant planets. Others started
What
as the research of a human bioengineer and have been
If a
evolving
wolf
over the
said
last
that to
3
me,
millennia.
I would die
You are
so
one of the very
fast.
small percentage of humans with the ability to use Isho, though not with the skill of a Shantha.
I like
To
the
gain
wolf.
more skills,
Time to
must travel
die.
to Weave World and learn to weave different kinds of orbs or daishas. Isho is a very flexible energy. It lets you launch fireball-like missiles at an opponent or deflect his attacks. It can also imprison him in energy bands or drain his power. But the Isho also allows for almost instantaneous travel around Jarun by warping. There are warp doors hidden at different spots. They take you here to Warp World, and then you can hop to any of the other warps marked like this. As you explore the cities and woodlands of Jarun,
I like
you'll
that
get lots of
guy.
chances
He
to
reminds
talk
me
with the
of
different races and to
Alien
gather more
Joe
information
Camel.
about the planet and its
It looks like he's
mysterious
going to
energy.
teach me how to
The
smoke.
graphics are stunning both for the landscape and the beings you encounter. Alien Logic will be released this winter. It combines fantasy and science fiction elements and is part graphic adventure and part role-playing game. Hopefully, this will not be the last adventure from SSI among the sky realms of Jarun.
All right, what about Lode Runner? We all know about Lode Runner. The classic. The classic Lode Runner. The classic.
It's hard to do an updated version of a classic game without really
What did I just
screwing
say?
things up.
Classic.
There's always some angry traditionalist out there ready to squash any new version of his antiquated favorite. Someone's bound to complain about the new Dynamics version of Lode Runner, but for the life of me, I can't see why. For those of you unfamiliar with this classic action strategy game from the Apple and Commodore 64 era, let me sum up. You're this guy, and you have to run around and collect all the treasure on each level while avoiding the guards who want to make minced pixel pie out of you. Once you round up all the treasure, the exit will appear. Get to it, and you're off to the next level. Simple? Yes. Easy? Not quite, avid listener. The guards will pursue you relentlessly. Although not exactly smart, they are tireless. You can trick them into trapping themselves, or you can plant them in the ground for a quick getaway. Armed with a blaster, you can shoot a hole in some types of terrain. Any guard rushing to greet you will take a dive straight into your newly constructed pit. You can then walk right over his head and gain valuable seconds as he tries to climb out. After completing a group of levels, you're rewarded with an animated cutscene. These scenes are some of the funniest things
Yeah,
I've
it
seen
seems
in
like
Windows.
Lode Runner.
Way more entertaining than the Al Gore screensaver package, and the animation quality
The
is
Al
better
Gore
than most of
screensaver
today's
package?
Saturday morning spew. One addition not seen in the old game is the use of keys.
Bingo!
These
Pasta
further
with all sorts of
complicate
different
levels
sauces.
that use them
The-
by making you snap
the
an
Al
extra
Gore-
item after you get the treasure.
Chat.
Like in the level shown here, these keys are usually placed in areas that
What?
will require some creative digging on your part. Another new item is the gas canister. When mean-spirited guards are closing in,
Al
a
Gore
spurt of this stuff
screensaver.
will change their disposition. These guys aren't rocket scientists to begin with, and a whiff of these fuming vapors, they'll be reduced to drooling, fumbling idiots for enough time to make an escape. Not to start a trend or anything, but let's talk about another new element. Teleporters. To belabor the obvious, teleporters move you from one place to another. This can act as a quick escape from guards who can't follow you through. Even better, this opens up even more possibilities for weird and twisted level designs that die-hard fans of this game should love. The inclusion of a level editor is bound
Like,
to
the thing is, I
reawaken
don't know if they're
cult of
joking about the
half-crazed
Al Gore
Lode Runner editing
screensaver
gods
pack,
still out there. This
or
routine
you know,
is
they're making a funny
all-powerful
goof,
and
or if it's a
extremely
real
easy
thing that I
use.
need to watch
Using
out
tools
for.
Similar to a paint program,
I
you can
fear
create
it.
fantastic levels in just a few easy steps, producing results much more impressive than the pitiful example seated before you. Due for release in August for DOS and Windows a month later on CD, Dynamics' version of Lode Runner is bound to please about 99.9% of the game's original fans and attract a horde of fresh puzzle game lovers. With its fantastic SVGA graphics, great music and sounds, delightful animations, and brain-tweezing puzzles, Lode Runner is ready to become a phenomenon all over again.
Da, 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 da. Okay, what about Panzer General?
Soon to be rolling across retail counters across the country will be the first in a new series of games developed by the internal design group at SSI. Panzer General will be SSI's first
Ooh, it's got
strategy war game
hexes.
with super VGA graphics. In Panzer General, you assume the role of a German general stationed in Poland in 1939. The game starts you out on Hitler's road to hell. However, you have the ability
I love to
change
set off on
history for
Hitler's
better
road to
or
hell.
for worse. You control land and air forces against the triad of Allied resistance, and while you can turn the tide and
I bet
actually
Lode
win
Runner
the
purists
campaign,
actually
it certainly
exist.
won't be easy. In scenario mode, you have control over which side you play and which side the computer plays. Or you can even watch the computer match AI wits with its bad self, which is a good way to pick up pointers. In campaign mode, you automatically assume the position of a Nazi general, and then you're off to conquer Poland. The interface is simple enough to work with, and it is intuitive enough to guide you through the game without any undue time in the manual. Panzer General is a
What did the
turn-based
Lode Runner
game with
fans
each
think of
turn
Panzer
cycling
General?
through each unit. The active unit's operational area is highlighted to display moving and attack options. Units can either move and shoot or vice versa. With the exception of air units, a unit must be in an adjacent
Yeah,
path to
the road to
attack.
hell.
Animations that take place during attack give
you
a
can skip the line with
simplified version
Fast
of the
Pass if you want to do the
outcome.
road to
Air
hell.
and tank units have the greatest operating range and will help give your personal strategy a variety of attack and defense options. Artillery units have a very limited range unless they're attached to a motor unit. I found my artillery was best used to guard invaded cities. As the game progresses and as your successes pile up, you acquire prestige points, which you can convert into troop replacements and purchasing additional units. You'll
Yeah,
need them, as
I
the
will
Yanks
leave
aren't just
Poland
going to let
alone,
you
thank
move in
you.
and take over. And if you do take over, you'll probably have to fend off an attack or two as the Allies try to retake your newly acquired territory.
Okay,
Panzer
so
General
that
is
would explain
another
why I've
first
actually
for
heard of Panzer
SSI,
General
as
if it
their
was
first
like
war game to feature super VGA
very different from the
graphics.
other
It
ones in that it
features
was
some very
accessible.
attractive animation sequences. However, if you're
Well, maybe I'd
purist
like
who's
Panzer General.
convinced
Maybe I
war games
want to
should be
invade. I don't
ugly,
want to
you
invade
can turn the
Poland.
animations off. But most reasonable people probably won't. I mean, just look and decide for yourself. It took me a while to understand that not every unit is suited to attack any other unit. I thought it could strafe an allied unit and eliminate a potential pain, but my air units always seem to miss. No doubt, the final release will pack features unknown at this time, and you can rest assured that we'll be taking it for a test drive when it becomes available.
Okay, Panzer General sounds all right. What's
The
Quarantine?
current crop of computer games already includes Doom clones galore. Wouldn't it be nice if someone found a new way to do a fast-paced, first-person, gore-filled shoot-'em-up? Welcome to Game Tech's Quarantine. Some might call it Doom in a taxicab.
Oh, Game Tech.
With an attitude. The game takes place in Chemo City, described as a prosperous city on the east coast of the United States and the hover car capital of the world. In other words, the worst aspects of New York City and Detroit have been combined. Joy. In the year 2022, the crime problem in Chemo's ghettos is so bad that the powers that be decide that any law enforcement would be both futile and frivolous. So they declare Chemo a demilitarized zone and
Cool,
wall it up so nobody
demilitarized.
gets outside. Your tax dollars at work, ladies and gentlemen. Flash forward 25 years, and a new pacification drug has been secretly mixed into Chemo's water supply. Much to the government's surprise, the water was so fouled up anyway that the pollutants mixed with a drug to create a virus that turns almost everyone into homicidal loonies. You are
Oh,
Drake
the old
Edgewater,
zombie
Chemo
thing.
City
Okay,
tax driver,
okay.
and you have the good sense to want to get the heck out of Dodge. Obviously, this is not an easy task, but you do have your trusty modified 52 checker hover cab, complete with machine guns in the headlights. So, do you just
I was going to
charge
ask,
through
how
the
do you
empty
get into a
streets,
flying
mowing
car? I
down
guess it
every
has
other
to,
car
it can
and
go
pedestrian
down,
in
but
sight? Yeah,
I would
pretty
assume it'd
much.
be too
But
far
every
in
now
the
and
air
then
to
you
be able to
pick up
get in.
passengers and deliver them as quickly as possible to their destination. If they turn out to be dangerous or just plain annoying, you can always use the ejector seat. Passengers are important because they give you cash, and you can use that cash to continue the modifications on your cab These modifications include heat-seeking missiles, buzzsaw blades, and lots of other stuff that would
Yeah,
make
I haven't
speed
played
breakthroughs
this.
rule.
It seems
To get out
interesting,
of
though.
Kimo, you're going to have to make
I
it
like the
all
taxi
way through
elements.
to the wharf on the coast, the only place that isn't completely walled off. The only way there is through the downtown, the park, the old part of town, and the projects. It's a good thing you have your map with you. The controls are versatile, and sometimes just plain silly. When you run out of bullets, you can
Just
always
plain
just honk your
silly.
horn at roadhogs. And don't forget to make liberal use of that curse key. I mean, you're a cab driver, for crying out loud. While this is certainly not going to be an easy game, you'll get lots of cheap satisfaction from running over nameless, helpless pedestrians. Or if you prefer,
Hooray,
you
running
can
over
mow them down with any
pedestrians.
of your weapons and see an appropriately hideous effect. Ah, sweet carnage. Start your engines now, if you like. But quarantine isn't going to be released until November.
And Robinson's Requiem.
At times, it seems like we could fill an entire episode of IE with first-person adventures and shooters. If you can't get enough of Doom & Company, feast your eyes on ReadySoft's upcoming
Doom and
adventure
Company.
title,
Delightful
Robinson's Requiem.
sitcom name.
With less emphasis on combat and more on survival and exploration, this game may be a tad bit more original than it seems at first. You play a Robinson, a code-named member of AWE, or Alien World Exploration. You're dropped off on an untamed planet at the beginning of the game, with your main objective being to find a way out. Of course, this isn't an opportunity that presents itself immediately, since you have to confront disease, starvation, raving lunatics, and other perils. Although the game's interface is based on a first-person perspective, it doesn't really resemble the Doom Wolfenstein type. Bordering the view screen are a vertical icon bar and a horizontal inventory bar. This works nicely as all aspects of adventure gameplay can be easily accessed via a mouse click. Your character even possesses one of those handy 79 function watches which include the time, temperature, weather, your heart rate, and levels of bodily fluids. I wish I had something like that. It's good that you possess this device because there are so many ways to die in this game that every conceivable internal and external
pee meter?
event must be monitored closely.
Like,
Unlike
that's what I
Doom,
assume
where a
they
bite
mean
or
with
claw
bodily
from a monster
fluids.
simply takes off hit points, Robinson's Requiem throws disease and infection into the mix as well. Now, where is that medical kit? Luckily, weaponry and armor are around for the finding, usually after you defeat a fellow human.
Pee yourself
a
in
neat
this?
twist included in the inventory system lets you actually
I'm so
create your own
curious.
items or cause new things to happen. On the simple side, combining a match with fuel starts a fire. But more complex things such as clothing and machinery can be manufactured as well if you have the right parts. Movement is accomplished via a set of arrow icons.
Did
Clicking
Dick
and holding out a
Tracy
direction
predict the
with left mouse
smartwatch?
button causes your character to walk, while using the right button makes him run, and using both buttons makes him crawl. The other two buttons cause you to look up or down. This system can be confusing at first and certainly isn't as easy as just moving the mouse in the direction you want to travel. Robinson's Requiem takes place in the 22nd century.
I think Dick
and the
Tracy
cyber future
predicted
motif is
prune
evident
face.
throughout. All players
And
animals are
people in the
scientifically
future
made,
having
and
prune
handheld
faces.
Computers are standard equipment on every human being. In fact, in addition to the functions I've already mentioned, your Sesame computer also automaps as you walk. In
Ooh,
topological
automap.
fashion, different altitudes are represented by different colors on the map. You can even travel while looking at the map so you can see your path being drawn. Be warned, however, that having this map doesn't make the game much easier. There's still the problem of knowing what you're supposed to do, which only trial and error will solve. If you crave naivete, though, then Robinson's Requiem might become
I do
your
crave
favorite. It has all the
naivete.
elements of a hit. Good graphics, good sound, and a lot to see. Only true experts may ever get
Violent
a chance to see it all, though.
traumatism. Chat, violent traumatism. Violent traumatism.
Apogee has
I've
long
heard
been
of Rise of the
king
Triad.
shareware
I've heard of
games.
this
Now they're
game.
getting ready to redefine their own standards with Rise of the Triad, their new first-person shooter scheduled for release in October. Weighing in at 20 megs uncompressed, this will be the beefiest shareware game
I
ever.
crave
You play a member
naivete
of
and
the
violent
HUT, the high-risk
traumatism.
United Nations Task Force. You've been sent on a recon mission to an island 20 miles west of LA, investigating
Look at these
cult activity
nerds.
in an old monastery. Naturally, things don't stay quiet for long. The cult attacks, destroying Los Angeles, and you're left with only one course of action. I think you know what I'm getting at here. Apogee has finally kissed the Wolfenstein
Mwah.
engine goodbye, and taken some leaps past the Doom engine in the process. Light sourcing and diminishing will be used extensively, and so will a parallax scrolling sky. You'll also be able to look up and down. As you can see, environmental effects like fog will also add to the tone of the game. Not to be outdone by the likes
Two
of
Gun.
Mortal
They call me
Kombat,
Two Gun
Apogee
Jim.
has digitized the characters in Triad from 10 real-life actors. Of course, digitized actors are no fun unless you can reduce them to steaming gobs of death pudding. The 9 weapons at your disposal will include firebombs, split missiles, flame walls, and other love trinkets of mass destruction. One of
Love
the true joys of
trinkets.
first-person shooters is watching people come apart in new and interesting ways. I'm happy to say that Rise of the Triad will give blood a high priority. The level of violence can be adjusted from low to gut-blasting excessive, and a parental password will be included. The levels you'll fight through include objects never seen before in a game of this ilk. 15 different hazards will be implemented, including fire jets, spin blades, and fire chutes. You'll also use jump pads to bound into the air, and auto tracking will be included to allow you to waste enemies even when they're on the ground or hurtling through the sky. Doom proved that killing is best when it's your real-life buddy you splatter all over the wall. Heeding this important device, Apogee has designed Triad to include a 2-player mode with either modem or
What if I
serial
don't want to
cable. They
splatter
will
my
also include
buddies?
20 additional levels designed solely for human-to-human carnage.
Sorry to say it,
What
but the
this
only
world
place I'm
needs is
splattering
another
people is at
violent
the
game that we can
bathhouse.
waste countless hours of time playing without accomplishing anything in the real world. Looks like this is it. Rise of the Triad looks hot, and with the popularity of first-person shooters, there's little doubt that Apogee will have yet another shareware hit on their hands this fall. As always, we'll keep you posted on any unsavory details we manage to uncover between now and then.
Hey, what else we got? Okay, only a few more here. Let's go. Star Crusader.
As a company, Take-Two hasn't been around for all that long, but that doesn't mean they don't know how to make good games. Take-Two's Star Crusader is a Wing Commander-style strategy action game that's actually much more than just another Wing Commander clone. When you first watch the demo or read the literature on this game, the plot appears to be a hokey story thrown together after the game has
Wow, look
already
at that
been complete.
chin.
A jumble of space vocabulary
Wow.
and made-up funky names. Fortunately, with a
No,
little
no,
more
no, no, no,
investigation
go back to the
and a little
guy.
patient listening, one finds out that the plot of Star Crusader is in fact an intricate tale that tells of a powerful conquering race that has taken over most of the universe and is trying to impose their views and values on other alien races. Your point of view on their actions all depends on what side you decide to take. The Gareen Empire is the powerful race that practically rules the universe. However, the Gareens do stumble across new races on occasion. When they do find new territory, they attempt to peacefully negotiate an alliance with the new alien races and teach them their proven way of existence. Unfortunately, if the alien races reject the good intentions of the Gareens, their worlds are usually taken by force. Even though the Gareens' values and intentions seem like good ones, they're almost always rejected, leading to a confrontation on almost every occasion. When it comes down to the actual game, the new territory that the Gareens have stumbled upon is the Ascalon Rift,
The
a group
Purple
of planets
Planet.
consisting of
I like
10
it.
alien races. Since diplomacy has failed, the Gareens decide to force the Ascalon Rift to submit and join the Empire. Even though many of the alien races in the Ascalon Rift have been warring with each other for centuries, they decide to work together to try and repel the Gareen conquest. While the Gareens are bent on conquering the Ascalon Rift, they do not wish to see millions of people killed in a bloody war. Their plan is to send a
Why
crack squadron
not?
of attack ships into the rift and weaken the alliance enough so that it'll break up, setting the stage for a negotiated settlement. A huge space station that would essentially enable the
Okay,
Gareens to
look
crush
at
the
that
Ascalon Rift is
outfit.
to be completed in 6 months. But the
Very
crack
worm-like
squadron is given
cape.
only 3 months to break the alliance.
He looks like he's gonna retract his neck and go into his hidey
The Gareens may be
hole.
pushy, but they're not an evil race. As the player, you can choose either side. With the Gareen Empire, you would control the crack squadron sent into the Ascalon Rift.
He
The
does
player
look like he's
doesn't
wearing a
just fly
toilet.
as a
Toilet
fighter
man,
pilot
toilet
anymore,
cape.
As in Wing Commander, he or she becomes the leader of whatever side the player chooses. As for the gameplay, the action sequences are a lot like Frontier Elite or X-Wing, but with more graphic detail on the polygons. Each ship is covered with beautiful texture maps. There are over 100 different missions that can be flown. Each mission can be affected by several different things. For instance, there may be an asteroid field to be flown through. Navigating a nebula affects your electrical systems, making the task of targeting other ships nearly impossible while cutting your firing range in half. The graphics are different, but well done. The voices are
Graphics
good,
look fine.
and the
I don't think they're
rendering
that
cinematics look
different.
sharp. With the incredible variety in missions, the addition of strategy, and the choice of choosing your sides, Star Crusader should be an incredibly replayable game.
Cool explosion. Cool explosion. Alright, what about Star Trek The Next Generation Interactive?
While the original Star Trek was a show with a small but dedicated cult following, the sequel series Star Trek The Next Generation is a bona fide mainstream hit. Now, after 7 incredible years, the television show is finished, but the movies are just beginning. Coinciding
Movies
with
are
the
just
first
beginning,
Next
folks.
Generation film, Simon & Schuster Interactive is boldly going where no publisher has gone before with the release of Star Trek, The Next Generation Interactive Technical Manual. While there is certainly no lack of games based on the Trek series, including its latest incarnation, Deep Space Nine, this product does not fall into that category. It's based on the highly successful printed technical manual and lets you take a close look at the best gadgets that 24th century technology has to offer. While the book was limited to blueprints and photographs, the interactive technical manual lets you stroll the corridors of the Enterprise with lots of quick-time movies. If you want to take a closer look at an item, just point and click, and the manual will give you all the information you need to know. Of course, we're not just talking about the layout of a fictional ship here. This is a very real television set, and there are lots of
Pretty sure I've
scattered
shown
around
something
the
like
ceiling.
this off.
On the inaugural plaque, look for Admiral Gene Roddenberry's name. Roddenberry was the original creator of Star Trek. Star Trek The Next Generation has brought science fiction fandom into the mainstream in a way that rivals the success of Star Wars. The interactive technical manual will allow all those fans a unique look at an American phenomenon. Look for it this November.
And last but not least, a game I've never heard of. Warcraft?
War games used to be just for ex-military types who know every little detail about armed conflict, right down to the size of Patton's jockeys. Not anymore. Thankfully, the industry has broadened its horizons and started designing accessible games that bring out the armchair general in all of us. Blizzard Entertainment's Warcraft is a terrific example to be of this
Warcraft,
genre.
yeah.
Warcraft is a medieval fantasy war game pitting humans against orcs. What sets this game apart from its brethren is that Warcraft is played entirely in real time, like last year's hit Dune 2. The designers of Warcraft wanted to take what they felt were the strongest elements of previous successes like Warlords 2 and Dune 2 and combine
Yeah,
them
I'd
into
hang out
one
on.
project.
I want to
To
hang out on
complement
the
its
Deep
fantasy
Space
setting,
Nine.
this sequel
That
of the
seems
game will
sick,
feature a multitude
honestly.
of cutscenes between missions. The digital format will allow plenty of space for high-resolution art and will also give rise to high-quality sound effects and digitized speech, which is used extensively in gameplay as well. Unlike some tactics-only games, Warcraft starts you off with a basic economic model and not much more. Your farms will produce peasants, simple creatures who have no talent for war until you train them. Although they cannot attack, peasants have the unique ability to construct new facilities and to perform repairs on old ones. Your war machine must be built from the ground up, and this is where the peasants as construction workers come into play. The barracks is the central building for military
See, I
training.
want to be on the
Alone,
DS9
the
ship because I
barracks
want to
train
live in a
lowly
mall.
peasants to be lowly grunts. The grunts have the
There's no
ability
way
to
I will
attack
ever
the
live in a
enemy,
mall,
they
but you
aren't
know,
exactly
we all
as
have
tough
dreams.
the supporting
Dreams we must
structures are the
abandon, like
key
living
to
in a mall.
fearsome army. The lumber mill combines with the barracks to produce spearmen who can strike at a distance. Add a blacksmith to your village and you'll get to construct the awesome catapult. Kennels can also be built, which allow the creation of mounted knights, the powerful cavalry of the game.
Do they
Apart from
power
the more
wash
mundane
the
structures, you can also
holodeck
erect a wizard's
simulators
tower.
of quarks
This
between
spire allows you to
uses?
train your
Because they
peasants
would
in the
need to do
arts and
something like that, like some kind of
Depending on
mass
which side you
sanitation
play, your
thing.
magical
Because I can
units
only
will either have
imagine how
chaotic attack
disgusting
spells
those are
or
after
less
each holodeck
destructive but
session.
invaluable healing powers.
Not even
User-based
sexy
borrows
stuff, just
quite
all the sweat and
extensively. The
everything.
West would develop Dune 2, which is definitely a smart choice. Clicking on a unit shows its hit points. Clicking will also call up a percentage bar if it's involved in
I've been
The
hearing
panel on the left of the screen acts as the selected
Lower
units
Decks is
control
good.
bar.
I'm
You
very
can even group units
curious.
together quickly and easily by holding the shift key when you click on them. Ultimately, it all comes down to battle. All the units
Yeah,
in
no, bad
Warcraft,
things happen to
even
the
your own, have
DS9,
artificial
but
intelligence.
overall it seems
This frees
safer
you up
than
from
the
having to tell
Enterprise.
each unit in a battle which target to attack. You can still do this, but if you neglect your targeting duty, an idle unit will attack an enemy in range. This should make even large battles entirely manageable in real time.
Okay.
Expected to ship in December, Warcraft, Orcs and Humans looks to be a terrific
Oh
war
yeah,
game,
when
but
the mall got
historically
taken over,
challenging.
that
With
sucked.
elements of such hits as Dune 2, Warlords 2, and SimCity, this is one CD title that should have as much muscle as it does flair. Fans of strategic war games, especially die-hard Dune 2 fans, are bound to be delighted.
Okay. Let's see what the reviews are like here. Wait. Wait, no. What was that? Hints and tips. Oh my God, we've got hints and tips this issue. That is so good. Folks, I'm going to go for a short 10-minute intermission here. Let's just go back to the table of contents. Okay, good. There's no music. I didn't want there to be music. Yeah, so I'm going to take a short break. I'll be back with the reviews and the hints and tips. So we'll see more. We'll see the rest of the magazine then. For intermission, what I've got is an issue of an audio magazine for kids called Boomerang. So we'll listen to 10 minutes of that, and then I'll be back. See you then.
Boomerang is brought to you by Books and the rest of your friends at the public library.
Okay, buddy. Where were you at 6:15 this morning?
The name is Fred, and why do you want to know?
There's a crime wave in the neighborhood, and I'm trying to do something about it.
Jeepers, I think one detective around here is plenty. What's with King?
I think King got all revved up by his big idea piece on crime and punishment. How about you, Josie? What are you up to this issue?
Well, Chief, I'm going back in time to rub noses with Peter Rabbit. I'm talking with his creator, Beatrix Potter.
Let's see what else we have this issue. Toby sends us an audio postcard from the White Mountains, New Hampshire. And Dave Schmave has a great story about his bike, Old Yeller.
I thought Old Yeller was a dog.
It is. This is Old Yaller. I hope he doesn't end up having to shoot it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, start those thinking machines.
My name is Brian Domicilli, and I'm one of the Boomerang kids here to help you keep up with what's up. We've got stories, songs, kids' views of the news, and some of the wackiest jokes you'll ever hear.
So grab some leftover turkey from the fridge, put on those earphones, and feed your head. Money. It comes and it goes. I get a birthday card with a $5 bill in it from Grandma. I earn $10 a week for washing dishes and taking out the trash. Every once in a while, I even find some money in the couch. The going part is easier. Movies, CDs, socks, books, and ice cream. If you're like me, you never really know how much money comes in and how much goes out. But businesses have to know that stuff so they can plan ahead. Even businesses like Freddy's Rhubarb and Banana Sandwich Stand.
Hello, Fred. 2 R&Bs to go. Extra brown sugar.
Coming right up, Mr. Cooney.
So, how's business, my boy?
It's pretty good, I guess.
You guess.
Well, let's put it this way. I have more money in my box than I have to spend today. That's good, isn't it?
Oh, yes, Fred. That is definitely a good sign. But if you are serious about running a business, you should keep some books.
Oh, I've got some books, Mr. Cooney. Look, they're under here somewhere. Yeah, see, I kept all these Tarzan books. Have you ever read them?
Oh, I have, Fred, and they're splendid, but I was talking more of accounting books.
I think I'm too old for accounting books, Mr. Cooney. I can multiply and everything.
No, not counting, Fred. Accounting. Accounting is keeping track of money, Fred. Nothing magical about it. I can testify that accounting books aren't as much fun as Tarzan, but you may be surprised how entertaining an account book can be. For you, just a simple matter of accounting for your income and expenses is all that would be necessary.
Where do you get these account books?
I just happened to have an extra account book in my car. I was going to give it to my son. Do you have a minute?
I don't have to be in bed for, let's see, 7 hours?
Oh, that should be plenty. Now, Income is easy to remember. It's money that comes in.
Hey, that's kind of nifty.
People can have income from all sorts of places, but at your stand here, I believe most of your income comes from selling sandwiches.
Yep.
So here's what we're going to do. On this side of the book, we're going to write income. Now we're going to put the date. How many sandwiches have you sold so far?
Our first customer.
Okay, here's my $1, so write that down here. And then every time someone buys a sandwich today, you put $1 under the date.
Sometimes I sell one to my buddies for 25 cents less.
Oh, very good. Then you will only put 75 cents for them.
That's all there is to it?
No, not quite. On the other side of the book, we're going to write expenses. Did you spend any money today?
Well, the bread lady comes today.
Good. As soon as you pay her, you write down under today's date how much you paid. And you do the same with any other expenses. At the end of the day, you add up all the income and write that at the bottom of the page. Then you add all the expenses and write that at the bottom. As long as the income is bigger than the expenses, you're making money, Fred.
Hey, this is kind of cool. I can tell what day of the week was my best day and what season of the year was my worst. Jeepers, Mr. Cooney. Thanks a lot. Mr. Cooney, I was just wondering. Are you going to send me a bill for this?
It's on the house, Fred.
I didn't even see Mr. Cooney go up there.
You don't have to be in business to keep an account book. I've got friends who keep them just to see how they spend all their money. And just in case Freddie gets a ladder out, will someone please explain about Mr. Cooney's bill?
It's time for letters from all you subscribers about the funny things grown-ups do. Here's one from Angie Thurp in Miami, Florida.
Dear Boomerang, my dad always complains that there's a sock-eating monster in our house. He can never find a pair of his own to wear, so he stretches out mine and ruins them.
We agree, you definitely need some help, Angie. Get the yellow pages and look under sock-eating monster busters. I'm not sure if there are any hyphens in there or not. Here's one from Hank Dieters in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Dear Boomerang, whenever we go shopping, Mom never lets me and my sister get any light. What good is all that food in the house, but nobody will eat it?
We call that the hope factor, Hank. Your dad buys pants with a 34 waist and hopes he can fit into them. Your mom writes a check and hopes there's enough money to cover it. And parents hope that if they buy stuff that's good for us, we'll actually eat it. Well, you know what? Brussels sprouts actually aren't too bad if you close your eyes and think about hot fudge sundaes. Finally, here's a letter from Haley Roberts in Westport, Connecticut.
Dear Boomerang, my dad pretends to be this great cook just because he can cook spaghetti. Whenever he tries to cook anything more difficult, burns it, overcooks it, or just plain mashes it. Any ideas?
If I were you, Haley, I'd learn to like spaghetti.
That's it for Big Talk. Send us your letters about the funny things grown-ups do. And maybe you'll hear yours in the next issue of Boomerang.
My dear Noel, I don't know Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter.
Other letters to follow included stories of Rabbit who narrowly escaped the Garden of Chicks grew up in London, England. Raised by a series of nannies, she hardly saw her mother and father during the first 10. Fondest memories of those times were frequent long holidays, families, servants, and nannies. That's where Beatrix developed her love for nature. Traveling back in time 2 grandfathers ago, Scotland, and I'm sipping chamomile tea out on the grass with Beatrix Potter and her head a printer to publish 250 copies of it. And already her friends in a few stores are begging. First, Miss Potter, I understand you had to have it printed. I thought they were supposed to pay you.
Yes, well, book publishers pay only if they select your book to be printed. All 6 of them sent it right back. They weren't interested. I'd earned some money with my drawings here and there, so I simply paid to have it printed. Thus far, I've been quite lucky. The books have sold very nicely, and now Frederick Warnes, the publisher, has agreed to print 5,000 as well. And they're going to pay me for. Twinkle, do please stop making such a fuss over Josie. You will upset her tea.
That's okay. Have you always had animals?
Oh, indeed, yes. Thumb and Hunca Munca, 2 field mice we rescued from Toby, and Manda were lizards. There was Sammy, the rat, and Punch was a green frog. Zormouse was my favorite of favorites. I once thought she would last as long as myself. She'd been so sensible about taking her asthma medicine. But one night, she laid herself down in my hand and died. Poor little thing. Tommy was my very first rabbit. Then there was Benjamin Bouncer and Peter, of course.
Wait a minute. You had all these animals?
Oh, yes. Not all at once, mind you, but the Potter household was never lacking in pets. Yet, there could never have been enough animals to satisfy my brother Bert and I. There's nothing better than a live model from which to draw. Back in London, I discovered that a next-door neighbour raised guinea pigs. I borrowed and drew one named Mr. Chops. Then I borrowed another very particular guinea pig with a long white ruff, known as Queen Elizabeth. This pig, offspring of Titwillow II, descendant of...
Hi, I'm back. Did you like that children's magazine? It had some skipping issues, to be sure, but I learned a lot about how to run the book, how to make books. Accounting. And I learned about Beatrix Potter's dead animals, which I feel bad that they're dead. Sorry about your mouse. Sorry about your mouse, guys. Sorry, it's dead. But yeah, I learned how to cook the books. So I'm going to cook them up real nice. I'm going to smoke the books like brisket. All right, let's go back to Interactive Entertainment 05. All right, let me move this and adjust back. There we go. So we went through every preview. Let's do the reviews. All right, we got the Pacific Air Award, 1942.
When it comes to World War II flight sims, there's a huge list of games to choose from. From their finest hour up to aces over Europe, World War II sims have been a part of computer gaming life.
Beatrix Potter's dead too. Well, it makes sense.
Doesn't include missiles and radar.
She would have been like 200 years old.
1942, you'll probably
but that sucks because Beatrix Potter could have never played World War II plane games. She would have loved World War II.
As you can see, there are quite a few. Unfortunately, you cannot set your own parameters at this point, as in, say, Red Baron. Instead, you must actually create
Hi,
your own
Hexagon
mission
Witch.
in the
My
mission
recovery
builder,
is going
but I'll talk
very
about that
well.
later.
If you fly one of the training missions instead of a normal mission, you will start out in flight on the way to your objective. Hitting A for autopilot starts your plane in the right direction, and continuous tapping of the T key will start your time compression, as much as 16
Time
times.
compression?
Unfortunately, if you're by yourself and don't pay attention, you'll just end up spiraling toward the water. In a
I've
puff
heard
of
about
smoke.
compression shirts,
Luckily,
but time
when you're in a real
compression is
mission, the
ridiculous.
autopilot is disengaged when the objective is within sight. The computer apparently has serious eagle eyes, because you still have to fly several minutes before you can actually see something other than the ocean.
I consider the slow start to this game a problem. When I fly a mission, I don't want to have to keep adjusting my time compression and keep my eyes open for the enemy. I just want to hit autopilot and magically appear at the battle.
When it comes to combat, 1942 is one of the best I've seen. The opposing planes move intelligently and are extremely fast, which makes for
I
an
wish they
exciting
moved
battle
less
every time.
intelligently.
It also makes for long battles because it's so hard to shoot the other planes down. In fact, if it weren't for occasional problems controlling your plane, the combat would be perfect.
I don't mind struggling when you're in the realistic flight mode, but turning it off doesn't seem to make it any easier to fly. Your plane has a bad tendency to side-slip in tight turns instead of rolling over and turning, making it impossible at times to make sharp turns.
I have to agree. Even when mashing on the joystick as hard as I could in one direction, left or right, I couldn't get the stupid plane to roll over. It would just continue side-slipping or just stop altogether. After you get over the control problems, 1942 becomes a rather pretty game to play. The virtual cockpit, almost standard on every new flight sim, is extremely helpful, letting you look around for the enemy without having to frantically hit the function keys.
I often
Well,
found
that's
myself
nice.
putting my fighter bomber on autopilot and just
I always
playing
hate
the
using
rear
the
gunner
function
most of the time.
keys.
The controls, sounds, and realistic fluid movement of the enemy aircraft were great. I just sat back taking pop shots at Zeros as they flew by shooting at me.
The best parts of 1942 were the bombing runs. Though they went slow and the only real action was shooting at the swarming enemy, the runs seemed incredibly realistic. When your rear gunner fails to shoot down or deter an enemy plane, your plane can easily be blown to bits. Fortunately, when one plane goes, you get switched to one of the other planes flying the mission, assuming there's one to switch to. With a powerful machine, the graphic detail in 1942 can be mind-blowing. The sounds seem to be realistic.
Seems
The
all
texture
right.
mapping on the islands is terrific. The ripples in the ocean are
I'm just not
incredibly
a
detailed,
plane
and
guy.
even the ship tails look
Every
good.
plane
I
game
thought the graphics
I've
are
played,
nice,
I
but
crash
nothing
immediately.
incredible. I would just say that they're up to par. The one thing about 1942 that I do think is fantastic is the bits and pieces that fly off a plane when it's being plastered by machine guns or bombs.
The rest of the game options of 1942 are not quite as good as the fly a single mission option. The strategy portion of this game comes in the career battle mode, which is very reminiscent of Task Force 1942. The career battle gives your choice of sides during a specific historical campaign. 1942 also includes a mission editor, which actually isn't bad. The editor lets you change various aspects of the game to your own liking. It's
Yeah, if I played
complicated,
Ace
but can be a
Combat,
powerful
I would
tool
just
for the
crash.
experienced
I feel
player.
bad.
The pilot career option is
I
the
just
same
have
as
bad luck with
Microprose's
playing
other flight
games.
sims. For fans of this setup, there you go. But for Red Baron and Aces Over Europe fans, you might find the single missions a little more fun. And last but not
Oh,
least,
I could be
you
the
have
Red
the film
Baron?
option. Though
Wait,
extremely useful for editing
Red
and
Baron
making
wasn't
your
in
own
World
little
War
movie,
II.
It's not very user-friendly.
Never
I'll take
mind.
the Dynamics film editor any day.
Overall, I enjoyed 1942 quite a bit. The graphics were great, the sound is done well, and the whole feeling of realism was there. Though far from perfect, 1942 The Pacific Air War is a good choice when it comes to World War II flight sims.
Though 1942 is not my favorite flight sim,
Well,
I do
there
have
they
to
are
admit that
dedicated to you
blasting
dying.
zeros
I
from
like
the
they're all
back of my
saluting
fighter
me.
bomber was some of the most flight sim fun I've had in a long, long time.
Okay, let's check out
When it comes to
the pros.
the graphics and sound for 1942 are top-notch, while the inclusion of the career battle option, the strategic part of the game, is a nice touch, virtually giving the buyer two games in one. Not to mention that 1942 is one of the most realistic flight sims around.
And the
When you
con.
first
No,
enter-
no, 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 no. You're going to tell me the cons.
While the graphics are nice and the game seems extremely authentic, it can become tedious at times.
Char
When the player
Aznavour
wants to
from
turn off the
Gundam is
realistic
kind of
flight
like the
options
Red
and just
Baron if
fly
you
and
think
shoot,
about it.
It doesn't seem to make any difference since you
He's
still
like a
experience
sexual
the
Red
handling
Baron.
troubles. The film editor is good if you're a brain surgeon.
What else should we try? Aces of the Pacific, Aces over Europe, and Air Warrior. He's the Red Comet. Yeah. I know he's supposed to kind of be like the Red Baron, but I'm really happy that the Red Baron he's very sexual. He's very attractive. Like, what if the Red Baron was a hot guy? Is the Red Baron sexually attractive? I don't know what the regular Red Baron looks like. I imagine the Red Baron is, normal, like, looking. Yeah, he's the Red Baron, famous Tumblr sexy
Picture, if you
man.
will, a person. Not just any person, but you.
Well,
Caught up in the everyday
I don't know
struggle
what
to
the Red
become the
Baron
one
looks
true
like.
god of the skies
He's
for
got a
all to
mustache,
worship and admire.
probably.
The only thing stopping you are these annoying little mosquitoes with red dots on them. Well, fret no more. Now you too can be a genuine menace of the skies with the Ace Maker, a companion instructional video from Ace's Aim. While
What?
Spectrum Holobyte already broke this ground
A
with
c-
their
a companion
for
video?
the art of the kill, the Ace Maker is the first instructional video offering tips on fighter combat World War II style. There's no X's and O's, but the Ace
But
Maker offers
imagine
some
it,
pretty
a Red
interesting
Baron who
historical
looks like the
footage, along with
Onceler.
notion
Think
that
about
to know
it.
where you're going, you have to know where you've been. Where the Ace Maker excels is with its present-day video footage of restored vintage aircraft performing some of the actual maneuvers courtesy of the Flyboys at North American Top Gun, a private group that actually teaches these tactics to the average Joe off the street, for a price. These full-color, real-time video sequences give you a good feel for the techniques from both inside and outside the cockpit. The folks at Ace's Aim also practice what they're preaching by performing the same maneuvers in 1942.
Yes, I heard that Char gets a name called Full Frontal. I'm slowly going through some Gundams, and Char delights me.
Hard time trying to use these maneuvers effectively on the enemy. But the flying footage is well worth the $20 price tag of this companion video, which is distributed by Keyboard Commander.
All right, Ace Maker, what are your pros? Oh, there is no pros and cons since it's such a simple thing. What else should we try? Fighter Air Combat Trainer. Okay, got it. Guinness Records.
Is there anyone on the planet who hasn't heard?
Look at how nasty that book is.
Well, there must be somebody.
Look at how nasty it is.
No, I think
someone chewed on it. It got chewed up.
Years, this collection of extremes is
someone just went
book in the known universe. Guess what number 1 is?
Why, the Bible, of course. It says so right here on page 402.
And now, in the age of interactive entertainment,
that's us, folks.
The good folks at Groliers have actually figured out how to improve on this monster.
Something better than the Guinness book? No way. You're trying to fill my head with communist lies.
No, really.
That's right. If you don't like Guinness, you're a commie.
Over its print predecessor.
Name one, smart guy.
On the absolute lowest end of the improvement scale, your fingers don't get covered with newsprint gunk, and the disc will not get dog-eared and fall apart like the paperback.
Okay, you've captured my interest.
On an even more substantial level, most of the pictures on the disc are in color.
Say it ain't so, Joe.
A lot of the entries have QuickTime movies to back them up. You can actually watch the Hindenburg burst into flames.
Ooh, you can watch the Hindenburg burst into flames, everybody.
From anyway.
But there are also cool movies of stuff like this.
Ow! Let's start up a fund to buy that girl a skeleton.
Anyway, the disc also pummels the book into submission.
Wow, Strom Thurmond spoke against the Civil Rights Bill for more than 24 hours. You have to be so bigoted to be like, I'm going to talk for 24 hours to stop civil rights.
Slow down, whiny girl. And if by some fluke you should actually want to know more about one of these wonders, you can see the full entry at a mouse.
I bet there's a bigger one than him now.
You're starting to sound like
he's an award-winning bigot.
Keep it up, and I'll have to kill you.
You can also use the search function to seek out connections you'd never find in the book index. For example, I found 15 entries with the name Fred in them.
You wild man.
I wonder how much homosexuality is in there.
But otherwise, I would never have known that one of the oldest living goldfish was named Fred.
I would. Owned by A.R. Wilson of Worthing, Great Britain. Fred died on August 1st, 1980 at the age of 41. Page 99.
You're really starting to frighten me, you know that? Well, you can also use the superlatives list to find the biggest, smallest, oldest, thickest, and grainiest what's-its ever.
I must admit that many promising relationships in my life have been cut short by an overly grainy what's-it.
I was surprised to find that IE was not listed as the first monthly CD mag devoted entirely to computer and video games, education, and information software.
Get Norris McWhirter on the phone.
Tried it. Apparently, he's dead.
Gee, I didn't even know he was sick. I would have sent a card.
Basically, the disc is everything it should be to carry on the Guinness name and more. My only question is if they can keep up this level of quality every year.
Okay, but the book is still better.
I wonder how many of these they made.
How?
Just look at that tiny whiskey. It looks like, you know what that whiskey looks like? It looks like injectable testosterone.
That's probably why
you shouldn't inject whiskey. It will not make you more manly.
Inky fingers, joy.
All right, let's see the pros and the cons of this bad boy.
Every other company trying to adapt a book for multimedia should look at this one to see how to do it right. If you are a Guinness Book fan, you have no excuse to put off getting this disc.
What if I hate Guinness?
Are you kidding? If you actually think the book is better in any respect, the package comes with a copy. The only thing missing is a catchy theme song.
I got one for you. With Guinness Book of World Records, pay your money and you get inside us. World Records Museum, we're Guinness. Pay us. Okay, I think that's good. Reviews. Jump Raven.
Jump Raven by Cyberflix is a package that
I like this aesthetic.
If it wants to be an interactive movie, or an arcade game. And as any CD-ROM owner knows far too well, this spells certain doom. The graphics are decent, but not remarkable. The animation is standard grade choppy, even on a Pentium. And the action might have been impressive when Pong was the latest word in
Oh,
high
people
tech.
like Jump
The
Raven.
plot,
Okay.
that is the between
Okay.
mission fillers
I
that
won't
adds to the
discount Jump
program's
Raven.
megabyte count, is certainly nothing an experienced game player couldn't whip up in about 5 minutes. It's the future, and from an ecological standpoint, things are very grim. Most species of animals have become extinct, but we have preserved their genetic code in the hopes of someday repopulating the world. Apparently, somebody ran out of crack to sell because the DNA samples have been stolen and are now being fenced on the streets of New York. Go get 'em. The game industry, along with the rest of the world, has become pretty politically correct. So I'll make what is likely to be my one and only PC comment now. One of the gangs you face is an organized group of skinhead punkers, all of whom, of course, are Nazis. This is as bad as a slanderous racial stereotype, since only an extremely small percentage of skinheads are Nazis, and nobody in the hardcore community will tolerate them. Also, punkers with mohawks, and there's a dying breed, aren't skinheads, they're just punkers with mohawks. The action game, if you can
It
call
is
it
true.
that,
No,
is about as
actually, that
involving
is
and
true.
entertaining as watching moles
There
grow on
there are
paper cheese.
anti-racist
Turn left and
skinheads,
right,
and
go
there's a
back
lot of
and
them.
forward
That's
and shoot things.
the
You also
anti-racist
change
the
altitude.
skinhead
You have
thing
to
was
toggle
not
the up,
originally a
down,
racism
low,
thing,
off to
but then a
move
bunch of
forward or
racists
backward.
adopted it, and a
And
bunch of
don't forget you can
anti-racist
two-hand
skinheads were
to
like,
control
"Hey,
the
wait a
movement, which
minute,
is too much for
you
a
can't be
slowly
like
gamer.
us. Fuck
The
you."
movement is all step-based, like trying to play an action game with SSI's old gold box engine. Your co-pilot can take over some functions of the game.
But unfortunately,
that?
people still
Or
think
interactive,
yeah,
going to
that's where
be
the whole Nazi
limited
punks
and
fuck off
evolving.
thing came
This
from.
game certainly
Yeah, no,
reinforces
there's
that
anti-racist skinheads, and they're
Jump
very
Raven's
organized,
one
and they
only selling point is the
really
online
hate
manual,
Nazis.
which is in the form of a robotic guide
Yeah, the
to
Skinheads
gameplay.
Against Racial
The game doesn't
Prejudice,
even ship
Sharps,
with a
very,
printed
very
manual
famous.
because it doesn't need one.
I've actually
This
heard
is
of
a
them.
great feature, and it's the only positive feature to the package. Otherwise, this is the same kind of dreck we've seen far too often since
So,
we
okay,
started
lady, you
putting
can
those
complain.
shiny
You
little
can
discs
complain
into our
about.
computers.
Also, she's
Jump
right.
Raven is
Skinheads
one of
don't
those
do
packages
do
that give CD-based games
fucking
a real
mohawks.
bad name. And if you know what's good for you, you'll find something else to do with your time and your money.
All right, not a big fan of Jump Raven, but what are the pros?
The game's online manual is easily its best feature. Your robotic
Wow.
instructor is wonderfully entertaining, and its voice actor should get much more work in this field.
Not a big fan of this game, huh?
The game makes hefty system requirements, like 8 megs of RAM minimum, 30 megs of hard drive space, and a 16 meg permanent Windows swap file, but never exploits them. It runs in 640 by 480 Super VGA mode, but you'd barely notice. The plot is weak, the action game is slow, horribly outdated, simplistic, and mind-numbingly boring.
Okay, not a fan. All right, what about Planet Soccer?
The World Cup has come to a dramatic end. With its end comes a heightened appreciation for soccer in this country. And of course, the release of several soccer games to contribute to our soccer-filled states of mind. Keeping pace with the World Cup and Soccer Mania, Condor Software and iMotion have just released Planet Soccer.
How very true. Soccer Mania is at its peak, and a host of soccer games are here to keep the soccer obsession alive. Planet Soccer delivers a host of options and realism factors that make for a good, solid soccer game.
Planet Soccer is a very thorough game in many different aspects. For example, right from the start you can choose from a few selected languages, a nice international gesture. From there you can select different field conditions, select and customize teams with real players, and Planet Soccer is updated with the newest FIFA rules.
All of that is great, and I do appreciate that real players are included, but let's get to the point. Everyone wants to know, is the game fun, and is it worth playing?
Well, to answer that question very simply, yes, it is worth playing. The game itself is quite nice just to watch.
I must agree the game is a step ahead graphically speaking. Planet Soccer has very fluid motion and looks very much like watching a real soccer game. The view of the field was both interesting and hindering. It's nice to have the ability to see the entire playing field, but at times it can be difficult.
Difficult it can be, especially when the opponent is coming at you. I find the first-person view of the playing field impressive, but it isn't the best view from a playing perspective. The player motion was decent in general, but the goalie movement
Hey, Bob,
was
I'm doing
excellent.
good. I'm
goalie
learning
movement
about
was
soccer
truly
games
amazing.
from
Diving for the
the
ball, the goalie was a
soccer
sight to
wild
see.
era
The
of
only time this graphic
1994.
wonder wasn't welcome was when the computer
Yeah,
opponent was
I
on
didn't
a
mention,
roll
but all
and
my
kept
neck pain is
continuously
finally gone,
firing
so
shot
that's
after
nice.
shot at my goal. The goalie is great,
My
but he's really
stitches
got a
don't
workout.
dissolve
Well, not
until like
everybody
I've got
has
like
the
5
same
more
problems
days
their
until my
goalies
stitches
know
finally
work.
go away. But
Besides, that
other
isn't
than that,
anything
I'm
a
doing
good
great.
defense can't cure. Controlling the players was not fully natural. To put it plainly, perfect player control takes time and practice, but it is time well spent. Planet Soccer has several
Yeah, and I
features making
mentioned at
for
the
a good
beginning of the
all-around
stream, but if you
game.
didn't hear,
Each
my
player has
thyroid was
5
twice
changeable
its normal
parameters,
size,
so you
which
can give your guys a
you
little
shouldn't
more
do
muscle.
that.
You can play a real World Cup tournament, or you can create your own by customizing the original. You can also determine whether the goalie is computer or manually controlled.
Additionally, you can play or manage a team, play against a friend, or perform many moves from the game of soccer. Oh, by the way, remember the availability of manual or computer goalie control? I suggest the computer as opposed to the manual. The computer is
I
good, and
love
that's
not
big
having a
help in learning the
thyroid, by
game.
the way.
If you
I'm a
go
little
into
bit more
Planet Soccer
sleepy
with
than
an
I
open
used to
mind
be in
and
my
not
life,
expecting to
but
win your first game,
none of the
you will
symptoms of
probably
having
enjoy it.
like bad
Seriously,
thyroid
don't
levels, I don't
expect
have
to
any
win
of
your
those
first
symptoms
game,
anymore. It's
and be
so
loyal to your
nice.
country by playing
It's
your home team,
so
even if
nice.
they're not the number 1 rated team. After all, it is the patriotic thing to do.
Patriotism isn't high on most gamers' priority lists, including mine. If you want to win, I don't see anything wrong with picking one
It's
of the
nice
top
to be
teams
able to
play.
swallow without
Sorry,
it like
but I
going
can't
ka-thunk
agree
when
with
I
you
swallow.
there.
Oh my
If
god,
your
that was the
country's
worst.
team is not strong enough for your liking, simply boost the player ratings.
Also,
if
I
you
couldn't
must.
sleep on
Don't
my
be
side because my
unfaithful.
thyroid would
Now,
just
with that
go into
little
my
detail out
windpipe,
of
and
the
that
way,
sucked.
we can get back on track. Before you play, you're presented with several different player formations.
And yeah, they
You
they
get
diced
everything
they
from the
bice they
classic
did a
4-4-2
biopsy on my
to the
thyroid, and they didn't
4-3-3,
find anything bad. They were
including
just like,
attack
"Yep,
and
your
defense
thyroid
options.
just
You can
decided to
switch the
grow
side of the
big.
field
Sorry
that you
about
play
that."
first
And
and
I'm like,
second
"Okay."
half, change the weather, there's nothing like a nice dry field, and switch the win on or off. You can even take a peek at the opposition's team lineup, a good idea in that you can determine the best player and then attempt to contain him. Planet Soccer has lots to offer, especially if you're a soccer fan. The interface is very nice, and the real team players is always a worthwhile addition to any sports game. In all, 30 teams are included. The 24 teams that qualified for the Cup and 6
Yeah,
other
I had
As the player, you will face
I had the
several
crazy
real-life
taxi of
situations.
thyroid. I had
Corner kicks, free kicks,
yeah, my
throw-ins, and
thyroid
fly
just
tackles.
started
And
to
when the
start
game goes
sucking,
full
and
distance
yeah, it
or
was
another such reason,
certainly
you will
was.
be placed in penalty kick situations.
They
You
think
may
a medication
even
I
receive
took as a
yellow or
kid
red
may have
cards.
actually messed
You
up my
better get ready,
thyroid for
but
life,
not nervous.
which is pretty wild. All right, let's see the pros and cons of Planet Soccer.
Planet Soccer has great player animations, most notably the goalie. Real teams and players make any game even better. You have tons of options to choose from and can compete in the real World Cup, a very realistic soccer game with a good interface that is user-friendly.
And the cons of our pals at Planet Soccer.
Planet Soccer is key disc protected, which is a drag. The control is tricky and the view, while realistic, can be difficult.
Okay, so maybe we'll find another good soccer game this issue. All right, it's time for Psychotron.
The Psychotron by Merit Software describes itself as an interactive mystery movie. If we've got to compare the CD-ROM,
I'm pretty
to a
sure
film,
we've shown off
let's just say
Psychotron.
we're not talking about Murder on the Orient Express or Psycho here.
True, but it's got all the classic quality of The January Man or maybe even Knight Rider 2000.
You are an investigator on the trail of the Psychotron, a top-secret piece of Russian hardware that was sold off to the U.S. in the name of Glasnost.
And in the name of paying a couple of bills.
The Psychotron can manipulate the human mind, so it's very important that it not fall into the wrong hands.
Even though it probably already has.
The plane carrying the Psychotron crashed into a barn, killing most of the CIA agents who were accompanying it. The machine has disappeared, and so has one of the agents.
And so begins your investigation. But be careful, because the obvious answers are not always the right ones.
Yes, they are.
They are? Really?
Absolutely. I solved this game in under 4 hours. It has all the subtlety of a Jetsons episode.
Gee, that's a shame. I thought I was just being dense.
I got stuck in the game, guys. I couldn't get far.
It boasts some excellent visuals, combining some of the best digitized video you've seen with some really smooth animations.
Yeah, the opening segment is a video and sound montage worthy of MTV. Okay, enough with
MTV?
the pleasantries. Let's get
Attend
to the
CIA
Apparently, the
memorial
entire
services.
budget went
Look,
into those previously mentioned visuals. All the other
Commands
stuff,
for
like an interesting
gamers.
and coherent script, replayability, proofreading, and a cast of competent actors just sort of fell by the wayside. This storyline has more holes than the Albert Hall after the Beatles got through with it. You're supposedly hired because the head of the CIA can't be seen investigating his own agents. Then, after you start, he probably tells you he's been doing some investigating of his own. What gives?
Maybe he had a change of heart?
Maybe. Why couldn't we have been so lucky with the designers? Strange and creative typos pop up every now and then. For example, this guy is convinced he's recently had a visit from the diseased president, Franklin D. Roosevelt. While
The
Roosevelt
diseased
did suffer from
Franklin
polio,
Delano
I suspect the word they
Roosevelt.
were looking for was
Oh my
deceased.
God.
Does it really make a difference?
All the difference of life and death, you might say.
Only if you were a smug English
A
major.
diseased
Well, you
Franklin
don't have to be the
Delano
pickiest
Roosevelt,
guy on
huh?
Earth to notice that there is no continuous style to this game. 1 minute it's trying to be a taut psychological thriller. The next, it's Green Acres.
I think you're being too hard on this game. True, it's no great work of art, but it's still fun to play, and it looks really great. I especially liked the poker game here with the tough mobsters who are obviously cheating in a serious way. If you make the wrong move, the guns come out and you can kiss your case goodbye.
Yeah, that's a good part. There are a few good parts, but this disc is just not worth the money. You'll solve it in an afternoon and never want to play it again.
But didn't the box say that the interactive dialogues change the playing experience?
So you get to see a few more seconds of the direct video and maybe get a few more arbitrary points on your score? Gee, let me throw away my copy of Lode Runner immediately. The only way this game could possibly be worth the money
Psychotron is no Lode Runner, folks.
If you don't have that option, stay away from the Psychotron.
Oh, sorry.
You'll kick yourself if you pay full price for this loser.
All right, not a fan of the Psychotron.
This disc really has some of the best direct video I've ever seen, and the animated graphics ain't too shabby either.
But the cons?
All the things that really matter in a game are really below par in this one. The storyline is pathetic, and so are most of the actors. But worst of all, the game is really easy to solve, and the solution never changes. So you'll probably never pick it up again.
I couldn't solve it. Am I a fool, man? What else should I try? Cyber Judas. Okay, Cyber Judas keeps coming up on my radar. I think that's going to be a game I'm going to try to play at some point on this channel. Quantum Gate and Conspiracy, but Cyber Judas keeps enticing me. Keeps just... It's like Cyber Judas to me is like a delicious shrimp taco. I mentioned how much I love shrimp tacos, like Baja shrimp tacos. Sorry, I might be getting a Baja shrimp taco in a couple weeks, so I'm really excited. All right, we also have Return to Ringworld.
Tsunami is continuing their adaptations of Larry Nevin's Ringworld series with a new CD-ROM, Return to Ringworld. I have to admit from the outset that I haven't read Nevin, and I never played the original game. But if either or both of them are as mind-numbingly tedious as the sequel, the obvious question is, why return in the first place? You really get the idea that the programmers liked the original novel so much that they made sure you have to read
I like the
every
creature.
single word of it at some point in the game.
Creature.
When you start the program, you are treated to 13
Creature.
pages of text and 17 dialogue captions explaining what has gone on before. Then, when your character finally appears on screen and checks out his personal log, there are 29 more pages of text. Conversations with other characters tend to go on for eons. This isn't a game. This is War and Peace. There's nothing to distract you from how little is really going on either. The only background music is classical stuff you can pipe in like Muzak to any given room of the spaceship. The best thing that can be said is that you get a really good idea of how boring long-term space travel actually would be. You can feel your brain turning to mint jelly, and you want to kill your crewmates just to liven things up a bit. Sadly, this is not an option in the game. That Miranda bitch really gets on my nerves.
Woo, lady!
On some level, the programmers must have known how much pain they would be subjecting players to, because they even included a game on the computer terminal to relieve the boredom. On any objective scale, this is another really bad sign. While there's no problem figuring out the interface, the action is incredibly slow. Heaven help you if you set a character in motion towards a door and then change your mind. Sorry, buddy, you said go to the door, and by golly, he's going to the door. Then you can tell him what to do next. Is it too much to ask for more from a CD-ROM, for crying out loud? By the way, there's full digitized speech available, but for your own sake, don't choose it. You turn the game from just slow to unbearably ponderous. It's like first expecting a giant sea tortoise to make its way across a golf course, and then making it pull a horse trailer with square wheels. It is true that the actual Ringworld storyline seems to be pretty interesting. Lots of political intrigue, personal vendetta, and stuff like that. It is also true that it's much easier and cheaper to read this interesting plot in the form of a paperback novel. What is the point of making this into a game in the first place? So once again, we'll have to renege on our "forget reading" slogan and suggest a
Forget
good trip to the
reading.
library.
All right, so she says that go to the library instead of playing this game, which I'm not going to lie. I do enjoy going to the library more than playing games. I'm sorry, gamers, but I like, I like learning, which is why I like multimedia.
The actual storyline seems to be quite interesting. The graphics are effective, especially in the opening segment.
And the cons?
This is not exactly the smoothest conversion of a book to game that the world has ever seen. The tremendous amount of reading and plot absorption that you're forced to do is a serious impediment to any fun you might otherwise be having.
Okay, and we should also try Ringworld, the Space Quest series, and Protostar. Never heard of Protostar. All right, it's time for Saber Team.
Fans of strategic combat looking for a solid squad-level contest may be tempted to pick up Saber Team, Micro League's newest
Yeah, Ringworm
release.
is a different
If so,
thing.
This game should prove a valuable lesson about improving personal willpower. Had it been released 2 or 3 years ago, Saber Team may have been interesting, but in today's game market, interesting is not a word that will be associated with it. Saber Team is your basic, very basic, squad-level game in which you control up to 4 soldiers in turn-based play. You choose your men from a pool of 8, each with slightly different stats. No matter who you select, the character portrait on the left side of the screen stays the same. I'm beginning to sense a game with none too many frills here.
Okay, but
The
are we...
interface is
No.
comprised of
I'm
mouse
sorry.
buttons.
I was looking down for a brief second. We need to go prior scene.
Saber Team
Look
is your basic,
again.
very
What's with
basic
the nipples in this
squad-level game
episode?
in which you control up to 4 soldiers in turn-based play.
Just-
You choose your men from a pool of 8, each with...
Buddy, put a shirt on.
The interface is comprised of mouse buttons at the bottom of the screen and is easy enough to operate. The graphics, as you can see, are no great shakes. One thing that bothered me is that even with an open door and a soldier's line of sight, I couldn't see into another room until I walked in. Enemies could shoot me through the windows just fine, but I was not afforded the same luxury. Saber Team isn't a terrible game, but it's not exactly striking either. It starts with a premise.
Yeah,
that has been
1994
done
was
many
the
times
was the year
before, and
for
has absolutely
shirtless
nothing new
men.
to it. Breach 2 came out about 3 years ago, and it manages to smoke this offering in every way. Saber Team is remarkable in its mediocrity, and that's about the strongest selling point it has. Saber Team is easy to learn, having only an 8-page manual. The interface is easy to manage, and the icons animate when your mouse cursor touches them. The British voice that announces certain parts of the game is a nice addition, too.
And the cons.
The graphics and sound are about 3 years behind the current standard. Your soldier's line of sight only works in the room he is standing in. Team members with less than 85% weapon accuracy rating can't seem to hit a human target at point-blank range. This game offers nothing its contemporaries haven't done better and holds the player's attention for a very short time.
All right, and we should also try XCOM and the Breach series. Got it. All right, next page. Only a few left. Oh my God, it's Sensible Soccer. Okay,
To say I was
here we fucking
disappointed
go.
On first viewing, Sensible Soccer is an understatement. This is the soccer game that took Europe by storm. In a bad light, the players could easily be mistaken for lemmings.
The player's appearance surprised me as well. I must admit, though, after playing only a single game, I reversed myself. Just because the players are tiny doesn't mean they aren't capable of big play.
I'll give you that much. The characters do grow on you, and the game is a lot of fun, and I found that the flow and play of the game were not fully mastered within minutes. In fact, one might almost say I found it challenging.
Let's just say that some of us were able to master the controls much sooner than others. Besides, it isn't as if there are a million different moves to memorize or execute.
True, Sensible Soccer doesn't have a million different moves, but it isn't childishly simple either. Rather, it's straightforward, focusing on being
Yeah,
a
where
fun
are the
game
half-nude
and
men?
little else.
One thing that I noticed immediately was the absence of teams from many countries. You won't find the real players in this game either.
So maybe the game doesn't sport a FIFA license. But players do have names very similar to those of real players, and there are plenty of teams to choose from. And if you whip through the World Cup competition and think the game is over, try the Cup again, but this time with a team other than the Cup favorite. If Sensible Soccer doesn't offer real teams and players, it does have a few realistic features that you might prefer had been left out. For example, in my first game, one player on my team was red carded.
Yeah, soccer fans will find that most of the gameplay elements from the sport
Yeah, they should
are
just call
available.
this normal
I encountered
soccer.
free kicks, corner kicks, and was eliminated from tournament play in penalty kicks, which was a disappointment, but still very interesting.
The players can perform many different kicks. When shooting on goal, or anywhere for that matter, you can place your kick to either side and high or low. Very helpful when approaching the goal, especially if you enjoy scoring.
The ability to make different types of shots is the key to Sensible's appeal. In fact, it may be the largest and most important aspect of the game to learn and execute properly.
Sensible Soccer does have many different options that should appeal to players. You can play on a normal.
They wanted to call it
muddy
Virgin
field if
Soccer?
you
That would have
desire. I come with
sucked.
the wet and muddy field,
Oh, that's
although worse than
bad.
dry, are not quite as bad in Sensible Soccer as they are in real life. Maybe that's just because you get to stay dry and clean.
The field condition options are nice, but I was more impressed with the player alignment options. You can put 4 men up front to attack or place your men a little further back in the field to take up some of the slack if your goalie is flagging.
Yeah, speaking of the goalie, the computer controls the goalie except when he has the ball or is in a penalty kick situation.
I don't know about you, but I prefer to control the goalie at all times. Personally, I would rather be the cause of a goal than a computer-controlled goalie. I know that people will sympathize with me when I say that I think I could have stopped that slow shot at the end of the game that my goalie let by.
Grow up a little, will ya?
Grow
I
up.
mean, it is just a game. Don't get so worked up over it.
Despite
Yeah,
my
where
first
is the
impression of
half-nude
Sensible Soccer,
soccer?
I
It
have
is a
grown to enjoy it. I
money-making
can now understand
idea,
why in
and
Europe, where
we
soccer
learned
is
how to
one of
make
the most popular
how to do
sports,
accounting in
gamers
the
have been
children's
going
magazine,
nuts
so
over
we're ready to
Sensible for the
go.
past
We're ready
year
to
or
go
so.
to run
Well, my
our
opinion of the
our
graphics
nude
has not
soccer.
changed. They aren't anything to write
We're gonna
home
call
about.
us we're gonna call
However,
ourselves
the game
nude
lacks
dudes
the
with
graphic
tudes
detail is more
and
than made up for by fast
pubes.
and furious gameplay with numerous elements authentic to real-life soccer. Better wear those extra spiky cleats. It looks like rain.
What? You can't get mad at me. I had my thyroid removed. No one can get mad at me anymore.
Sensible Soccer has lots of realistic details.
Nude dudes
It
with
can be
tudes and
carded,
pubes.
which isn't a great thing, but it is a realistic thing. You can have penalty shots, and you can configure your game setup and your team's alignment on the field. The gameplay is fast, and the control, once mastered, is logical and easy to use. Best of all, Sensible Soccer can be very addictive.
And
I'll give you that
no.
one.
There we go.
Not as many teams were included as I would have liked. The real players are not truly present either. To my knowledge, players
There is a
were
nude soccer
not
game.
there,
Okay.
and the graphics were
Okay.
not the best I've ever seen.
Well, if there's already nude soccer, then, we're good. We're golden. But I gotta know, are the graphics good? Or is it like Sensible Soccer where it's just like a single pixel is a wiener or something? All right, next is changing the subject from what we were talking about to something much more family-friendly. It's Sesame Street time.
Okay, all you parents, gather the kids around your PC because this article is for them, especially if you own a 3DO. EA Kids and the Children's Television Workshop have teamed up to create a number of Sesame Street-related products for 3DO. Sesame Street Numbers is the first of these titles. This product, geared towards ages 3 to 6, teaches counting and number recognition skills. The familiar Sesame Street characters act as your guides on this interactive journey. There are 5 main areas in the game, each hosted by a different character. Each area has an interactive storybook, radio, television, and telephone, so you can call other characters.
Yeah, I think this was on
Besides having
CDI.
interactive click points on the screen where the child can click on a sparkling object to pull up an animation sequence, each character has their own interactive game. Here's Bert and Ernie's description of their Find Bert's Paperclip game. Young children who are fans of Sesame Street will no doubt love this product simply based on the recognition of the characters and their voices. Personally, I prefer games such as Putt Putt or Fatty Bear because they're better designed and more fun to play. But nevertheless, Sesame
Fatty
Street is a
Bear is
solid
better than
educational
Sesame
title.
Street? I disagree. I think the Sesame Street is better than Fatty Bear, but perhaps I am puppet pilled.
This title will definitely please the little ones who are fans of the Sesame Street TV show. Children
Yeah,
will be
yeah,
able to
Danny, you
instantly
know the problem
recognize
with
and
that.
associate
No,
with the
no.
characters, meaning they will have more fun and learn. The interactive games are well done, always encouraging children, even if they don't win.
And the cons?
Children could be upset that some of their favorite characters don't have bigger roles in the game. Some of the click points and animated objects in this game are rather poorly designed and thus could underwhelm players.
And what else should we try? Putt Putt series, It's a Bird's Life, and of course, Fatty Bear's birthday surprise. I can't believe they like Fatty Bear more. I don't even. And by the way, I was like, Fatty Bear is not to be confused with Sticky Bear. Why did we have so many unusual bears in the 90s teaching our children? All right, time for Soccer Kid.
I never thought of the PC as a good platform for platform games. I mean,
You're
Super
right, it's
Nintendos
not.
and Jaguars and the like are programmed for exactly the type of sprite movement that platform games entail. So why play them on a computer where the control is more difficult and games take up precious hard drive space?
You've got a point there. Console systems always have and always will reign supreme in the run and jump category. I'm happy to report, though, that Soccer Kid from Microleague and Chrysalis Software is a more than adequate substitute for Mario or Mega Man.
Here's originality for you. No guns, no karate moves, no blood, no shrapnel. You play a kid with a soccer ball.
Yeah, but it turns out that this soccer ball can be as deadly as a loaded Uzi when kicked right. Depending on which keys are pressed and for how long, the kid can do tricks such as...
Yeah, I don't like this child. I'm sorry.
Score extra points over and above the points scored whenever his soccer ball nails a bad guy and kills him. The ball can also serve as a boomerang of sorts, as it collects bonus items when it passes over them.
That's funny. The last time I kicked a soccer ball at a bunch of soda cans, all it did was knock them over.
Other than the funky soccer ball,
Cool rats.
Soccer Kid is almost indistinguishable from any other typical platform game. You run, you jump, you get points, and you listen to the amusement park-like sound effects. The music and sound are surprisingly good and provide a fast tempo for the gameplay.
A few things could have used some improvement, though. Power-ups are scarce, and the only ones I found were health, speed, and invincibility. No enhanced soccer balls, no magic flying wings, no frog suits?
Frog suits?
Well, frog suits may have been overkill, but a little more variety wouldn't hurt.
Judging from its cutesy, colorful, cartoonish look, you might imagine that Soccer Kid's difficulty would be toned down for the young crowd. Au contraire.
That
Maybe
is
I'm
tough,
just
yeah.
dumb, but this
Au
game
contraire, we are
provides
making this
ample
child
Given
suffer.
the vast numbers of levels and bonus rounds, I'd have a great deal of respect for whoever could finish this game in one or even two sittings. It's long.
While we're on the subject of levels, I may as well mention that several of the levels I played were not only long, but tall as well. A couple well-timed and balanced jumps onto small ledges often got me far above the ground where I discovered many of the bonus items.
Yeah, there's lots of points waiting for you in areas beyond the borders of the screen. I love the fact that you can stand on your soccer ball and jump super high off of it. I was a tad confused, though, when it came to figuring out which structures could be landed on and which ones couldn't. Lots of background objects proved to be nothing more than decoration. Bummer.
Fortunately, a save restore feature prevents that all-too-common disorder among gamers called out-of-continuous insanity, or OCI.
Oh my god, you do not know how much I suffer with out-of-continuous insanity. Oh my god.
Specifically after the completion of a set number of levels. I found this inconvenient, but that's only because I kept dying. If you have even an ounce of hand-eye
Yeah, Golden
coordination,
Grams is sponsoring a game that induces out-of-continuous insanity, and I think that's not good.
All enemies except bosses die after one hit. You should send a personal thank you letter to Chrysalis Software.
I'd encourage the purchase of Soccer Kid if you're a fan of platform games, and yes, I'd encourage the purchase of an SNES and some Mario titles first, but that's just a personal preference.
It might not have much to do with the game of soccer, but Soccer Kid does offer some decent fast-paced action for the PC. Finally.
Finally, we have fast-paced soccer action for the good old PC.
Chrysalis accomplished its goal, no pun intended, with Soccer Kid.
Zool was
It's a
attached to
solid,
Chupa
easy-to-learn,
Chups.
hard-to-beat run-and-jump game with colorful backgrounds and exceptional digitized sound. A save game feature, rare among this type of game, is included and allows you to go to sleep rather than stay up all night trying to beat that last level.
And the
To
cons?
say that this game has even a hint of strategy would be a bold-faced lie. Soccer Kid and other platform games like it are definitely the most mindless kind of game you can buy. There
Wow,
aren't
I
any puzzles to
disagree.
solve, nothing to rack your brain. Also, while the save game feature is nice, it doesn't let you save everywhere you wish.
All right, and what else should we try? Sink or Swim and the Commander Keen series. Okay, not bad, not bad. We also got Superhero League of
What would you say
Hoboken.
New Jersey is best known for?
Oh, a couple of great singers and a lot of ugliness, basically.
Right. So as that trend
Wow.
grows in the future, it would sure make sense for
Take
someone
New
to
Jersey out of your
establish a
mouth.
band
New
of
Jersey
60
rocks.
heroes to clean things up, right?
Your logic is impeccable, but a little weird. Fortunately, the good people at Legend must think similarly. The Superhero League of Hoboken is now open for business right above the Hoboken History Museum. This team of intrepid adventurers was gathered together by the Crimson Tape, who is capable of producing very useful organizational charts in the blink of an eye.
Well, yeah, but the credit for the game itself really goes to the twisted mind of Steve Moretsky, who also brought us the infamous leather goddesses of Phobos.
Don't get literal on me. The Crimson Tape has assembled the most impressive group of superhumans New Jersey has ever seen.
And that's apparently not saying much.
I think you're being a little too hard on the intrepid adventurers here. Consider the value of Captain Excitement, the most boring person within at least a 100-mile radius.
Sure, and there's always Robo-Mop, able to clean tall messes in a single swipe.
And Madame Pepperoni, who can see inside closed pizza boxes. Well, that does seem to be a somewhat esoteric skill.
Oh, I don't know. You'd be surprised how much cool stuff is hidden inside pizza boxes in Hoboken.
Or Newark?
Or Newark. So after assembling a team of...
So, Superhero League of Hoboken, but it stars Cookie Blair. How are we feeling about
Yeah,
that?
that's it. I love that phrase. After assembling a team of intrepid adventurers, you make your way through the evil Hoboken streets, which have become considerably more evil after some unspecified bad radioactive thing happened.
Not to mention one hell of a rainstorm. At first, more than half the city will be off limits to the party because no one in it is very good at treading water.
To steal a line from Dave Barry, we're not making this up. The SLH is a board full of important
Is this the first mention of Dave Barry on stream? Oh my god.
This is an
Chat,
example
if
of
you weren't a
typical
Gen
mission.
Zer, you need to know that Dave Barry was a newspaper columnist who had us all in the palm of his hand
typical for our band
with
of
his
intrepid
delightful comedy
adventurers.
That's pretty
stylings.
good. You can stop doing that anytime, you know. So anyway, the League is not the only group of freaks roaming around, just the most idealistic.
Freaks? I thought you said they were intrepid.
Give it a
Yeah, I know. I didn't make the Dave
As
Barry
I was
reference.
saying,
Okay.
There are lots of almost frightening mutants trying to take over the streets of Hoboken, and the League has to kick their ugly, irradiated
They gave
posteriors
Dave
to
Barry
gain
a
useful
sitcom. How do you
experience
feel
points
about that,
and
chat?
treasures.
Or if they're too tough, you can run away or bribe them. How's that for idealism? Well, the fighting is not the only way to gain experience in this game. Nudge, nudge.
And it's certainly not the most fun way either, wink wink.
You can always make
Yeah,
your
it was
way to the
called
red
Dave's
light
World,
center
and it
part
was
of
a
the
Dave
land.
Barry
Say no more.
sitcom.
I'll say no more then.
Ahem. Ultimately, you come face to face with the evil mastermind, Dr. Entropy, who is, appropriately enough, not real happy about the League's attempts to clean up the greater Hoboken area.
And he may be somewhat upset by the fact that he looks like a misguided fast food ad.
A thing like that could drive anyone to a life of crime.
It's all society's fault.
Anyway, as you complete more and more missions, the League becomes more powerful and more widely recognized for the great bunch of guys they are.
Not to mention
Ooh,
intrepid.
Altoona.
I'll pretend you didn't say that. Soon, new heroes will be flocking to League headquarters to join up.
You may even find your team surpassing the achievements of the legendary Superhero League of Woonsocket. You know something? We spent all this time explaining what this game is like, and we haven't even said whether we like it or not.
Oh, geez, you're right. I liked it. Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely cool. And funny.
Yep, it's really funny, all right. Silly, funny sort of thing.
Well, I feel better now that we got that out of the way.
All right. Well, let's go through the pros
There's
and
no
cons.
doubting that the character designs and writing are very funny. On top of that, the interface is really easy to work with, and there's a lot of levels to play before you exhaust the possibilities.
And the cons.
The sense of humor involved here is really absurd and sometimes dry as a bone. While I enjoyed this thoroughly, the simple fact is that not everyone will find it as funny as I did. X-fans need not apply.
And what else should we try? The Leisure Suit Larry series, okay. Day of the Tentacle, agree. And Sam and Max, I also agree. Those are good games to do. I really want to do Day of the Tentacle on stream. Chat, would you be interested in me playing through Day of the Tentacle? All right, let's check out TIE Fighter.
I've wanted to fly a TIE Fighter since
Sure,
I was
do it.
7
Okay,
years
okay.
old. It's been a
All
long
right,
wait, but
all
it's
right.
been
I
worth
guess,
it.
I guess I know
TIE
what my next
Fighter is
stream's
a
going to
great
be.
game, but it's more than that. For many of us, it's the closest thing to the realization of an impossible fantasy.
LucasArts has built a solid reputation by producing top-quality games and very little dog meat. TIE Fighter will do nothing but improve that reputation. Once again, they've done a great job.
It's a little hard to get used to, but this is the face of friendship in TIE Fighter. I hated the Emperor for over a decade, and suddenly I'm fighting to the death in his name. It's unnatural.
I've always wondered what could motivate someone to join the Empire, besides fear. LucasArts did a terrific job of creating a believable character for you to play. If you read the book that accompanies the game, you'll find out that the Empire brought order to your home planet. They represent a strong, unified government, while the rebels represent chaos. It's all a matter of perspective. Like in X-Wing, you'll start with an involved
Oh, are you saying the Nazi analogs brought order? I see what you're doing. I see.
Each of the 5 ships through a tube.
Sorry, I'm just being a sour boy.
I can sit here and fly around.
I just don't want to be on the Empire side. I don't like them.
Training is actually improved over X-Wing because it doesn't take you a week to get through it. Obviously, the goal is to get to the real missions, but the training is a lot of fun by itself. You must learn proficiency in 5 Imperial craft. The standard TIE Fighter has only 2 lasers, but its speed and agility make it a tough target to pin down. The TIE Interceptor has 4 lasers, a stronger hull, and is slightly faster. The TIE Bomber is slow, but has a well-armored hull and is supplied with 2 lasers and 2 warheaded launchers for missiles and torpedoes.
The TIE Advanced Fighter, my favorite ship, is half again as fast as any other of the ships. Plus, it has shields, 4
yeah, better a
lasers,
freak
and 2
than a
warhead
fascist.
launchers. You'll also fly the assault gunboat. It's not very fast, but it's got shields, good armor, 2 lasers, 2 warhead launchers, and 2 ion cannons, which disable ships without destroying them. The interface is basically the same. Each door of the complex takes you to a different part of the game.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Actually, I think the between-mission graphics are improved a bit over X-Wings, and of course, the animation is nice and smooth. Although it really hasn't changed since X-Wing, the mission briefing still deserves a mention. At the start of a new mission, you are treated to an animated map display that describes all the forces of the upcoming battle.
That map is great. The flight officer, while not nearly as entertaining, gives you some very helpful information.
He's so well lit.
He'll give you a few tips on how to succeed in your next attempt. See that mysterious cloaked figure? It might be a good idea to talk to him. He represents the secret order of the Emperor, a secret society within the Empire that only the most loyal disciples of the Emperor even know about.
He'll give you secondary goals to complete, many of which involve uncovering traitors within the Empire.
Ooh.
You'll get a higher score for the mission if you complete these goals.
I get extra points for snitching. Okay.
Role-play your character.
Once you complete your training and get into your first mission, you'll find the TIE Fighter is one of the most action-packed flight games ever produced. The simplest mission can erupt without warning into a frenzied dogfight. It's great.
All that training will really pay off. This is not an easy game, and it's a lot more complicated than blaster games like Wing Commander. The TIE Fighter is one of the fastest, most maneuverable ships ever to have a simulation built around it.
I disagree, but maybe I need to play a better version of the game.
Game for you. What Imperial pilot?
Because the one I played, it kept going in circles and crashing. But again, I have a curse where every time I play a plane game, I crash the plane.
With real rebel ships. This is the sort of thing I've been waiting for since 1977.
Me too. The graphics don't break any new ground, but they do the job and they keep the game moving nice and fast. I don't tend to like complicated flight sims, but I'll make a big exception here. I haven't had this much fun playing a game in a long time.
TIE Fighter is a terrific game. If you're a Star Wars fan, do yourself a favor and snag a copy as soon as you can. LucasArts has done a superlative job once again in making our fantasies a near reality.
X-Wing is already considered a classic. It should take the TIE Fighter no time at all to equal this status. It's a tough, challenging game that will make you work for your victories. Don't miss out on this one.
Okay, so they really like TIE Fighter.
The training system is quick and fun. The missions are challenging and offer a good range of tasks for you to perform, apart from just launching into kill everything mode. The graphics are superb throughout, and seeing the Star Wars universe from the Imperial point of view is interesting and highly informative.
And the cons.
Even on the easiest difficulty level, this game is no pushover. Many missions will have to be repeated a number of times before you succeed, and some people, particularly those who play simpler space shooters, are likely to find this frustrating.
And we should also try the X-Wing series and the Wing Commander series. You know what? Done. Actually, no, I don't think I've tried those. All right, last up, Zigzag.
I now know why the people of Hawaii always seem to have smiles on their faces.
Why?
It's because they live in the place where Zigzag was invented.
I'm not sure if we can say whether they're smiling because they like the game or because they finally managed to tear themselves away from the computer screen after noticing they've been sitting there for 4 hours.
There's no question that Zigzag has an insidious way of taking over your life. It lures you in because it looks incredibly simple. All you're asked to do is figure out a word anywhere from 4 to 7 letters long or a number that's anywhere from 4 to 7 digits long.
So at this point, you're thinking it's a piece of cake, right? Well, those old Hawaiians respect you way too much to make it that easy. You can only use
Those
smaller
old
words
Hawaiians,
to solve
huh?
the puzzle, and you're given a limited amount of information regarding
Me
your
one
correct
Pat
guesses.
R led
It
ace
sounds a
save.
lot like that old kids game Hangman, but you may
Salted.
feel like hanging yourself once you become fully involved. Not allowing
Okay.
you to simply plug in
You will
random
want to
letters
die if you
figure out
play
the
this
mystery
game.
word
That's cool.
Definitely makes your work a lot harder.
Then you're faced with the problem of taking advantage of your correct guesses. If you get a letter in the proper position, you earn 1,000 points. And if you find a letter that's part of the mystery word, but not in the position you have it in, you earn 250 points.
Of course, the computer neglects to tell you exactly which letter is in the proper position or exactly which letter is used somewhere else in the word. This is about the point where you run out of colorful English expletives and wish the manual had included some Hawaiian curses you could fling at your machine.
If you decide you would be happier if you could extend the joy and pain of Zigzag, you can take on the 4 quests included in this game. This is a linked series
Oh, I
of
hate this
puzzles which
number
require you to
thing.
move through the quest by solving a number of different words.
Each of the puzzles
I hate
have
that.
multiple
No.
word values, which will all earn you points. There's also a different set of rules.
Oh
for every place.
yeah,
That same flexibility is
Pogs. Pogs
also part of the
were also
single
from
puzzles,
Hawaii.
which have varying degrees of
Hawaii has
difficulty.
given us so
Zigzag is
much.
a powerful reminder of the first axiom of game design. Get a good idea and build from there. You can't kill anyone in this game, you won't be traveling to outer space to save the universe, and you won't be reliving World War II. However, you will spend hours in front of your computer enjoying yourself. Aloha!
The pros.
Learning how to play this game is easy. Beating it isn't. There are a number of difficulty levels that you can bring in if you start to feel cocky about your prowess. Basically, this is good, clean fun that will keep you in front of your computer for hours on end if you don't pay attention to time.
If you don't want to die, you gotta play a different game.
The only real
Sorry.
complaint I have about this game is the window that allows you to keep track of the letters that you've already guessed. You have to do some work with it before you can get it to fit on the same screen with your puzzle, and you have to get rid of it before you can guess the next letter.
And I should also try Tetris, Origamo, and of course, the classic Shanghai. I guess Tetris is a classic too. Let's go to the table of contents. All right. I think all we have left to look at in this issue is the hints and tips. So let's see how to get started in Magic Candle 2.
The latest installment of the IE free game
I was just seeing if there's
adventure
any.
is the
Okay, just you have an also try, but they don't have any specs here. So okay,
Magic
let's see what
Candle
this
2,
is.
the middle game in Minecraft's acclaimed role-playing series. In this introduction, we'll show you where to go to start your party, who to talk to, where to go a few more times.
That looks
and
like Fred
before you know it,
Flintstone.
you'll be up to your knees in nasty
Like right
points,
there.
At which point we'll drop
Like
you
Fred
a hot
on
rock.
fire.
This
He's
is where you'll be
suffering.
when you first land in Tellermaine. You'll be lonely, but just to your southwest, you'll find the Eastern Breeze Tavern. Go on in and have a look around. Talk to the guy seated here and offer him a space in your party. He'll accept, and you'll have another sword to take into combat. Supplies are
Your name is
always good to have
Gumpy?
in an adventure game, so walk west to the next
Gumpy.
building. This is Torillo's supply shop. Here you'll want to pick up some picks for unlocking stubborn chests, as well as a shovel to help you dig for buried treasure. Now
Gumpy.
it's time to get out of town. Walk west past one more building. You should now be standing on the main north-south street. Walking either north or south
Gumpy.
will eventually lead you to a gate, which you should go through to leave the town. You should now see an overhead map with a castle to the west and a ship to the east. Go to the castle where King Rednard awaits you. The king will be in between 10 and 1800. If you don't get to the castle between those hours,
King
use the
Rednard,
teleporter
huh?
before you enter to pass the time. Once inside, the throne room is at the end of a long walk to the north. Talk to King Rednard, who will give you some valuable information and a few goodies to help you get started. Your next stop is the Knight's Room. When you leave the throne room, head west again. You'll soon see a stairway cut into the northern wall. Don't go down them, just use them as a navigational aid. If you walk south a few paces, you should see the entrance to the Knight's Room just to the west. The Knight's Room is the castle's version of a tavern. It's a place where adventurers in the king's employ go to relax between missions. Here you'll be able to flesh out your character a little more.
I
Just
get
like in the
Fizz and
tavern,
Grolf,
talk to a
but
prospective
Gumpy
party
still
member
gets
and
me.
use the invite command to include him in the party. Now that you have a party, it's time to find some action, starting with that nasty cellar the king mentioned. Go back north to the stairs and walk down them. You should now find yourself on the castle's ground floor. Head over to the eastern wall of the castle and you should see another set of stairs. To the south of them is a room which is the entrance to the cellar. You should now be in a room with stairs to the north. Click on your hero and have him or her use the map. You should see something like this. If you don't, you're in the wrong place. If you are in the right room, head down the stairs. This will lead you to a short corridor with a door marked with an arrow to the south. This would be a good time to save your game. Go through the door to the south and suddenly you're thrust into combat. Here is where your friendly IE tour guide turns back.
Yeah, I don't know if this game is my kind of thing, but I respect it.
You're now at the start of your journey, and all of Oshgren Island awaits to greet you and kill you. Happy adventuring.
All right, what about Dark Legions?
A game of Dark Legions can be anything, from a quick brawl on a tiny map to a gargantuan war spanning across a continent-sized battlefield. No matter what type of game you favor, it all comes down to two characters slugging it out. In this episode, we'll talk about 8 of the more combat-competent characters and show you who they're best suited for killing. Click on your would-be implement of destruction to learn better ways of mashing things into little slimy bits.
Okay, so,
Demons are generally considered the best fighters in the game. They're great all-around killers with the highest life force in the game. Above all other characters, demons make great vampire slayers. Powerful though they are, demons should stay away from others with powerful attacks, since they have to be within spitting distance for their own attacks. They should also stay away from fire elementals, who are immune to their powerful flame breath. Click on your would-be implement of destruction to learn better ways of mashing things into little slimy bits. The vampire is a very powerful and talented unit.
The vampire is very powerful and talented. I love vampires.
Main disadvantage in the game is its negative
But I love
health
ice cream more.
regeneration, which can be
Man.
fixed with a ring of regeneration.
I need to find a place in town that does
1 or 2 rings of
small
stamina
batch,
will help you
artisanal,
immensely. Just keep hitting your
frou-frou
opponent with
style
IVs
ice
and then
cream. It's
close
been a
in
long time
for the
since I've had
kill.
fancy
the
ice cream.
manual says you shouldn't fight demons with vampires, but this just takes some persistence on your part. The hardest part about using
Yeah,
the
I hope you like
vampire
hearing her
is
say
getting the right
slimy
distance
bits.
to strike from. Use this screenshot as a reference and practice, 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 and practice. Click on your would-be implement of destruction to learn better ways of mashing things into little slimy bits. The water elemental has about the same abilities as the fire elemental, and in combat, the two are very evenly matched. The water elemental is best against slow-moving opponents, since it can strike from a distance. If things get too close for comfort, the tidal wave attack can also be used to propel yourself away from an attacker. Click on your would-be implement of destruction to learn better ways of mashing things into little slimy bits. The phantom must be toe-to-toe with its victim, but a few quick jabs, pow pow, will cause anyone serious damage.
Oh, I've
The
heard of Big
Phantom's
Gay Ice
greatest
Cream.
asset
Oh,
is
I wish I could
obviously
eat
its
there. They don't have
invisibility,
any in
which it only
Austin.
loses
We've
while
got Jenny
attacking.
Splendid or
Unfortunately,
whatever, but we
computer
don't got that
opponents
Big
seem to
Gay
have
Ice
no
Cream, which
problem
I
seeing a Phantom
need.
anywhere in the combat zone. For this reason, you should save Phantom Assailants for 2-player contests. Click on your would-be implement of destruction to learn better ways of mashing things into little slimy bits. Due to their ability to teleport across a strategic map, Wraiths make exceptional assassins for the spell-casting characters.
I
who
guess I
tend
could
to
go to
hang back
Amy's
out of
Ice Cream.
harm's
That's
way.
our local
They are
art, like
fast
our
enough to
local
overtake
chain,
a
but
vampire, but are slow
I
to
don't know.
change directions. Therefore, they should not be used against missile-throwing enemies. Rings of rejuvenation and protection are good additions to a Wraith, since they can't help but take some damage during battle. Click on your would-be implement of destruction to learn better ways of mashing things into little slimy bits. While the fire elemental is a good fighter in any matchup, there are 2 characters it excels at killing. One is the demon, whose primary attack, fire breath, is useless against the fire elemental. A few fireballs from
Man,
a
I haven't been
distance will
to
weaken a
Baskin
demon,
Robbins in so
who then
long.
must use his weaker attack in close quarters. Fire elementals
We
are
have a
also
lot of
well
vegan
suited
ice
for
cream places in
dispatching
town.
seers.
I had some
Seers
once.
hit with a
It
befuddle
was
attack will
okay.
mix up your
I
joystick
didn't. It didn't
directional
freeze
control,
correctly
but you
for
can
me, so
maneuver
I didn't
close enough
really
to a
enjoy the
seer
texture
through
of it.
trial and
But
error, hit
I
them with a
respected
mini
it for
Nova, which does
existing.
damage to any adjacent opponent,
That was
regardless of
at
your
Yummy
facing.
Joy,
Click
which
on your
is
would-be
part of Toy
implement of
Joy.
destruction to learn better ways of mashing things into little slimy bits.
Toy Joy is a toy store in Austin that frequently goes viral for having funny signs inside. I've gotten, that's where I got my fur-bearing trout toy, was from there.
Often overlooked, the troll has
I love
great
my
merit
fur-bearing
as a
trout.
demon
He's my best
hunter.
friend.
3 overhead smash attacks will turn a demon to goo. Since you can almost always get in at least 2 of these attacks, pitting 2 trolls against a demon will get rid of a nasty thorn in your side. 1 quick bash will also waste a phantom. If you have to fight against a bolt-throwing enemy, try to duck behind a rock and get your opponent to waste stamina shooting at you while you're covered. The computer tends to be stupid in that regard. Click on your would-be implement of destruction.
All right,
to
last
learn better
would-be
ways
implement of
mashing
destruction.
things into
Say
little
it.
slimy bits.
Thank you for saying slimy bits, ma'am.
The orc isn't one of the most powerful creatures around, but it can be very effective.
How is the
if
orc
used
not
well.
powerful?
Pushing the A and B buttons together causes the orc to charge, which does quite a bit of damage. For this reason, the orc is best suited for use against slower characters who can't dodge very well. Rings of stamina are a good buy, as the charge attack drains about half your stamina. Click on your would-be implement of destruction to learn better ways of mashing things into little slimy bits.
Little slimy bits. Okay. So that was a lot of info on Dark Legions. What about Great Naval Battles 2?
Our second look at Great Naval Battles 2 will step us through what the Japanese do best: night attacks with the long lance torpedo. Deadly because of its large
whatever.
great speed and long endurance,
None
it
of my
surprised
business what
US
this guy
commanders
says.
who had been given overly conservative estimates of the long lance's true capabilities. The U.S. Navy High Command had dismissed the pre-war reports of its phenomenal endurance and speed as being exaggerations. For our demonstration, we'll play the Japanese in the Tatsufaranga scenario. Go to the flag bridge and order your ships to hold their
Hey,
fire
Prancing
so that the enemy
Possum.
may not spot you
We're
until
going
your
through the hints and
torpedoes have
tips
found their
part
mark.
of
Now
Interactive
let time pass
Entertainment
until you
Issue
have a contact.
5.
When you find the enemy, click on their ships and note their course, speed, and range. Next, unzoom the map until you can see the 3 range circles for your lead destroyer's torpedoes. Since it's nighttime, at least their lead ship should be within the yellow circle, which is the highest speed setting for the long lance. If not, close the distance slightly. You'll have an advantage in seeing the enemy because his cruisers are easier to spot than your destroyer. You should detach the ships that will make torpedo runs from the main group, as it is often necessary for them to make several course changes. Also, you don't want them to make sudden changes in speed or course in order to keep station with the main body. Go to the flag bridge of the high A, bring up
Not
the
gonna
ship
lie,
list
this
and
is going
highlight your lead
all
destroyer.
over my head.
Then
I
click
do
on the
not
detach
do
ship
submarine.
Answer yes to the question. Go to the
I
bridge
do
of your
not
lead
do
destroyer
war
and click
games
on the
very
nav
well.
station.
I'm not a big war
Change
game
the
guy.
navigation setting from auto to manual. Next, bring up the Set Orders menu and choose Manual for it. Also, if an enemy ship is already within the yellow circle, set your destroyer's course to the same as the enemy's, or a rough reciprocal as shown here. Now click on the Torp button and note how many torpedoes.
Oh, what I'm doing is I'm trying to go through
long
every
ranges like
issue of
this, you'll want
Interactive
to launch every
Entertainment,
torpedo
which
you
was
have on
a
board to
CD-ROM
maximize
only
your chances for a
magazine,
hit. As a
and
precautionary move,
yeah,
go to the torpedo
they
stations
go through a
now
lot of
and
interesting
change the
games that
setting
I've
there
never
from
heard
auto
of,
to
including
manual.
this one.
Also, set the width of the torpedo spread setting if needed. Most of
Yeah,
the time,
this
leaving button
UE
at the
is
default
not
settings
for
is
me.
recommended unless you are within 5,000 yards and there are several ships in formation. Go ahead and detach any other destroyers that you wish to use now and set their courses so that they converge slightly with the enemy formation. In this instance, a course of 190 should bring you close to the U.S. cruisers. As time passes, follow the course and speed of your intended prey in order to note any aberrations. Now you're ready to select a target. Click
Those
on the
buttons
black
look
area
delicious, I'm
underneath the
sorry.
compute
Those
button
green
and
ones,
select
those
one of
green
the
ones in
enemy ships.
particular,
If no
they
ships
look
are
like
available
super
for selection,
sour
look carefully at
gumballs,
the
and I
guidance
want
dial
them
and
very
click on it
badly.
near the small red line to ensure that you are training the mount on the correct side of the ship.
XCOM's a game I've always wanted to try, but I've never tried it. I may have tried it on stream on RetroPals, but I've never tried it in like my personal time.
If you have a choice of targets, select a ship in the middle of the formation.
Now
so
they
that
look
more
less
of your
delicious. They're in
torpedoes
their
will have a
dark
chance
mode.
to find a home. Ship number 1 is the victim du jour here. Normally, no ships will show through the sights when your torpedo mount is properly aimed. The computer does a good job of
Little
working out the correct
slimy
firing solutions,
bits.
so you may safely leave that alone. Now that the plot is set, you can depress the fire button. The green lights of the launched torpedoes will dim, showing that they're on their way. While you're waiting for your other destroyers to close to visual range, it's fun to watch the imminent demise of the opposition draw near. From this picture, it looks like the lead ship will find one of the torpedoes intended for the ship behind her in line, showing the benefit of launching at a target in the middle of a formation. I love it when I'm right. When the torpedoes are almost to their targets, go to the lookout station and use the Set View command to pick a spot about 5,000 yards diagonally in front of your targets and watch the night light up. Until next time, keep a ship
Troubleshooter abandoned children, huh? Okay, I should try that out. Harpoon 2. This sounds like another naval battle thing.
Harpoon 2 is a conceptually complex game about the most high-tech realm of warfare, the struggle for control of air and sea. The opening few hours of a Harpoon 2 game will be tense as you struggle to get enough air and sea assets within range to deal with the multitude of threats arrayed against you. Several of the missiles and guided munitions in
Oh my
Harpoon 2,
God,
for
look at
example,
this.
Automat 2, Walleyes,
I don't know about
and even
this.
the Phoenix Air
Chat,
Series
look at
will have
this.
command guidance links and can be guided back to their targets to
Oh,
try
this
again.
is
As
this
depicted
would kill
here,
me.
There are some 30 Walleyes and 56 harms on their way to snuff an airbase. I have used the page up key to show units so that I could target individual airbase facilities.
Tom Clancy
In
was a fan of the
absence an
series,
outside
huh?
reference source, you can tell that a weapon may have the potential of command guidance if it doesn't disappear after flying past its target. Here we have a number of Walleyes that haven't gotten the message. When this sort of thing happens, you should pause the game and click on the missiles one at a time, as shown here. Next, select the navigation icon. If it's depressed, you're in business. Now set a path for the munition as depicted on the screen. If you're guiding an air-to-surface or surface-to-surface missile, lay in a course that ends directly on top of the target. Otherwise, if you're using a Torp or a Phoenix, you'll need to lead the target somewhat. How much to lead is a skill that will come with practice. When you've finished setting the course, click on the path icon again. If the path remains after you've clicked the navigation icon, then that weapon has command guidance capability. When you've replotted the offending ordnance, start time again and watch what happens. Some of the Walleyes have hit their marks, but several still don't have the idea. Repeat the process described above, sending these bad
Yeah,
boys
this is
back to
ultimate
work
DOS
as many
gaming.
times as you can before they run out of gas. When using command-guided ordnance, be sure and have your aircraft at medium altitude or better so they can pass guidance information to the missiles. Otherwise, the missiles will go stupid and take a scenic cruise over the countryside.
They'll go
Air-to-air
stupid, huh?
refueling can really save your bacon in Harpoon 2, but it's more of a dessert than a main course, since you have to split up a group into several planes in order to refuel them and then try to regroup them when they're tanked up. It isn't really practical to extend the range of strike aircraft this way. But for a fighter or a lone aircraft, it can extend your intercept range or shorten the time it takes to get there. Here's how it works. First, send the tanker out
XCOM's
somewhere
coming
safe,
up.
but
We
use
got to just get through
the vector is about
our
3/4 of the way
vegetables,
towards the
aka
barrier
Harpoon
CAV,
2.
shielding the forces of good and their base. Before trying a
Harpoon
refueling
2 is
rendezvous,
the
make sure your tanker
kale
has no force
smoothie
flow and its
of
speed is set to
hints.
loiter. Then, when a fighter or recon aircraft is riding on fumes, select it and click on the Air Ops button as shown. Make sure you know which plane is the tanker and double-click on it to set up the meet. You should now see the distressed fighter's path change and point to the tanker. From here on, the process is automatic. You don't have to do anything with the fighter until the computer tells you that the aircraft doesn't have any orders. We're all gassed up and ready to go again, back into combat or home for more missiles.
All right, last but not least, let's hear some tips for XCOM, Terran Defense.
This is Action News reporting live from New Delhi, India. When you're a hard-driving XCOM trooper, you don't get much chance to relax, so we were fortunate to get these fine young people to pose for our Action News crew in their shiny armor. Enough to make you want to run off and sign up, isn't it? Days like this are more typical. Captain Dietrich, could you spare a few words for our viewers?
Not now. We're up to our armpits in UFOs. There's a base in Africa that could have opened up a used UFO lot by now for all we know, and when we last heard from the US, they sent us a message telling us to bug off, and a tape called America's Funniest Abductions. I've got a tough group of guys, but the only way we've survived is knowing what to choose and what to lose.
Thank you, Captain. And speaking of weapons, now a
Anyone
word
in
from our
chat ever
sponsor,
seen Alien
Worldwide
Autopsy
Arms.
when it aired on
There
Fox?
are many factors to bear in mind when deciding what weapons to take along. And here at Worldwide Arms, we can provide the discriminating soldier with weapons for every occasion. At first, looking at these three guns, it would seem that the heavy plasma gun wins hands down because it's tops in both accuracy and damage. But that ignores the extra TUs spent both to fire the heavy plasma and to carry it. As time passes and each combat becomes more harried, every TU becomes precious. Examine the TU costs for each of these weapons. Particularly, the TU costs for autofire. One of the vital aspects of XCOM is learning to use time effectively. The accuracy of the heavy plasma is greater at each setting, but it will take longer to fire, and autofire is where it's at for our troops. These 3 pictures show the actual TUs a soldier would spend firing
I do like
each
him
weapon.
affectating
The soldier in
a
our example has
an
77
accent.
TUs if he does nothing else but shoot. That works out to 4 rounds of autofire from the laser pistol, and 2 rounds of autofire and 1 snapshot from both the laser rifle and the heavy plasma gun. However, using the laser rifle, that soldier would have 6 TUs left to duck behind a corner or get out of the way. That doesn't include the smaller loads each soldier has to carry when lugging a heavy plasma. As with most decisions in XCOM, there's always one more thing to consider. Anytime a rifle or pistol goes into combat, it will use a clip, even if it doesn't fire. On the other hand, only 3 heavy plasma blasts are needed to shoot through most interior walls in a UFO. Worldwide Arms recommends using laser pistols as a sidearm for troops carrying heavy weapons. Use heavy plasma guns as support weapons for your stronger soldiers, and the rest, especially rookies, will feel right at home with laser rifles.
Action News back reporting live again from New Delhi. When it comes to personal protection, one suit fits all occasions. The flying suit. Captain Dietrich has made their use mandatory. As you can see from these figures, it provides
Gotta
the
use the
maximum
flying
protection
suit.
allowed by law. You can get hit from the front by a heavy plasma gun and still be around to talk about it. Not only does the flying suit increase mobility, it enhances survival in less obvious ways. Just for our viewing audience, this trooper hovered over the detonation point for an alien grenade. The grenade was located on the 2nd floor of this barn, only 2 levels below him. Here he is, and not a scratch on him. There was one incident during the filming of this report. While getting ready to enter a UFO, we got a little surprise in the form of 2 alien grenades which were lobbed at us by rude beings inside. The only person
Rude
injured
beings,
was Captain
huh?
Dietrich, who was standing just to the right of the UFO's door
Rude
in
beings.
this photo. This was fortunate since it allowed us
I'm
to
a rude
show
being.
you, our audience, the wonders of medkits. After some initial reticence, Captain Dietrich was kind enough to let us film the extent of his injuries. In addition to its medical uses, medkits can be sold for a profit on the open market. While not the best item to make for profit, they are an early leader in that role. Here we see the actual medkit used by our corpsmen. When used on a patient, medics will see a screen similar to this one. All injured areas are clearly shown in red. Captain
Put
Dietrich seems
painkiller
to have
up to a
sustained
million.
damage to his right leg. Let's watch as the medic diagnoses the problem. What a shame! Captain Dietrich appears to have 2 fatal wounds in his leg. Tell us, Captain, how do you feel? Captain? It appears the good captain has become unconscious, so we'll try to have a word with him later. Well, that's all for now from the front lines. This is Action News reporting live from New Delhi.
Okay, is that all of the issue? Let's go to the subscribe page. Yeah, there we go.
Forget reading.
Forget
Subscribe to
reading.
IE. 12 episodes, only $59. Call now.
All right. Anything else? I think we did it all. Oh, I didn't see. Oh, there's a home system page. Oh my god. All right. Well, let's go. I didn't know the home system page would actually be a different page. Balls.
A great fighting game has to have certain features. Great characters, speed, cool moves. Also, it helps to have balls. Balls is a new accolade game for the Genesis, and balls are all there is to this game. Your characters are made up of collections of balls, giving this game a totally unique look among fighters. This game doesn't take itself especially seriously, and that's probably for the best. You'll play as a clown, an ape, a midget with a big club, and other such oddballs. The game features 3D play, much like Virtua Fighter in the arcade. But even in 3D, the unique ball rendering allows the game to play lightning
Unique
fast
ball
without any
rendering,
slowdown.
which they would
The
use
moves,
for
special moves,
the
and
Pet
combos are
series when they
terrific
did
and will
that.
make fighting freaks appreciate this card. Depending on the character, you can throw your head like a missile, hand walk across an invisible rope, hover in the air, and even hawk lethal loogies at your opponent. If you aim your jump well, you can even land on an opponent's back and pummel away. If you're tired of the same old fighting game moves, this is the title to check out. Balls is a terrific fighting game. It's fast, original, and a riot. Getting my balls squashed never made me laugh so hard. Parents will even approve of it since it has no blood and no realistic violence. Even without gore, any fightmonger who comes across this game is likely to be more than a little impressed. If you have the, guts, check out Balls. It's serious fun in disguise.
Any pros and... Oh, they got the pros and cons for this one.
The graphics are great, and the animation is extremely fast and smooth. The 8 characters vary considerably in both look and technique, and the moves are some of the most original I've seen in a long time. The sound and music are terrific as well.
And the cons?
The lack of blood may make some gamers pass this title by, which will be their loss. Also, the 3D view can occasionally change to an angle which is not especially conducive to good gameplay.
Alright, what else should we try if we like balls? Clay Fighter, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and of course, Mortal Kombat. Can't believe Home Systems has its own section.
Everyone and his brother seems to be jumping on the fighting game bandwagon.
Alright, which one of these is your persona?
Being a huge fan of beat-em-ups, I couldn't wait to get my
I'm
hands
the Gator.
on GameTech's entry into the bloody jumble, Brutal Paws of Fury. Yes, you heard right, Paws of Fury, as in animal paws. The basics of Brutal should be pretty obvious. This is a tournament fighting game, folks. At its most rudimentary level, you choose one of 8 characters and try to pummel your foe using 6 different punch and kick attacks. On top of this, Brutal offers the obligatory special moves. The manual tells you all the moves each character is capable of, but doesn't tell you how to perform them. Instead, you get taught the controller movements after you defeat a couple of opponents using only your basic knowledge. Brutal
That sucks.
Is a fantastic-looking game, taking full advantage of all 64
Your sandwich
colors
bear,
to Sega
you...
hardware
Okay,
can
okay, I'm
muster.
glad we're all
Motion
finding our
is smooth,
personas.
and the game's cartoon-like graphic style is consistent throughout the game. Customization is everywhere. Not only can you change game speed, difficulty, and controls, you can even name your character. After you die, there's a password feature that saves your win-loss record and the moves you've learned. Combat is a mixed bag. The characters stand out well against the backgrounds without looking out of place, and the music and sound effects are great.
Ray
but I did
Rat.
have
Maybe I
some
should be the
trouble with
rat.
controls. They weren't
I can't
quite
do
as
Muay
fluid
Thai,
as what
though.
I've come to expect from, say, a Neo Geo fighting game. If you're new to fighting games, you may not find this to be a problem, but if you're used to Super Street Fighter 2, it may take some getting used to. While I wasn't completely thrilled with the actual fighting part of Brutal, the overall production is original and quite enjoyable. Sega CD owners have been waiting a long time for a fighting game other
We
than Mortal
have.
Kombat, and Brutal provides the relief they've been seeking. It should keep anyone hooked for a while unless you encounter a moral dilemma in viciously assaulting a crocodile with a rat.
I have no moral dilemma with beating up crocodiles
Everyone
with
and his brother-
rats.
Simply put, this is the best-looking fighting game available on a home system. The CD soundtrack is
What?
also top-notch and can even be played separately via a sound test menu. A wide variety of moves exist for each character, including a taunt move that restores your own energy.
And
The basics of
No. Tell me the cons, baby.
The only true flaw I found in Brutal was its quirky control. I often felt lucky when a character actually did what I wanted it to. This may have something to do with the delay times associated with CD games, at least I hope so. That means the problem should be fixed by the time the cartridge versions are available.
We'll see
Brutal
about
is a-
that. What else should we try? Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and of course the Fatal Fury series. What about Fighter's History?
After going an entire 2 weeks without playing a new Neo Geo fighting game, I was beginning to break out in cold sweats. Salvation arrived just in time in the form of Fighter's History Dynamite from Data East. Only fear of losing my job keeps me away from this game long enough to review it. Yeah, it's just another Neo Geo kick and punch, but it improves on its predecessor immensely. I've played almost every tournament fighting game out there, and Dynamite is one of the best. Everybody knows that the first test for games in this genre is how they stand up to Capcom's Street Fighter games. The first Fighter's History game, now available for the SNES, looked and played so similarly to Street Fighter 2 Turbo that Capcom filed a lawsuit.
That's
They
true.
lost, and Fighter's History was allowed to stay. Dynamite proves to be less of a ripoff of Street Fighter 2 Turbo, but probably won't be compared to it anyway, because it currently exists on the Neo Geo only. The addition of 2 new characters, plus the ability to play as the 2 bosses from Fighter's History, gives Dynamite 13 playable characters and 91 possible matchups in all. Utilizing all 4 buttons on the Neo Geo joystick, light and strong punches and kicks, Dynamite's combo system is deep. Each character possesses several unblockable sequences of moves requiring precision timing. Special moves are abundant as well, and are much easier to pull off than those in other Neo Geo fighting games. So good is the control that I was able to do every special move listed in the manual, as well as some not listed in the manual. Dynamite gets a dose of originality courtesy of its weak point system, carried over from the first fighter's history. Every character has a weak spot on his or her body covered by a piece of clothing or gear. 3 solid hits to
Take
the scenery
off
will
the
cause
clothing.
character to
Let us
lose the
see
protective
shirtless
piece and
men.
become dizzied momentarily. A good combo or special move can usually finish them off after this is done. Even if they're not instantly killed, any successive hits to the weak spot will do extra damage. This system provides for more skill and aim in combat and can turn the tide of a match quickly. Fighter's History Dynamite not only contains the best pure combat engine yet in a Neo Geo title, it also takes the cake in the graphics department. The stage scenery and animation is truly spectacular and must be seen to be believed. On the downside, the sound quality is only average and speech seems distorted. Also, unless Data East is kept completely quiet,
Yeah, I could never afford to have a Neo Geo as a child. I had a Sega CD and I felt like a Rockefeller when I got that one.
To at least try Fighter's History Dynamite, you'll undoubtedly agree that it plays great.
All right, the pros.
If you own a Neo Geo and have longed for a game that controls as well as the Street Fighter II games, look no further. Control in Dynamite is perfect, and I had no trouble whatsoever pulling off complicated special moves and combos. Each of the 13 characters plays differently, and no twin characters exist. Finally, as is the case with all Neo Geo fighters, the graphics in the game are the best in the genre.
And the cons.
Fighter's History Dynamite is a pure one-on-one fighting game. It really doesn't go beyond that. There's no speed setting, no finishing moves, no special charge meters. It's about as plain vanilla a game as I've seen on the Neo Geo. The sound is a tad below the usual Neo Geo standards as
Hey,
well.
Z-Reserve, yeah, I'm back. I'm back and finishing up interactive entertainment. I didn't know that the system section contained so many delightful treats. World Heroes 2 Jet, Fatal Fighters, Fighters Histor. I'm Fighters Histor. I like that. All right, back to home systems. Grid.
Tetragon's Gridders is a puzzle game for the 3DO. There's not a lot of those around,
Hey, chat.
so this one definitely deserves
Is
some attention.
Finfin a boy
You
or a
control
girl?
Zach, a former employee of the Gritter Corporation who was unceremoniously fired and... Actually, the plot is obviously just tacked onto the finished game, and it makes no sense, so I won't bother you with it. Basically, each
Their
level
gender is
puts
friend?
Zack on a
That makes
wide grid
sense.
dominated
Oh, I
by
remember
enormous moving
Gritters.
blocks.
Oh, this. Oh, my
Occasionally, he's accompanied
God.
by his half-robot dog, Fidex.
Finfin has no gender. Finfin transcends
Down
gender.
here, you can
Come and
a
see
few
him.
triangles.
Okay,
They
maybe
are
it's male.
keyholes, and Zack must find enough pyramid keys to fill them all. When he does, he moves to the next level. Sounds simple enough? Of course, the tricky variable in all this is those moving cubes. This isn't Tetris, and you can't make them go away. But don't worry, they can't all kill you, just the stripy ones. The solid ones stop for you, and you can use them to block others. This is important because the cubes with the green triangles on them generate pyramid keys when they're stopped. You
I like the
have to
music.
pull off this maneuver at least once each level, and most of the generator cubes also happen to be the stripy killers. Oh boy. So what does faithful Fidex have to do with all this mayhem? Well, he's cute. No, really. I'm not entirely sure. I think
Sorry,
he
I was
barks
just
when you
thinking,
walk
what if
onto a
Finfin
square
was a
that's
wine
ripe with
mom?
blockage, but it's debatable whether this is helpful at all.
Sorry.
Anyway, it's good that you don't have to do this alone. Probably one of the reasons there aren't more 3DO puzzle games is that they don't tend to need much in the way of the graphics that are the platform's main
But I
selling
guess
point.
since Finfin is a boy, that I can't do that. Actually, I can do whatever I want with Finfin. Who's gonna stop me?
Push of a button, you can go
God?
from close-up to seeing the full grid or
God
adjust
can't
the
stop
zoom
me.
wherever you want. Gridders is an entertaining little game. It has 36 levels, each a 16 by
Finfin can
16
have a
grid,
wife.
and it's
Okay.
challenging enough to
So
take
there
some time
is
to
a
solve.
wine mom
Something keeps it from
Finfin
reaching classic status, though, and it's
possibility
hard
out
to
there.
figure what.
Okay. Sorry, it's my first time back streaming, so my brain is not functioning as well.
This is not just a retread of
And all
more
I could think of
famous
is
puzzle games.
Finfin,
The
wine
player has
mom.
to be more passive as Zack among the giant killer cubes. The graphics are attractive, and there's a lot of control over the camera perspective. Also, the music sounds really great and takes full advantage of the 3DO stereo capability.
And the
This
cons?
doesn't really affect gameplay, but the background story about the evil Gritters Corporation is unnecessary and confusing. Also, there's something really annoying about having to play a character who cries out, "Digital!" every time something good happens.
And what else should we try? Tetris. Chad, what the hell is Oxide Magnum? Oxide Magnum, huh? Sounds like a kind of supplement you'd take if you were a bodybuilder. Also try Breakthrough. King of the Monsters 2.
Takara has been on a roll lately.
Takara?
A couple months ago, they ported Fatal Fury 2 to the
Takara
with excellent results, and now they've released King of the Monsters 2 for the same system. If you've played and like KTM2 on the Neo Geo, you'll be pleasantly surprised by the quality of Takara's translation. If you haven't ever heard of this game or its predecessor, well, where have you been? King of the Monsters 2 is not a fighting game in the typical sense. Most of it is action-oriented, and what fun action it is. You control one of the 3 unique gargantuan monsters, each possessing a basic punch and kick attack. The object of the game is to run rampant through cities, destroying not only aliens, but buildings as well. Taller buildings can even be yanked out of the ground and used as projectiles, thereby providing a third attack method. Woe be to those aliens who get smacked silly by a flying Eiffel Tower. After leveling
I think
the city and powering
the reason why I'm thinking about Fin Fin Wine Mom is that I just want... How do we get moms into retro games? How do we do this? This seems like moms do like Tetris, and they probably love Fin Fin. That's what I think. I think that we can get moms into Fin Fin. We can be like, here's a respectable character for your child, and you know...
Should you win a grapple, you can then
I just want Fin Fin to have a renaissance with more people.
Damage them heavily. If the boss wins the grapple, well, I hope you have some continues left. Not only will you get knocked down and hurt, but your butt will be repeatedly kicked before you have a chance to get up. Other special moves can be done without grappling first. A power meter at the top of the screen builds up when you hold down a charge button.
Bubsy, okay, Bubsy would be a good way. Moms love Bubsy. I don't know what it is about Bubsy, but man, my mom loves Bubsy. There is just something about Bubsy that attracts moms. He's a mom magnet.
Super attacks are essential to win. There are a couple of problems with KTM2 that have nothing to do with it being a translation. There were problems on the Neo Geo version.
Moms love Leisure Suit Larry. Like, no, they really do.
The pre-boss action sequences to be ridiculously easy, especially after powering up. Even if you're only an average player, you'll probably only die during boss fights. Also, this game is a little short and is probably more of a candidate.
I can get, okay. I could get a Bubsy cameo where Bubsy's like...
It's a blast. It looks great, plays great, and will single-handedly cause arthritis.
Did I mention I like trans rights or something like that?
The grappling fights with the bosses in this game will give you more of an adrenaline rush than any other game out there. Unlike many other multi-character games, each of the 3 monsters in KTM2 are truly different from each other and have completely different moves, strengths, and weaknesses. Control is excellent, and performing special moves is a breeze.
And the cons.
I was bummed that KTM2 ended so quickly. The bosses have increasingly larger life bars, but the game's difficulty starts off pretty easy and doesn't increase much towards the end. Some more characters would have been nice too.
All I'm saying is put some lipstick on Fin Fin, and we have the newest, the newest hot character for moms. Anyways, try King of the Monsters and Super WrestleMania. Rebel Assault.
I, like the rest of intelligent humanity, hold a great deal of admiration for Star Wars. I was your typical Luke Skywalker wannabe, watching the movies multiple times and having lightsaber fights with my friends. I've come to realize, though, that the efforts to prolong the Star Wars era, namely through video game spin-offs, have produced subpar results. Case in point, JVC's Rebel Assault for the Sega CD. The PC is the only platform on which you'll find any halfway decent Star Wars-related titles. LucasArts' X-Wing and TIE Fighter are decent simulators if you have the right hardware for them. Rebel Assault for the Sega CD, though, doesn't match the graphic quality, intensity, or required technique of those 2 games, and certainly doesn't deserve to be associated with the Star Wars name. The proof is in the playing. Rebel Assault is divided up into several
Yeah, I wonder if
missions
this guy
which
saw
must
the
be completed
prequels.
consecutively. Some focus on navigation and maneuvering your ship, while others are more like target practice, requiring you to aim your guns and fire at every marked object. Inconsistency reigns supreme here. Some missions are ridiculously easy, while others are so frustrating they'll make you memorize the continue password. Using a 6-button control pad for flight simulation is a lousy idea. The control is way too sensitive, and I often found myself crashing into mountains when it looked like I was flying
Fin replacing the
This would be
minions.
an
You know
okay
what I'm
game for
talking
the younger
about.
crowd, I guess.
Just imagine
During
like
the shooting sequences, your ship
a
basically
Fin
goes where it's supposed to
and they've got
automatically.
lipstick
You just
on
move
and
the
a
crosshairs
purse and eyelashes, and it says it's 1 o'clock sometime. And it looks like it's been like deep fried. It's just so beautiful. We could do this. We can do this. I just need a Facebook and a dream.
Rebel Assault's decent voices and music can't save it. In fact, I doubt anything could save it. A different controller would prove quite handy, but still wouldn't change my opinion of this game. Rebel Assault is a boring space simulator with several non-exciting elements. If you really want a good space sim, get a PC or at least a 3DO. Don't buy Rebel Assault unless you're looking for a cure for insomnia.
All right, Rebel Assault is a cure for insomnia. Got it.
The only good parts about this game were the music and sound effects. One could expect good sound from a
Yeah,
CD
moms
game, and
love
Rebel Assault
Stitch.
delivers in this area. The password feature is nice too.
Moms love little bastards, which is why I think they would like Fin.
5- and 6-year-old games in the same genre blow Rebel Assault out of the water. There's nothing new here. The gameplay is repetitive and boring, and it's too easy to die on the flight stages, especially using the 6-button control pad.
What else should I try? Wing Commander series, Total Eclipse, which we've played, and Shockwave. Speaking of which, Shockwave.
The aliens are coming. Lock all your doors, windows, and computers because the aliens are coming. That phrase may have been used in fictional radio broadcasts or as an April Fool's joke, but in the year 2019, the attack does occur on Earth. A gigantic shockwave of alien ships approach the world and plan to take it over. But wait, if you stop the oncoming barrage of ships, maybe humanity has a chance. You have to save them in Shockwave, a new 3DO experience from Electronic Arts. Being one of the few 3DO-only games now available, Shockwave tries to call itself a flight simulator, but in reality, it's in its own genre. It's not a flight simulator and not an action game, but an eclectic mix of the two. You'll have to battle the aliens in 10 very different missions located all over the world, with the final mission taking place on the moon. With each new mission, there is an all-new terrain modeled from satellite photos and new aliens constantly introduced to keep the plot rolling. Electronic Arts is giving us a preview of the full-motion video technique they'll be using in Wing Commander 3, where they blend live actors with 3D backgrounds. The acting is fairly good for a computer game, but I still kept thinking that these folks were rather out of touch with their characters. The full-motion video in Shockwave is the best yet on 3DO, but the real technical star of this title is the excellent Dolby surround sound. On board the F-177 fighter, you will meet
man,
ICE,
Final
the
Fantasy
intelligent
VII
combat
Advent
engine.
Children.
ICE explains the mission goals as well as providing
That's
hints and
something
tips.
it's been a while since I've seen
packs
that.
a rather light arsenal of laser guns along with missiles. In the middle of the cockpit, there's a video display screen which acts as a radar or as a communications screen when the mothership is contacting you. While in flight, you will often run out of fuel and weapons, so there are conveniently placed refueling droids to immediately boost the ship's power and reload weapons. But in the air, the controls are dead easy to learn. Use the directional pad to move the ship and the buttons to fire weapons and use afterburners. There are no complicated key combinations like Super Wing Commander. An undocumented feature on the F-177 is the ability to do a complete 360-degree roll. This is accomplished
Again, what if you could go to Spencer's and you could see Fin shirts with like Fin wearing a backwards ball cap, and he's saying like,
feature is the fact that the ship can't crash into the mountains, alleviating a lot of difficulty.
can't fuck up my
But wait, I'm
style.
not saying this game is
That's
easy.
what Fin would say if I had control. Eat my fins. Oh, that's so much better. Oh, I just think Fin's with all the Y2K stuff becoming popular, I just feel that Fin we could slot him in there. Just Fin X big dogs, you know. If you can't swim with the big fins, we could be like, if you can't swim with the big fins, get out of the ocean, you know.
Devoid of major obstacles. In Mission 3, when you fly through the western United States, landmarks appear, such as the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas and the Hollywood sign in Los Angeles.
Cool.
It's interesting how
Yeah,
you
what
can
the fin?
destroy the Hollywood sign, perhaps sending a message about Hollywood's involvement in games. As the game progresses, the designers added more and more plot twists to keep the action intense and exciting. These twists include futuristic prisons that use a vacuum to suck up their inmates. You'll have to destroy the 4 power pods around these prisons, thus freeing the prisoners inside. Little things like this keep the game interesting. The fact that you know a new and exciting cinematic is coming at the end of each mission is even more of an incentive to keep on playing. Technically speaking, Shockwave provides a very fast frame rate on 3DO, and the fog effect for objects far away is nicely done. The control is about as good as you can get on the 3DO control pad. I'm still waiting for that promised.
Yeah, I've come to be your friend. God can't stop me. Oh, maybe it should just be Fin. Backwards hat just says God can't stop me.
The F-177
I think that's it.
Like something you would hear from one of those toy guns you buy for $10, not a multi-million-dollar fighter jet.
Fin could be smoking weed in this image. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure.
For readers who want
I gotta talk to the people at Spencer's.
And another, I'd say it's similar to Rebel Assault's space combat portions. That comparison
is it weird that I'm kind of like I go to Spencer's because it's like nostalgic for me?
Nevertheless, Shockwave earns high marks for the variety of terrain and excellent production quality.
I haven't bought something from Spencer's in 20 years, but you know.
Pull out a few hairs in the process, Shockwave should end up pleasing you. This is a new wave of gaming, and it's shocking to see a glimpse of what's possible on the 3DO. Shockwave has a lot going for it. The cinematic cutscenes are well done, there's a lot of variety in the beautiful mission terrain, and the landmarks on the ground look great.
We got two malls in Austin.
And there's always something happening.
And I want to say they both have Spencer's.
Provided you have a surround sound setup. Finally, although it's not apparent at first, there's a lot of strategy involved, especially during the second half of the game.
And the cons?
The biggest drawback to Shockwave is the fact that it's extremely hard and can be frustrating at times. The saved game implementation has some problems demonstrated by the fact that I lost my game and had to start over again because I pressed stop too many times after crashing. When you fail a mission and that was your last life, don't press stop during the death scene. If you do, the program will think you want to restart the game and thus it will erase your progress.
No!
Also, the control isn't perfect, but it's the best you can expect from the 3DO controller.
And we should also try Super Wing Commander and Rebel Assault. Okay, I'll give that a shot. I won't give that a shot. Next is Slam Masters.
The first time I ever laid eyes on Capcom's
Take off that shirt, brother.
Arcade,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And wrestled my brains out for almost 15 minutes. A curious thing happened after I got pinned, though. I didn't continue. Yes, this was a Capcom fighting game. Yes, I'm one of the most rabid Street Fighter II players you'll never meet. Yes, I had money left, and I didn't continue. While it looked as impressive as any other game out there, Slam Masters was so severely lacking in originality, it didn't warrant a second reach into my pocket. You can imagine how skeptical I was when I was asked to review the new Super Nintendo home version of Slam Masters. I decided to give it the benefit of the doubt, knowing that any game can grow on you after you get to play it several times for free. Happily, Slam Masters did grow on me, not because I found that it had any more depth, but because I found that bashing people without using any sort of technique can be kind of fun too. If you agree with this, then Slam Masters will be your cup of tea. There are 8 different wrestlers to choose from in this game, each with a unique
The Japanese title for Slam Masters is Muscle Bomber, the Body Explosion. That's such a better name. I am always thinking about the Muscle Bomber's Body Explosion.
Slams and jump kicks. There are several venues in which to do this. First and foremost is the single match mode, wherein you choose a fighter and progress through the ranks in the classical style. 2 rather easy bosses await you after you slam the snot out of your first 7 opponents. The other mode, Team Battle Royal, is far more enjoyable, especially if you're lucky enough to own a multiplayer adapter and can hook up 4 controllers for a 2-on-2 slugfest. If you're playing alone like I was, you select tag team partners and control one while the CPU controls the other for you. I found it somewhat annoying that the 2 boss wrestlers appear on the character select screen in the team mode, but not in the single match mode. The only real strategy I found necessary in the ring was to keep a good distance from your opponent and to use hit-and-run attacks.
Okay.
All too often, I tried to get close and press attack to grab a
Heat
guy,
Up Warriors Muscle Bomber Duo, The Body Explosion. That is a game I would play. That gets you into the action. That entices a gamer to play.
A few of them even require the dreaded 360-degree rotation, which we all know is impossible for the average person. Should you be able to pull off one of those dreaded throws or slams, though, you'll find that they look darn cool and do massive damage. Well, you'll find that out anyway. You'll be on the receiving end of more than a few. If you haven't figured it out already, Slam Masters is not what I've come to expect from Capcom, at least in the playability department. The graphics look identical to the arcade version and the sound is fine, but people don't buy SNES games for good sound. Given the lack of technique, replay value is low, and players who like this kind of game probably already own one of Capcom's previous titles. I'd have no problem renting Slam Masters for a night or two when some friends are over, but I'd be equally happy to return it the following morning.
All right, let's see.
The first time I ever... Slam Masters has been converted perfectly from the arcade into a good-looking
Perfectly!
24-meg cart. Large characters and 2 different battle modes add a good dose of variety to the game. If you've got a multiplayer adapter, use it.
And the cons?
There just isn't enough new stuff in Slam Masters. The playability is average, the replayability worse. It's a step down from Capcom's familiar titles in terms of sheer enjoyment.
Okay, what else should we try? We should try Natsume Championship Wrestling and WWF Super WrestleMania. They keep recommending that one to us. Next up is Slayer.
One of the most popular computer role-playing series is about to have its first incarnation on the 3DO system. SSI's Advanced Dungeons & Dragons series has produced many PC games, but never one on 3DO. Slayer is their first attempt at creating a 3DO-based role-playing game using the familiar mechanics of the Dungeons & Dragons series. As with most AD&D games, there isn't really a plot to the game, rather a goal. In Slayer, your goal is to hack and slash through a number of dungeon levels, eventually meeting up with the Supreme Overlord. Interspersed in these gigantic dungeon levels are monsters, traps, items, and even some puzzles. Even the most experienced role-player will be challenged to conquer these massive dungeons. Players can select from a number of predetermined characters, each having different strengths and weaknesses. Some characters are spellcasters, while others do the nasty deed with their fists or swords. In addition, if you want to build your own character, the game allows for such a task. There will also be an option to roll the virtual dice and allow the program to create a random character. Speaking of randomness, perhaps the most intriguing part of the game is the fact that dungeons are randomly created at the start of each game.
Ooh, randomly
claims that
generated
over 4 billion
dungeons.
dungeons can be created by their program, meaning that it's very unlikely that you'll battle in the same nooks and crannies more than once. An option such as this allows for an extremely high replay value because no 2 games are alike. The 3D engine used in Slayer definitely shows off the 3DO's technical ability. Unlike Monster Manor, the first 3DO dungeon game, Slayer has textures on the ceiling and floor. In addition, you can look up and down while playing. The game seems to run quite fast, and may get faster still before it's released. Over 50 monsters and beasts lurk within the dungeons, and they all appear
But
to
is
be
Fin in this game?
While battling the monsters, you'll be able to use a number of weapons depending on the type of character you choose to play. There is a status bar which you can easily pull up to switch weapons in combat or drink a magical healing potion for that extra burst of energy. Some characters are spellcasters, and a vast array of spells are available. Ranging from acid rain to a fog spell, the graphic effects are very well done, not to mention the damage these spells allow you to rain upon your enemies. As the game progresses, characters can learn and master new spells, as well as obtain better weapons and improve on fundamental skills. It seems that Slayer's niche in the role-playing game market will be its ability to be highly customized. You can design the dungeon to fight in. You can design the character you play. The result of these numerous user-configurable options is a very customizable game, and SSI promises it will be very replayable because of this. If you're one of those hack-and-slash adventurers, Slayer
One of
should
them
slaughter
hack-and-slash
Monster Manor,
adventurers.
its closest competition on 3DO.
Oh, no pros and cons, but we can also try Escape from Monster Manor and Dungeon Hack.
It's the 21st century, and the beautiful blue Earth now looks like a ripe orange with a force field around it.
Oh, no.
Space and the galaxy, as we know it, has turned into an interstellar war zone between humanity and the Urquan hierarchy. You're the pilot of a small starship, and it's up to you to save the universe. The fate of humanity lies in your hands. Welcome to Star Control 2 on 3DO, an enhanced version of the hit IBM PC game. Designed by Fred Ford and Paul Reich III, the team behind The Horde, Star Control 2 is one of the most highly praised games in the last few years. The 3DO
It is. It's a
version
lovely
promises
game.
to maintain all the aspects which made the PC version such a hit, while improving the graphics and sound to new heights. As you can see here, this is a segment of the new 3D rendered opening sequence. The scope of this game will be gigantic, with some 3,000 planets and 500 star systems to explore. This, combined with 18 alien races, will provide 3DO game players with one of the first true simulation games on 3DO. Star Control 2 will take many players weeks to complete and might cause a few temporary brain tumors in the process.
All
At the
right,
start
this
of the
game causes
your
brain
ship will
tumors.
meet
Good
up
to
with the
know.
Starbase in dire need of help. You'll have to help them out, and then they'll have to agree to help you destroy the Urquan Empire. Over 8 hours of dialogue adorn this game.
Yeah,
and the
no,
voice
this
acting
lady
is
seems like she
very
would
well
like
done.
wine
Our
Fin
facilities are
Fin.
sophisticated and fully automated, permitting a handful of Starbase personnel to do the same job as 500 vac-suited construction workers.
After you obtain a number of radioactive minerals for the Starbase, they will agree to help you on this quest. Immediately after they join on, all the resources of this Starbase are at your fingertips. In addition, the Starbase can provide more personnel and more ships, so eventually you'll be able to develop a full fleet of starships. Believe me, you're going to need a lot of resources in order to defeat the Urquan and other alien races. Eventually, the Urquan will discover your presence in the galaxy and send a welcoming party to greet you with laser blasts. Clashes with the aliens will become very common as the game progresses, spicing up the game with the odd arcade sequence. The 3DO version also includes a Super Melee bonus game, which allows two players to test out their flying skills in combat against each other. Most of the game will consist of the accumulation of minerals and resources from other planets throughout the solar system. Thus, a common occurrence during play will be the scanning of planets for resources, and then landing on planets to gain minerals and investigate possible life forms. To add a lot of mood to the game, Crystal Dynamics has once again composed an impeccable CD quality soundtrack, which will surely win many awards. There is no question that Star Control 2 is one of the best PC games in recent years, perhaps because it combines strategy and action so well. In essence, this game reminds me of The Horde because it appears to be a lot of fun, while still having some brain-twisting elements to it. Crystal Dynamics hasn't toyed with the original game, but enhanced it by adding features such as CD music, full speech,
I like
and
the two
synthetic
cigars
graphics.
powering
This
the
is Star
ship.
Control 2 to be a star title on the 3DO, simply based on the fact it was such a big hit on the PC.
We should also try the Horde, no, Dark Legions, and Star Reach. I am not trying the Horde, thank you. Stun Race FX.
Some of the best Super Nintendo games have been made by Nintendo themselves. Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart, and their up-and-coming Donkey Kong Country are all great examples. Unfortunately, Stunt Racer FX doesn't quite live up to their excellent track record. Despite the variety of tracks, gameplay is essentially the same. You have the speed tracks where you race against 3 other vehicles, the stunt tracks, which is a boring 1-vehicle time trial with lots of obstacles, battle tracks, which is really racing with 2 players. Nowhere is any battle involved.
Oh, that
And
frame
finally,
rate.
free tracks, which is basically drive around and practice. Control in Stunt Racer FX is actually
I like the
pretty
cars
good.
in,
The vehicles are
in
easy
Stunt
to
Race
drive once
FX,
you're
though. They're
used to
very
it, and the
blomby.
different viewpoints add a certain virtual racing touch. Altogether, there are 4 different vehicles to choose from, but only 3 are available during the early stages of racing. The 4th, a 2-wheeler, is available in the free tracks and becomes available after you defeat the master class in Speed Track. Overall, Stunt Racer FX was a disappointment. The graphics are new, but really there's no variety to the game. Unlike Super Mario Kart, the 2-player option is almost worthless, giving you tiny screens to play with and no real battling, just racing. Come on, Nintendo, let's see a Super Mario Kart 2. Then we'll see what the FX chip can do.
It's not coming, bro. They're not doing Mario 2 Super. They're not doing Mario Kart 2 on the SNES. I'm sorry.
The graphics are nice and the control is up to par, with the view changing done very well. For a 1-player racing game, it's not too bad.
But the cons.
The music is just plain annoying. The graphics are nice, but the polygons make it difficult to see at times. The 2-player option is worthless and gives a bad name to something called Battle Mode. And where's the variety in cars? If I remember correctly, Super Mario Kart had 8 to choose from.
All right, we should also try Super Mario Kart and the Top Gear series. What else we got in the home systems? We got Super Soccer Champ 2. I'm getting a little sick of soccer.
I like to refer to Super Soccer Champ 2 as soccer with style. You get all the options you would expect, including Exhibition, World League, and Tato Cup play. Super Soccer Champ 2 has all the weather and time length choices as well. I do have one bit of advice when going through the game options. When you see the function called S-Action,
Yeah,
turn it
Tato.
off. The reason for my hostility towards S-Action is very simple. In playing my first game, the score was tied with the clock winding down when, Bam! I got hit with this. The game paused briefly, the ball turned into a flaming comet, and when my opponent kicked the ball, it destroyed every player in its path, including blasting the goalie into the net. Needless to say, I lost the game due to a super-powered kick. I have to admit that I would enjoy the super kick if I could use it. Super Soccer Champ 2 is one of the roughest soccer games I've ever played, aside from the real thing. You can slide tackle or shove your opponent, often resulting in a yellow card. The players perform more than just the basic moves, which adds variety to the game. Leaping over a slide tackle and spectacular headers are just a few of the extra moves. I do have a hint. You almost always score if you aim your shot for either corner of the net from a short distance in front of the goal. Several different countries are represented in Super Soccer Champ 2. Teams are rated based on their country's performance in the World Cup in terms of speed and skill. Super Soccer Champ is a blast to play, and many people will become so addicted they'll stick with it to the end. If you don't want to see the ending, close your eyes now. To prove that we love Super Soccer Champ 2 enough to complete and win the Tato Cup.
Congratulations! The Tato Cup! The Tato Cup. The Tato Cup.
Super Soccer Champ 2 has several great features, including 4-player capability, a rough style of play, and a wide variety of moves you don't see in other games of this type, such as leaping over slide tackles.
And the cons.
Super Soccer Champ 2 doesn't have the World Cup license, which means it doesn't use the real names of players. It also has a shot that's an almost certain goal.
And we should also try World Championship Soccer, Sensible Soccer, and Pele Soccer. What about Ronaldinho Soccer? That's what I'm trying. Alright, next up is Super Street Fighter 2.
I've been waiting for Capcom to do something new with the Street Fighter series since I beat Turbo for the first time 10 months ago. Now that Super Street Fighter 2 is here, I can once again become the Couch Potato King. Like most people, I would much rather see Street Fighter 3 on the shelves than another incarnation of Street Fighter 2. However, there is plenty here in Super to keep you busy, at least until Street Fighter 3 is a reality. Several new play modes and 4 new characters highlight this card and give it even better replay value than good old Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Please realize, though, that the word Turbo is missing from Super Street Fighter 2's title. If you don't already know what this translates to, prepare for a rude awakening. If you're used to Street Fighter 2 Turbo, this game crawls. There is a speed setting, but it only goes up to 3 stars, a far cry
try
from
Fighter's
Turbo's 10.
History.
What's worse, the next game in the series won't be Street Fighter 3 either. It'll be, and I'll say this slowly so you can absorb it all, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. If you don't mind the lack of speed, then Super is a truly excellent card. Each of the original 12 characters has been modified slightly. They've either gained a new move or had an old one refined. 4 new color schemes have been added for each character also, for a total of 6 each. Some of them look pretty darn cool. See for yourself. Following in the footsteps of Fatal Fury 2, Super includes a new group battle mode for 2 players. Each player can compile a list of up to 8 of their favorite characters, then duke it out in a one-on-one elimination tournament. Time Challenge mode is another neat addition. In it, you choose which character you want to control and which character you want to fight, and then try to beat him/her as quickly as possible. Get a fast enough time, and you can enter your initials in the record book. The new music is outstanding. Each stage has a new tune. Sadly, the same cannot be said for the sound effects. Character voices sound scratchy and often too high. Unless your television has crystal clear speakers, many of the words are incomprehensible. These are only mild problems, though. The combat engine remains the best around and now shows you when you've performed one of Street Fighter's trademark combos. Control is perfect, and most special moves are no problem at all. With 136 possible matchups, you won't get tired. Perfecting any one character will occupy plenty of your time. All 16 will require you to completely shut off communication with the outside world. Heck, it's Street Fighter 2. Go ahead.
All right, let's cut off all communication with the outside world to play Street Fighter 2.
There's more of the same and more of the new. 4 new characters and 3 new plays should keep the screams of Shoryuken echoing around your house for months to come. The new music is incredible and is actually worth turning up while you fight. To top it all off, each character has new colors and at least 1 new move or revision.
And the cons.
Remember the first Street Fighter 2? Super isn't quite that slow, but it's nowhere near the eye-bursting speed of Street Fighter 2 Turbo. You'll have to be patient to play this game, and you might want to have the remote control handy too, because once you hear the scratchy voices and sound effects in Super, you'll want to hit the volume control fast.
And we should also try Street Fighter 2 Turbo, World Heroes 2, and Fighters History. Not Fighters Histoire, but Fighters History. So, okay. Next up, Suzuka, 8 hours.
Real-life motorcycle racing is fast and extremely exciting. Generally, video game motorcycle racing captures the same excitement. Unfortunately, Suzuka 8 Hours from Namco did not live up to that standard. Suzuka gives you several options to choose from: practice, time trial, race tour, and 2-player modes. Both practice and time trial modes are not highly competitive, but are perfect for getting acquainted with the controls before entering the tour. Suzuka 8 Hours has 5 different race courses and different time selections as well. The races are all held on closed circuits and range from terribly easy to mighty difficult. Bike setup includes several options that make a big difference when used correctly. You can choose a bike that excels in acceleration, top speed, or cornering. A wise choice is often found in the cornering package. You can also choose either an automatic or manual transmission, and you can change your bike's color. The 2-player race mode has a top and bottom split-screen arrangement. The screen was filled with gameplay, not borders, which was space used well. The game had no traditional slowdown in either 1 or 2-player mode. Several bikes are on the track other than you and your opponent during 2-player mode, but the only competition is your human opponent. Race Tour mode is the basis of the game. Starting in the 250cc class, you can move your way to the top by advancing through the classes, which isn't as difficult as it sounds. To advance, you must meet or exceed a point limit which can be accumulated over the Race Tour segments. The feel of speed was not fully translated into this game. Traveling at speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour felt the same as 20 miles per hour. That lack of movement takes away any sense that you're playing a high-speed game.
All right, and has it got any pros and cons? Yeah.
An overhead map was not used, but was replaced with a highly effective arrow guide system. The arrows appear in the side of gameplay and keep the player focused on the action. 2-player mode had no slowdown to mention and was a basic racing game.
And the cons?
The sense of speed was very bad. 200 miles per hour felt the same as 20, a serious drawback in a racing game.
You know, I do agree. A racing game should feel like you're going so fast you're going to crash. You also should try the Road Rash series and Kawasaki Caribbean Challenge. Top Hunter.
Until the Atari Jaguar's release not long ago, the Neo Geo was the unquestioned champion of cartridge-based gaming systems. It still may be, seeing as that the Jag has a less than plentiful game library and really hasn't been able to show its full potential yet. Yes, many of the available titles for Neo Geo are fighting games, but they have other things in common too. Great graphics and often unbelievable sound quality. The newest game
Sorry,
for
this
SNK's
praise for
dynamic
Jaguar
system is
kills
made
me.
by SNK themselves, and it's called Top Hunter. I'd never played a side-scroller for the Neo Geo before, so I was anxious to try Top Hunter out. This game takes you, and possibly a friend, through 4 unique worlds trying to destroy the evil Claptons, blah blah blah. Your characters, Roddy and Kathy, are superhero types who possess a basic punch attack, as well as several attacks resembling those in, not surprisingly, tournament fighting games. While experimenting with different controller movements, I was able to perform fireballs, uppercuts, and power bombs. And
Yeah, no, the
enemies come
Jaguar,
running
people
at you
really
from
thought it
all
had
over the place, so
potential,
being
and
able to attack from a
unfortunately,
distance is key.
it did not.
Like SNK's own Fatal Fury series, Top Hunter features 3D movement.
I
2
wanted a
different planes
Jaguar
exist
so
on each level,
bad.
and
I'm
moving
so
between
glad I
them is
never
as
got
simple as
one.
pressing the C button on the joystick. Bonus items are everywhere, as are hidden bonus stages. The difficulty of getting
I think I would have enjoyed a
increased
CDI
slightly by the
much more than a
2-plane system,
Jaguar
as
if I got one
bonuses
as a kid.
disappear after a couple
Couldn't afford
seconds,
either,
and
but
must
you
be
know.
on the right plane to retrieve them. Only 2 power-ups exist: health and strength. The strength up turns you into a super fighter and gives your attacks extra kick. Like any side-scroller nowadays, Top Hunter throws a boss at you at the end of each world. The bosses are enormous and very well drawn. Oddly, though, they're not at all difficult to defeat. This is unfortunately the case for the rest of the game as well. I was able to get quite far playing alone with only 3 continues. With a partner, I might have been able to beat the game in one sitting. This is not good. Neo Geo games cost a ridiculous amount of money, and a game
Yeah,
that's
the Jaguar
solvable in
didn't
a couple hours
have
is not
Robert
worth
Mapplethorpe,
$150,
so
no
why
matter how
bother?
good it looks or sounds. Moreover, the 2 characters in Top Hunter are virtually identical in ability, so variety is absent as well. In short, quality sound and graphics do not a smash hit make. Top Hunter is high on these, but drastically short on difficulty and replay value, and therefore does not justify its close to $200 price tag. For that much money, one could buy a Genesis and Gunstar Heroes or a Super Nintendo with Knights of the Round. Both of those games are more challenging than Top Hunter and will keep players hooked for much longer. Although it sure does look great, I can't recommend Top Hunter to anyone who can't get it for free.
Wow, not a Top Hunter fan, huh?
Top Hunter is pretty fun to play, especially with a friend helping out. There are several bonuses and secrets to find, and a bazillion moves to wreck the enemies with. To top it all off, no pun intended, the sound effects and music are perfect and truly fit the game.
And the cons?
This game is way too easy. It's also kind of repetitive, as you stay on the ground and do the same thing on every level. No flying scenes, no perspective changes, nothing like that. It would be a great game to rent for a night, but buying it would not be a good idea unless you have a bottomless wallet.
I do not have a bottomless wallet, so, you know. We should also try Spin Masters, okay, Gunstar Heroes, and Knights of the Round. Gunstar Heroes, that's a good one. All right, any more? Here we go, last three. And then we are done with this issue of Interactive Entertainment. Folks, let's learn about Way of the Warrior.
Round one. Fight, yells the announcer.
Hey, Maynard, yeah, I'm back. I'm back and I'm recovered from surgery.
Find a way to defeat the other in order to progress through the tournament.
My thyroid was twice its size. It was too big.
King of the Ring, or so goes the plan. This is the premise in Universal Interactive and Naughty Dog's new 3DO game, Way of the Warrior. Set high atop the Himalayas, the tournament has one goal: to find out who is the supreme fighter in the world, and then that fighter will fill the final page of the ancient Book of Fighting. This book chronicles great fighters throughout eternity, and now, depending on who wins, you may be able to enter your name in blood on the final page.
My
Moreover,
name!
If you do not win, the scales could tip in favor of evil for eternity. Yikes, that's a lot of pressure. I want a Tylenol. On the main game screen, you can select between two modes of fighting: versus mode for two-player games, or tournament mode where you battle the computer. Players can select the arena they wish to fight in, personalize their names, and adjust the skill level. Arguably, one of the most important parts of a fighting game is the characters.
That's
Way
true.
of the Warrior offers some 9 characters.
Man, they only gave me 4 pain pills for my surgery recovery, so I took so much Tylenol. Like, I got sick of it. I was, every 6 hours, man, I was having my Tylenol.
Cartridge for Super Nintendo. In the game, there are 9 arenas to fight in. One arena is set in a lava pit, and if you throw your competitor into the pit, they automatically perish. The arenas have so much variety, it adds a lot to the game compared to the static, flat terrain in previous fighting games. During gameplay, the camera will zoom in
like
out
the
and pan left
skeleton.
and right to keep up with the action. Each character has upwards of 75 moves they can perform. There are also numerous secret moves and abilities which are hidden within the game. Like other fighting games, each character has its own custom moves, ranging from Major Gaines throwing grenades to Shaky Jake using his bamboo stick. I've never seen such a gigantic
Oh man, Shaky
fighting game
Jake, I almost
simply
forgot
based on
about
the number of
him.
moves for each character. Surprisingly, the 3DO controller works very well with this game. The developers knew that background music is a major part of any fighting game and have gone all out and bought the rights to a number of songs from a popular heavy metal band. Although we're not allowed to release the name of the band, here's a sampling of the music in the game, which consists of already released songs from this band. Way of the Warrior looks like the gateway to the next generation of 3DO games and should be a must-buy for any 3DO owner. I'll admit that I'm not a big fan of the fighting genre, but Way of the Warrior is just plain addicting. Hopefully, the combination of great gameplay with multimedia touches will truly impress consumers. Based upon my preview,
God, I
copy,
love
it was
Shaky
certainly
Jake.
Impressive. Oh, and if you don't own a 3DO, a nearly identical version of Way of the Warrior will be coming into arcades later this year.
Did Way of the Warrior come to arcades? Chat, do you know if it actually got to arcades? Anyways, we should also try Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat 2. Nope, never went to arcades. Okay. All right, folks, Wolfenstein 3D. You hear of this one? You hear of this Wolfenstein?
Wolfenstein 3D
Steen?
has achieved immortality on the PC platform,
Steen?
but its first port to a cartridge system was
Wolfenstein?
less than successful. Nintendo neutered the SNES version, and the result was a wimpy girly man game that disappointed everybody. Not so for the Jaguar. Here is Wolfie in all its blood-splattering, Nazi-shredding glory. The graphics in the Jag version are excellent, with high-resolution bitmaps keeping objects from pixelizing when you get too close. The sounds are also superb, and it's fast, really fast. If you like to kill, Wolfenstein for the Jaguar will make you very happy.
Wolfenstein.
It has kept all the old stuff in, like Nazi symbols, German shepherds, and unpleasant ways to die. They've also added a flamethrower and a rocket launcher, and sped up the chain gun's firing rate. They've even thrown in an automap to keep you from getting lost. The Jaguar version of Wolfenstein 3D is the best one yet, including the original PC version. All 6 missions from the registered version are included, so it should be a good long time before you see the end of this cart. With great graphics and sound, speedy play, 3 slots for save games, and more carnage than you can shake a dead SS at, Wolfenstein 3D for the Jaguar should keep your trigger finger happy for a long time.
I can't get over Wolfenstein. I'm sorry, folks.
It has left everything in, including Nazi wall adornments, dogs to kill, and copious amounts of blood. They've also added 2 new weapons and an automap. The Jaguar controller is well suited for this game and responds with great speed. The graphics and sound are better here than any other version of the game.
And the cons.
The rocket launcher is not implemented very well. The shells travel through people and only explode when they hit a wall, making them very difficult to use effectively.
And we should also try Blake Stone, Escape from Monster Manor, and Doom. Never heard of Blake Stone. All right, we got 1 game left, and it's World Heroes Jet.
While World Heroes 2 Jet resembles a number of other tournament fighting games for the Neo Geo, it has a flavor all its own. A very sweet flavor, actually. Think about it. Wouldn't you be attracted to a game with 16 characters and adjustable statistics? Jet has these and a few other options which make its replay value unbeatable. This is a Neo Geo game, so it's expected to surpass other games of its type on lesser systems. Jet goes 1 step further and surpasses all other games for its own system. Its name is slightly misleading, as the word Jet implies a faster version of the original, similar to, dare I say it, Street Fighter II Turbo. Jet does have a variable speed setting and overall is slightly faster than its predecessor, but that's
World
not the most
Heroes 2
impressive
Jet. It does look
2 new
delicious.
characters join the previous 14.
You could saute this with a little butter.
And with 16
Yeah, I
characters,
see it. I see it.
120 different matchups are possible without ever playing your twin. The style screen lends a new twist to the 2-player mode. After selecting your fighters, you can choose one of 4 attribute sets for them to use in the battle: normal, offensive, defensive, or speedy. Factor in the possible combination of attributes in a match, that is, offensive versus defensive, etc., and you have a whopping 1,920 possible fights. Man, oh man, and there's more, too. Jet's music is terrific, and its graphics are great too, though a notch below the cartoon-like beauty of Art of Fighting 2. One peeve I had was with the control system. I expect a brand new game, especially a kick and punch type, to make use of all 4 buttons on the Neo Geo's joystick. Jet uses only 2 for attacks, requiring you to either tap a button for a quick attack or hold it down for a more powerful blow. This is bad. Being used to 4 and 6 button games like SF2 and the Neo Geo's own Fatal Fury 2 special, I had a hard time getting some of the special moves off and died more than my fragile ego could stand. Fortunately, my spirits were lifted after fooling around a little bit with another new feature of Jet, the fake dizzy. That's right, you can actually do a joystick motion and make it look like your character is stunned, only to snap out of it and nail your opponent when he comes near you. I like that. I fell in love with Jet. I guess the more characters and options a game has, the more enthralled I am with it. In this regard, Jet reigns supreme over any fighting game ever made. The control needs a little work, I admit, but if you buy a game and play it, you get used to the control eventually. Buy this game and play it, but make sure you own a Neo Geo first.
All right, buy this game and play it, says the good folks at Interactive Entertainment.
How much time do you have? The graphics are good, the sound is good, there are a lot of characters, there are more than a lot of special moves, there's configurable player stats, there's adjustable speed, and on and on and on. No fighting game fan will dislike this game. It's almost too deep.
No fighting game fan will dislike this game. You heard it here first.
As is the norm with Neo Geo fighting games, the CPU will tend to play dirty and beat you a lot even when set on easy. Because of this and the fact that the Jet uses only 2 attack buttons, this game takes more practice to master than most games.
We should also try Art of Fighting 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and a Double Dragon 5. Got it. I think that's it for this issue. What's under help? Oh, it just kind of... Golden rule, if the mouse pointer is an indexed hand, left click to make something happen. Simple, right? Okay.
No ads this index. What demos do we have?
This section will install game demos to your hard drive.
Unfortunately, I tried this last time and it crashed my system, so we're not going to install anything. But here's what you can install, including Battle Bugs, which I'm very curious about.
Be sure to check out our continuing coverage of Dark Forces in Episode 6 of IE.
All right, we'll check out their continuing coverage of Dark Sources. Oh, I should have turned the volume up this way. Well, I'm going to... Oh, good lord. Okay, well, that should hopefully help next time we do an interactive entertainment. All right, folks, that was Interactive Entertainment Issue 05. All right, and thank you all so very much for showing up. Tomorrow, I'm going to be streaming once again with Danny at, hold on, let me, at Retro Pals. Let me just give that a big old shout out. Thank you to everybody who resubbed. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the support. And thank you to everyone who showed up and all of that. I do appreciate y'all hanging out and watching me go through this magazine. Appreciate it. Thank you all so much. I will be back next week. I'm not sure what I'm going to be streaming. I have to figure it out, but it's going to be good. And yeah, we're going to be watching Supermarket Sweep episodes on the Retro Pals tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central, so do look forward to that. All right, where should we go? We got... No. I want who I'm following. Let's see who we got. Probably we got Swell Time. We got... How about... Oh, Krungo just started. Krungo's playing Sonic CD for the first time. Okay. I'm not sure what you should tell Krungo when you go in. You should say your opinion about Sonic CD when you go in. So, yeah. Do that. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.